As Giang Khai plummeted into the abyss, a cryptic voice whispered through the depths. Do you believe in fate? Do you believe that choices can rewrite your destiny, or that every path leads to a different end? Or perhaps you believe that no matter what you choose, your soul is bound to the same inevitable conclusion. Back on the surface, hell had broken loose. Monstrous entities were hunting, sending the crowds into a panicked frenzy. A woman tripped, her voice trembling with terror as she begged for help. Around her, people were paralyzed by fear, fleeing the hideous, beast-faced nightmares. Stay back, don't come any closer, they screamed, only to find themselves trapped at the edge of a bottomless canyon. With nowhere left to run, they huddled in the shadows. The monsters howled, searching for prey. While the survivors prayed for a miracle behind the jagged rocks, one girl hid in a corner, sobbing quietly as she whispered a desperate plea to the heavens. Don't see me. Please don't see me. Suddenly, a drop of foul, demonic saliva landed right on her face. The creature's twisted head lunged toward her. Viennese heart stopped as she let out a blood-curdling scream. No, stay back. Demon-faced tentacles lashed out. Giang Khai, hiding nearby, watched in horror. Was this the true power of a ghost star entity? This newbie trial was insane. He checked his watch, remembering the ritual. After activating the transfer material, one must simply survive on the ghost star for 5 minutes to complete the class awakening. But for most, surviving even 60 seconds seemed impossible. Our hero, Giang Khai, was here on this nightmare planet for his trial. The ghost star was a massive celestial body that had mysteriously appeared near Earth 50 years ago. Strangely, its massive size didn't disrupt Earth's gravity or knock the planet out of its orbit. Instead, Earth's flora and fauna began to mutate into devastating monsters known as god beasts. Bringing global ruin, these beasts were beyond the reach of human science and conventional weaponry. Their arrival instantly pushed humanity to the very brink of total extinction. Yet, in the heart of despair, survivors discovered mysterious teleportation gates appearing across the globe. By stepping through, humans could project themselves onto the ghost star in a digital form. They soon realized that the ghost star was a surreal, hyper-digitalized reality. Here, humans could unlock classes, gaining stats, gear, and skills, just like characters in a high-stakes RPG. Most importantly, once they reached a certain level, they could manifest these godlike powers back in the real world. In the real world, these awakened humans would become as powerful as their digital avatars. They could finally face the god beasts using nothing but their own enhanced physical strength. Now, mankind's only hope for survival lay in these warriors of the ghost star, collectively known as adventurers. As the monsters slaughtered everyone nearby, Giang Khai's pulse raced. He was the last one left alive, trapped and cornered. The demonic predator slowly approached his hiding spot. He refused to give up. Had he spent his family's entire fortune just to die like a dog? He remembered his sister's encouragement. Big brother, go to the ghost star. We'll do whatever it takes to save up enough for your journey. His younger sister had endured endless suffering to fund him, while his older brother worked himself to the bone despite kidney failure. If they couldn't afford the surgery within 2 months, his brother was finished. He couldn't let their sacrifice be for nothing. As the demon lunged, Giang Khai let out a silent, defiant roar within his soul. He wouldn't just wait for death. He would bet everything on one final move for the sake of his family. A tentacle grazed his shoulder as he made a desperate, life-or-death leap into the unknown. This gamble was his only chance. His body plummeted as the creature hissed from the cliff's edge, its prey slipping away. Giang Khai gritted his teeth, waiting for fate's judgment. Suddenly, a blinding pillar of light erupted around him. A system notification flared. Alert, your actions have mirrored the spirit of a high-stakes gambler. Congratulations, you have triggered a 1 in a million chance to unlock a hidden class. Transferring now. Welcome. The glorious hidden class, the gambler. Giang Khai hit the ground below with a heavy thud. He looked around warily, his mind racing. He was in a fast, empty clearing. How was he still alive? Why were his wounds completely healed after such a lethal fall? A rhythmic chime rang out. Biden. Your successful class transfer has refreshed all basic attributes. Consider yourself fully revived. Stunned, he asked, Are you? An artificial intelligence, a guide of the ghost star, she replied with a smirk. You could say that. Congratulations on your successful class advancement. Now, allow me to introduce your professional gambler traits. With the double talent active, every system reward or penalty you receive will trigger a 2 times multiplier, with a 1% chance for a super double effect. When super double is triggered, all rewards and punishments are amplified by 10 times their original value. Since your double talent is currently active, and you have just acquired your professional traits, the number of class talents has doubled, granting you the gambler's second secret trait. Wait, the double talent triggered already, Giang Khai asked. Stunned. What others only get 1 talent upon class change. But I get 2 AY nodded in confirmation. That's right. Here are the current effects and attributes of your second legendary talent. Talent Super Critical Hit. Your critical damage is now modified to 200 times. Your base critical rate is fixed at 0.1%. Explorer Giang Khai. Profession Gambler. Level 1. Attributes Strength 4. Defense 0. Constitution 8. Experience 0 out of 100. Agility 12. Spirit 12. Talents Double and Super Critical Hit. My 4 basic stats add up to 36 points. Giang Khai was baffled. Most people only have about 20 total attribute points after their class change. Why was his total as high as 36? She explained calmly. It's because your double talent effectively doubled all your normal attribute points immediately upon your profession transfer. He was completely caught off guard. Even basic stats could be doubled. He began calculating his future potential. If this holds true, when I level up on Planet Demon, while others gain 10 attribute points, I'll be receiving a massive 20 points instead. Doesn't that mean one of my levels is equal to 2 of theirs? Plus, I have this insane second talent. Super Critical Hit. Normal players only deal double damage on a crit. But my strikes will be 200 times stronger. The status window flickered before him. Talent Super Critical Hit. Your critical damage multiplier has been modified to 200 times. Your rate is set at 0.1%. Critical damage, 2000%, even if the rate is low. If I can increase it, my damage will be terrifying. Is this the power of the weapons used on Planet Demon? Before this, his only goal was to reach Planet Demon quickly to earn enough money for his eldest brother's life-saving surgery. Even the weakest professions on Planet Demon earn more than anyone back on Earth. But he never imagined he'd accidentally trigger a hidden, high-tier class like the Gambler. Now, he could finally save his brother and give his family a better life. The system chimed, announcing his successful profession transfer. Please complete the novice quest. Arrive safely at St. Radiance City within 7 days. Giang Khai forced himself to stay calm. In the novice trials, completing the class transfer was merely the first step of a dangerous journey. His ultimate goal was to survive the trial and reach St. Radiance City within a week. However, the path ahead was paved with relentless obstacles. The trial zone was crawling with monsters. A single mistake meant death and an immediate forced teleportation back to Earth. Although dying on Planet Demon wouldn't kill his physical body on Earth, he would be able to log back in later. However, the cost of death was only small for the wealthy elites. Entering Planet Demon required a fortune. The rich had endless retries. But a poor man like him had only 1 shot. He could not afford to fail. Suddenly, his body froze as a blood-curdling scream echoed from the distance. Hiding behind a tree, he recognized the voice. And ever was a green crawl snake, currently hunting down a helpless victim. The person was trembling, eyes shut tight as they begged for their life. It was none other than Giang Khai's longtime friend. Vian True, stay back. I'm terrified of snakes, he thought to himself. It really was true. And he was cornered by green crawl snakes. These serpents were venomous. 1 bite meant certain death for man or beast. And there were 3 of them closing in. Giang Khai shouted from behind. True. Don't panic. Grab your weapon and charge. I'm right here, Vian True gasped. Khai, how are you here? He was so worried about his friend that he didn't notice a snake lunging at him. Khai. Forget about me, run. Now, these snakes have high stats and deadly poison. We're only level 1, we can't possibly fight them off. Giang Khai remained composed, hurling his weapon with pinpoint accuracy. Don't fear, the one behind you is already pinned down. True was speechless. Khai, you actually killed a green crawl snake. Giang Khai's plan worked perfectly, using True as a distraction. He circled around for a lethal ambush. The snakes had blocked their path. But now the predators had become the prey. Vian True screamed in warning. It's over, Khai. These snakes are too fast. But Giang Khai simply tilted his body, dodging with effortless grace. Is that so? True watched in absolute awe. He couldn't believe his eyes as Khai moved like a phantom. Giang Khai realized that after his class change, his doubled attributes made his level 1 agility comparable to a level 2. These level 1 snakes couldn't touch him. He snatched up his staff. True. Keep drawing their attention. I'll handle the rest. His friend understood the plan instantly. Got it. Taking advantage of the opening. Giang Khai's staff blurred into motion, leaving only dead serpents in his wake. He stood frozen in shock. I was just the bait. But Khai wiped them all out alone, checking the system logs. Giang Khai was stunned. 3 level 1 green serpents slain. Current experience, 3 out of 100. I'm an agility-based class with low strength. So how did I one-shot those level 1 monsters so easily? This iron spear looted from the demon spirit must be top-tier starter gear. Behind him, Vian True tackled him in a hoop. Legends say newbies are only meant to be hunted. So how could a rookie like him pull this off? Hi. How did you do that? Khai played it cool. I got lucky and awakened a new class. The gambler. Don't tell Asul. His friend stared in awe. A gambler. I've no idea what that is. But it's definitely not useless. His status window appeared Adventurer Vien True. Class Martial Artist. Level 1. Strength Attribute 8. Defense 0. Constitution 8. Experience 0 out of 100. Agility 5. Spirit 5. Martial Artist. He finally understood. No wonder he survived that onslaught against 3 serpents. He holds one of the top 5 elite classes in the Holy Radiance Kingdom. Nobody knows how many classes exist within the Demon Star, but for every adventurer who enters this realm, the first trial is the Class Awakening. Your fate is usually decided by the materials you buy before even logging in. Typically, the wealthy spend tens of millions of credits to secure the most powerful awakening material. By arriving at the Demon Star with such resources, they can directly awaken as high-tier powerhouse classes. The poor can only afford the cheapest materials. These paths are weak, and the resulting class is often completely random. He hesitated. A single martial artist awakening material alone costs over 50 million credits. True. You didn't take a shark loan for this, did you? No way, it's a long story. I'll explain it all later. Are you still in shock? Hurry and gather these carcasses. I heard snake parts fetch a decent price. Giang Khai analyzed the situation. In the Demon Star, almost every loot drop can be converted into cold cash. He needed this money to support his family. Here, monster remains and gear transform into cards for easy collection and sale. The system notification updated obtained green serpent carcass. Item is ready for dissection. He realized something more. Based on that clash, the gambler class seemed even more lethal than a martial artist. Suddenly, a voice called out, Hello. Both men instantly tensed up. I'm To Nuan Nuan. I can't survive this trial alone. Could I please join your party? Giang Khai's refusal was immediate and cold. Sorry. We can barely protect ourselves. Carrying you is too risky. Please, she begged. Don't leave me behind. My class is a doctor. I can provide vital healing for the entire team. I can even extract venom from these snakes to boost your weapon damage. Please. Just don't abandon me. Vien True's eyes lit up healing and poison. Wait. Kai reconsidered. A doctor. That's one of the top 10 elite support classes. A healer is essential for any rookie trial. If he hadn't recovered his health during his own awakening, he'd be dead. He shook Noan's hand. Fine. I'm Giang Khai. And this is Vien True. Let's reach the end together. She beamed with joy. Thank you. Behind them, Vien True schmerkt. Hey. Did you change your mind just because she's cute? Shut it before I hit you. Meanwhile, at the Demon Star Login Base 18 in Zhongtrong City, Holy Radiance Kingdom, inside the research lab, Professor Lee marveled at the data. These modern wrist terminals were truly a feat of engineering. They could pinpoint an adventurer's exact location on the Demon Star. Of course they are. Lam replied. Walking in. Most standard models on the market are used to scan comet data and track movements, but the high-end versions offer far more functions. Professor Lee. How are the rookies faring in the trial? And what about my sister? He sighed. The trackers show the elimination rate is skyrocketing. Many have already fallen. As for your sister, To Nuan. She seems to have just formed a party with 2 other survivors. Lam was stunned. What, is she so cowardly that she's looking for protection already? I warned her, rookies should never group up. In this trial, the larger the crowd, the faster the Demon Star targets you. Deep in the forest. Something watched them. This was exactly what Lam feared. The high-density group was attracting predators. 3 minutes later, Professor Lee's face paled. It's happened. 2 demon spirits have appeared right next to To Nuan. Lam began to tremble with rage and fear. A single demon spirit is enough to slaughter a group of rookies, but facing 2 at once, Noan won't have a single chance to survive. She thought to herself, dying on this ghost planet is just like a character dying in a video game. It won't physically harm our real bodies back on Earth. However, the absolute realism of experiencing death on this cursed planet will inflict a devastating psychological trauma on any human soul. Previously, a survivor who lost their mind wailed. I watched with my own eyes as that monster devoured me piece by piece. Monsters. They're everywhere. Run. Lam prepared to leave, intending to take Noan for psychological counseling. But Professor Lee called out, Wait, it seems Noan isn't dead yet. Surprised. She gasped. What, he pointed at the screen. In fact, it looks like they've actually managed to slay 2 of those ghost planet monsters. Lam was stunned. How is that possible? The other staff members leaned in, replaying the footage from 3 minutes ago. The monsters were relentlessly hunting their prey. Hiller ran for his life, screaming, Mama, what on earth are those things? Noan shouted back. I think those are the ghost planet monsters. Keep running. Giang Khai was ahead of them. Realizing that Pillar and the others weren't fast enough to escape, they were going to be caught, faced with a choice. He stopped in his tracks, refusing to abandon his comrades. Giang Khai told Pillar to keep going, but his friend turned back, shouting, "Kai, you don't want to be held back by us. Go, I'll stay behind." In his heart, Pillar knew that if they kept running like this, all three would die. His only choice was to stay and see if he could kill just one. Giang Kai's spear thrust forward, piercing the ghost planet monster's chest. He felt a surge of hope. I hit it, but his joy was short-lived. Giang Khai sensed something was wrong as the monster violently hurled him toward a distant rock. Giang Khai grit his teeth, thinking, "Damn it, this monster's health is way too high. I can't take it down with a single strike." The monsters reached out for him with hungry claws. Giang Khai refused to yield. Am I really going to die? Is my newbie trial ending like this? Noan burst into tears, crying out, "Pillar, Kai is in danger. We have to go back and save him." Pillar trembled, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Meanwhile, back on Earth in the Jiangzong residential area, Pillar's mother was serving tea to a visitor. "Are you truly the benefactor who gave my son the materials to become a martial artist? I still don't know why you chose my boy. He may look big and strong, but he's a coward at heart. If he ever faced a monster on that planet, he'd probably be too scared to fight." Fu Hongha nodded in confirmation. "It's true. Pillar's mother, when your son faces danger, he's more terrified than the average person, but I've seen him. No matter how scared he is, the moment he sees someone in need of help, he will never turn his back on the fight." Right then, Pillar let out a roar. "Get lost." He threw a powerful punch at the ghost planet monster, sending both creatures stumbling backward. He stood like a shield in front of his friend and asked, "Kai, did you try to protect me because you thought I was a coward?" He continued. "We're brothers, and brothers stick together." Giang Khai was stunned by this sudden transformation. Pillar had steeled his resolve. If they were to die, they would die together. He threw a punch backed by every ounce of his strength. That single, explosive strike sent both ghost planet monsters crashing to the ground. Giang Khai realized that even though the damage was low, Pillar could knock them down in one hit. Is this the crowd control power of a martial artist? Suddenly, a wave of healing energy washed over Giang Khai. It was Noan. "Kai, hold on." He was shocked. "Why are you back? You aren't a combat class." Noan replied bravely. "I'm not leaving. A doctor can never abandon an injured patient, no matter how terrified they are." She remembered her father, who had fought desperately and died during a beast tide because he lacked medical support. Now that my own teammates need reinforcement, how could I possibly run away and leave everyone behind? Giang Khai felt his wounds vanish. With his strength restored, he smiled. "You guys really have no fear of death, do you?" He knew the grim reality even with the three of them working together. They still lacked the raw power to kill a ghost planet monster. Suddenly, a spark of inspiration hit him. "Wait, Noan. You mentioned something before. You said if we encountered venomous snakes, you could extract the toxin to buff the attack power of our weapons." He called out, Noan. "You said you could extract venom." "Right," she nodded firmly. "That's right," Giang Khai commanded. "Then heal Pillar while coating my spear with venom." Noan hesitated. "I've never tried both, but I'll give it my all." He glanced at the poison glistening on his spearhead. "This is it. If my theory is correct, this is our path to victory. I can't withstand their attacks, but Pillar can tank them, and while I lack the strength to kill them alone, Noan is a healer who can amplify my damage. Looking at us now, we're the perfect gaming trio. The tank, the healer, and the damage dealer." Noan shouted. Venom extraction complete. His courage surged. Who cared if they were just weak newbies? Giang Khai barked an order. "Pillar pin one of those monsters down for me." Pillar shifted his stance, full of confidence. "As long as the three of us are a team, each with our own role, we can do this." His fist slammed into the monster. At that exact moment, Giang Khai leaped into the air, aiming his spear at the other creature's heart. "Even if these things are newbie killers, we're going down fighting. Now." A notification flickered. Level 2 Ghoul Spirit eliminated. Current experience, 5 out of 100. Giang Khai exhaled in relief, while Vian Tru stood there in pure shock. It was a success. Noan was deeply moved by their incredible teamwork. With the vital support of Vian Tru and Noan, Giang Khai successfully brought down the terrifying human-faced beast. The remaining monster witnessed the kill, its eyes bulging with rage before letting out a blood-curdling, savage roar. Facing the beast's murderous gaze, the three stood their ground with unwavering resolve. Suddenly, a brilliant strategy flashed through their minds. Their battlefield coordination was proving to be exceptionally effective. Before the thought could even finish, both the monster and the trio charged simultaneously, signaling the start of another brutal clash. With Vian Tru pinning the beast down, Giang Khai dealing the blows, and Nuan healing. The battle reached a fever pitch. On the observation deck, Professor Lee and To Lam Lam watched the display in absolute, stunned silence, staring at the monitoring screen. She gasped in disbelief. What? This is impossible. The smartwatch data confirmed it. They had actually slain 2 human-faced beasts, monsters, that usually massacre entire rookie squads with ease. How on earth did these 3 pull off such an impossible feat? Professor Lee broke into a cold sweat as he analyzed the data, noting that Noan lacked any offensive capabilities. Even Vian Tru was only a level 1 martial apprentice, meaning his damage output should be incredibly weak. That meant only Giang Khai could be the killer. Yet strangely, the system couldn't identify his specific character class. Inside the observation room, a group of specialists gathered around the main screen, displaying Giang Khai's profile in bold letters. Name Giang Khai. Gender male. Age 18. Residence Jiang Trung slums. Class unknown ghoul spirit. To Lam. Lam's expression shifted to pure shock. An untraceable class. How can that even be possible? Questions raced through her mind. Who exactly was this rookie who could slay such beasts without a registered profession? The scene shifts as the system immediately processed the rewards for the 2 fallen human-faced beasts. Giang Khai acquired 2 level 2 beast corpses, exhausted but triumphant. The 3 collapsed onto the ground to catch their breath. Nuan, sheared, her voice trembling with joy. We did it. We actually succeeded. Vian Tru let out a boisterous laugh. I never knew Khai could be so cool under pressure. That was legendary. Nuan sat up, her eyes shining with hope. Now we can definitely make it to the finish line safely. Vian Tru nodded eagerly, agreeing that they should head straight for the exit to conclude their trial. As the 2 buzzed with excitement, Giang Khai sat up slowly and spoke with a calm, steady voice. There is no rush. We still have plenty of time left before we need to reach St. Brilliant City. His words left Vian Tru and Noan stunned, staring at him in utter and complete confusion. With a sharp, determined gaze, Giang Khai explained his plan. Don't you know, this trial is all about the points. The military awards high-tier gear to those in the top 3. Visions of powerful, glowing equipment danced in his mind. Military-grade gear is exceptional, he continued. It is exactly what a rookie needs to survive in this realm. He flicked open his system interface, eyeing their recent spoils with a calculating and ambitious gaze. We have the power to hunt now. More kills mean more points. And more points mean climbing the rankings. He glanced at his teammates, a confident and daring smirk playing on his lips as he concluded, so, why not hunt more monsters, rack up the points, and claim those legendary military rewards for ourselves? Shocked by his ambition, they eventually agreed. Hours later, the trio remained deep in the dark forest, searching for prey. Vian Tru, growing uneasy in the shadows, finally spoke up with a hint of doubt and fear. Hi? Are you sure I'm not scared? But why do I have to be the bait for these snakes? He stood surrounded by red-eyed serpents, their tongues flickering as they prepared to lunge and tear him apart. With tears nearly welling up, his voice shook. I'm going to be the first one to die. Aren't I? Watching from a high branch, Giang Khai called down. Stay strong. You're a martial apprentice built for both offense and defense. On a nearby branch, Nuan focused intensely, her healing aura ready to burst forth at a moment's notice. Besides, I added, Noan is right here to heal you. Suddenly, the snakes lunged from the shadows. They're coming. Show them your true strength, Giang Khai shouted as he leaped into action, cutting down the serpents. 3 snakes were eliminated instantly. The system chimed 3 level 1 green crawling snakes defeated. Experience 10 out of 100, surrounded by green-stride snakes. He gripped his weapons tightly. He knew the rule, only the killer claims the experience. Since he alone could slay them, the team let him lead. Fangsbael. The snakes lunged as Giang Khai charged forward. With all his might, he struck them down. On the Biwan, he had to level up first to ensure their survival. A day later, the forest was cleared. Khai collapsed, exhausted. System level 2 reached. The double effect is now active. Attribute points doubled. Explorer Giang Khai. Level 2 gambler. Finally, and a whole day of slaughter just to reach level 2. Yuan Zhu and Nuan were thrilled to see his progress. Nuan cheered while Yuan Zhu asked about his new attributes. I gained 20 attribute points this time. Giang Khai replied, total stats, 56. His teammates stood frozen in utter shock. How many? Yuan Zhu stammered, checking his own status screen. Level 1, martial student. Yuan Zhu. I only get 10 points. Normal players get 10. But you received 20 attribute points. Yuan Zhu had 26 points. Nuan checked her own status. Explorer Su Nuan. Level 1 doctor, 56 points. That's monstrous. You're basically a level 4 player. It's just my class trait. Giang Khai explained calmly. The gambler doubles rewards, but it also doubles all punishments. Keep it secret. Nuan nodded. Sensing his class's immense power, Yuanzu grumbled. Why is that cooler than my class? Suddenly, the AI brain materialized before the three of them. Level 2 grants 1 skill. But you shall receive two skills at level 2. Giang Khai was pleasantly surprised. Double skills. That's totally broken. Yuanzu shouted. The AI announced first class skill Phantom Hand Card Toss. It grants armor penetration. Specifically when throwing card type items, mental energy consumption is doubled. The skill is also upgradable. Second skill, Focused Demon Eye. Shown as a crimson-eyed icon. Vision and tracking increase. But mental drain is also double. 2 long-range skills. The Gambler class really fits me. Kai smiled, realizing he was becoming a formidable force. All right. I'm stronger now. Let's hunt even tougher monsters. Nuanuan smiled as Yuanju grumbled about Kai showing off. 2 days later, Su Lanlin watched the monitors intently. Professor Lai approached. Your sister is still alive. How unexpected. A rookie team surviving this long. Kai has real talent. Footsteps echoed as Officer Lam rushed into the room. Emergency. The rookie trial is in danger. Raise the alert. Everyone turned, their faces pale with sudden, chilling worry. A foreign power has sent a massive force to infiltrate. A commander entered, and the room instantly snapped to attention. A man stepped inside, his voice commanding the room. He was none other than the supreme commander of Zhangjiang Central, the highest authority in the region, Wei Ying. He paused for a moment before his tone turned grave. We must move quickly. Prepare for the counterstrike. Lam's hands trembled in disbelief. A large-scale foreign invasion, she asked, her voice tight with tension. Is this for real? Eldavai. Wei Ying let out a heavy sigh. I wouldn't be standing here if it were just a rumor. Lam's face went deathly pale as dread set in. This was bad. The invaders from Country L were notorious, a ruthless group that hunted other nations' novices to sabotage the growth of rare, specialized classes. Meanwhile, at the training grounds, those outside the barrier cheered loudly, their voices filled with hope. Good luck, one novice shouted back. We'll do our best. But just as the words left his mouth, a system notification flared into existence. The rules of the Ghost Star trials were absolute high-level players were strictly forbidden from entering the novice zone to provide aid. These rookies were forced to survive on their own. However, the professional invaders from Country L operated by a different set of rules, utilizing their unique invader class traits. They could infiltrate foreign novice zones with impunity, leaving the victims with no way to fight back. Their methods weren't just efficient, they were unimaginably cruel. They didn't just kill, they hunted novices like prey, forcing them to endure the sheer terror of a slow death. A dark memory surfaced a novice caught in their grasp. His name was Tran Hai. With a blade pressed against his throat, he wept and begged for mercy. But his pleas were met only with silence and agonizing screams. Please. Stop. Their goal was psychological ruin to torture rookies until they were too traumatized to ever log back into Ghost Star. When Tran Hai was finally sent back, he had completely lost his mind. Cowering and clutching his head, he whimpered, No. Kill me if you want, but I am never going back in there. To Lam. Lam slammed her fist onto the table, her eyes burning with righteous fury. Those bastards. She bit her lip, her voice trembling with rage. Known's mental threshold is already so low. If she crosses paths with those animals, Wei Ying sighed. His chas is somber. Ready the psychological counseling teams for the survivors. The invasion has already begun. For this novice trial, we must prepare ourselves for the reality that no one might make it out alive, deep within the forest. Giang Khai's group moved cautiously. Suddenly, Giang Khai stopped, his eyes sharpening with an intense, predatory alertness. Over there, he muttered. Seeing his sudden shift in demeanor, the team leader asked, What is it? Did you find something? Giang Khai's gaze remained icy as he gripped a heavy iron rod, ready to strike. Something is lurking. Vien Tru and Noen looked, but sensed nothing. Vien Tru frowned. Kai. What is the matter? We just walked through that area. It is empty. Noen nodded in agreement. There was nothing but shadows. But then, Giang Khai activated his ghost eye, and his pupils began to glow with an eerie light. No. It is much further out, he whispered. Focusing his intent, with an explosion of strength, he hurled the iron rod into the distance. The rod tore through the air with devastating force, a blur of silver whistling past the dense foliage and thick trunks of the forest. A distant thud echoed back. Giang Khai's expression shifted instantly, and he bolted toward the sound. Got him. Let us go check it out, he shouted. Vien Tru and Noen stood frozen, completely bewildered by his sudden burst of speed. Vien Tru scratched his head. There was clearly nothing there. What could he have possibly hit? Is he seeing ghosts or something? In the moonlit clearing on the other side of the woods, the iron rod was embedded deep, pinning a massive spined boar to the forest floor. As the group arrived and took in the sight, A glowing system prompt materialized before their eyes. Explorer Giang Khai has slain a level 2 spined wild boar. Current experience 199 out of 200. Tru's jaw dropped. Good grief. Kai, do you have eagle eyes? How did you spot a boar from that far away? Noan gasped, her hand covering her mouth in shock. Not only did he see it, but he took down a level 2 monster in a single blow. Giang Khai stepped forward and gripped the iron pipe, pulling it free with a sharp tug. It is nothing to be shocked about, he said coolly. Just a little perk of my new skill. Another system message popped up. Would you like to harvest the level 2 spined boar? Received 19 boar spines. Note, can be used as weapons. Without hesitation, Giang Khai tapped the confirmation. Yes. He opened his status window to inspect his collected cards. Ghost Hand Card Flinging was already boosting his projectile lethality significantly. His 2 core abilities were now Ghost Hand Card Flinging and Focused Ghost Eye. This skill acted like a high-powered telescope with a built-in slow-motion effect, making his long-range strikes pinpoint accurate. He looked at his latest acquisition, his mind already formulating a new strategy. This meant he could now eliminate low-level threats from a distance, becoming a silent assassin before they even knew he was there. He turned to his friends. All right. I am just a breath away from level 3. Let us head back to the hunting grounds and finish this. No nods in silent agreement, while True lets out a heavy, defeated sigh. I'm still stuck at level 1. The scene shifts to a rushing stream shrouded in darkness, where a chilling voice suddenly pierces the silence of the night. Captain, our luck isn't half bad today. Unaware of the predator lurking nearby, Giang Khai's trio continues across the water. A sinister whisper echoes through the trees. Who knew we'd stumble upon such a delicious little snack so soon? Something dark emerges from the depths of the flowing water, its voice dripping with malice as it breaks the surface. A group of figures rises from the shadows of the stream, led by a man named Giang Khai. New toys to play with. A sneers. Giang Khai instantly snaps into a defensive stance, shielding known as he shouts, "Identify yourselves. Who goes there?" Giang Khai slowly unsheathes the massive blade from his back. "See now. Little brat. We're not the villains here." He and his comrades fix their predatory gazes on the trio, their faces twisted into horrific and bloodthirsty grins. "We just want to carve you open, hang you up, and watch your blood dry. Or perhaps use you as live bait." Their chilling laughter rings out as they close the circle. Another figure rises from the stream, adjusting his cap. "Our goal is simple." Giang Khai watches the newcomer with a mixture of pure terror and intense curiosity. The figure wears a sharp-beaked mask with glowing eyes. It's Mo Kwa, the captain of the 2nd Border Crosser Unit, stepping onto the bank. "Claris. I'm here to ensure none of you, Holy Radiance rookies, survive this trial." Trembling with fear, Known finally recognizes their attackers. "Hi. These people, I know who they are. They're border crossers, notorious killers who hunt down newcomers." Giang Khai and True turn to her, completely stunned. "What did you say?" True exclaims. No one quickly activates her holographic watch, displaying the criminals' profiles. "I've scanned their power levels. Every single one of them is at level 3 or even higher. And their leader, he's a level 5. The sheer weight of that realization leaves her mind completely paralyzed. Giang Khai grits his teeth, his gaze turning razor sharp. A level 5 adventurer, and they have the numbers advantage. With my current stats, I can handle a level 4. But against a level 5, I'll have to. His train of thought is shattered by Mo Kwa's murderous voice. "All right, boys. Shall we begin the festivities?" Giang Khai's mind races in desperation. Damn it, there's only one way to play this. He suddenly bolts, shouting to his companions. "Trutu. Noan. Stick together, we're splitting up." The pair is left bewildered. Mo Kwa and his crew can only smirk at the sight. Every man for himself. How pathetic. He mocks. Is this the legendary camaraderie of the Holy Radiance Academy? Truly disappointing. His eyes flare a menacing crimson as he barks an order. "You two. Hunt down the runner and end him. The other 2 are ours to torture slowly." 2 level 3 elites, Jiang Chua and Siknyan, acknowledge the command. The deadly game of cat and mouse begins as the 2 killers vanish into the woods after Giang Khai. They pursue him relentlessly through the dense forest. Zichnan cackles. "The little brat sure knows how to move." Jiang Kwa grunts in response. "It doesn't matter. He'll be in our clutches soon enough." Suddenly, Giang Khai vanishes. In the blink of an eye, his presence completely disappears from their sight. Jiang Kwa's eyes widen in shock. The 2 killers slide to a halt, scanning their surroundings with newfound caution. They stand back to back, covering each other's blind spots, playing hide and seek. "Kid, come out and face us." Sichnaun sneers. "This is getting exciting. Once I find you, I'm going to snap your legs like twigs." Out of nowhere, an iron pipe whistles through the air with lethal velocity. Shichnan draws his blade, laughing. The rookie wants to fight back. A pathetic strike like this won't even. A blinding flash cuts him off before he can even react. Sichnan is blasted backward by an absolutely devastating force. Giang Khai watches in disbelief as his partner is sent flying 100 meters. What happened? Why did you fly off? But as he looks closer, his pupils contract in horror. Sichnan lies slumped against a tree, impaled through the chest, dead in a single blow. How is this possible? Giang Khai steps out from the shadows with a calm smirk. One strike. One kill. Is this all a raider is worth? Radiant energy swirls around him as he holds the boar quills. You're much weaker than I anticipated. Giang Khai frantically checks his scanner, his voice trembling. A rookie. How could a rookie kill a level 3? He stares at the screen in terror. Warning: critical hit rate unknown. Fatal damage potential indeterminable. At that moment, Giang Khai trembled violently as he pointed a finger at the youth. What is this? I am level 3 with only 45 attribute points. But this newbie's total is 60. How is that even possible? Giang Khai merely gave a cold smirk in response. Why wouldn't it be possible? Before the words even left his lips, Giang Khai lunged forward like a predator, striking before the man could even blink. The speed was overwhelming. Giang Khai fell to his knees before Giang Khai, a broken groan escaping his lips. Seeing both enemies neutralized, Giang Khai stood still, lost in thought for a moment. It worked. His total attributes were now on par with a level 4, making it easy work to execute a level 3 opponent. His earlier retreat was nothing more than a strategic lure to separate them and pick them off one by one. He was still a bit shy of the level 3 mark, but based on his old knowledge from Earth, killing other adventurers was the fastest way to bridge that gap. Before he could finish his thought, the AI brain manifested and spoke. You have successfully eliminated an adventurer. You may now claim the Fallen's watches. Furthermore, before the adventurer's physical vessel dissipates into nothingness, do you wish to confirm the extraction of their experience points? 2 level 3 adventurers are worth 100 points each. Whatever you take, they will lose double the amount. Hearing this, a surge of pure excitement washed over Giang Khai's face. So I really can plunder their experience. Farming adventurers is far more lucrative than hunting monsters, he remarked. Then I will take exactly 100 points from each of them. The AI brain acknowledged the command and vanished as a new system notification flashed before his eyes. Congratulations, you have reached level 3. Giang Khai stared intensely at his status window, his heart racing. Finally, he had ascended to level 3. The glowing interface displayed adventurer Giang Khai, class gambler. Level 3. He stepped toward the fallen bodies of Red Eye and Jiang Ku, leaning down to snatch the watches from their wrists while muttering under his breath. His total attributes had now soared to 76 points. A staggering number, considering a typical level 5 only possesses around 60, clutching an iron pipe with a grip of steel and eyes full of resolve. He began to march back. Now, I finally have the power to save the others. Meanwhile, the situation for Yuan Zhu and Noan was reaching a breaking point. Zhu was badly wounded, blood staining the ground as it poured from his arm, while Noan's clothes were shredded and tattered from the struggle. Han Sat, one of the hunters closing in on them, let out a mocking laugh at their pathetic state. A martial artist and a nurse. If to think we would stumble upon 2 high-tier holy light classes here. Laman stood beside him, a cruel smirk playing on her lips. Such delicious prey for us to feast on. Another assailant, balancing a wicked short sword in his hand, watched Noan desperately trying to heal Yuan Zhu. He sneered. Take your time and grind them down slowly. Tears welled in Noan's eyes as she whispered to her companion. Zhu, Kai is being hunted by 2 assassins. Do you really think he can make it back alive? Yuan Zhu gritted his teeth against the searing pain and looked her in the eye. He'll make it. I know he will. Despite his usual flirtatious nature, Zhu was a different man in the heat of battle. Meanwhile, a pair of sharp eyes watched the hunters from the shadows of the forest. Looking at the invaders surrounding them, Zhu's mind raced. He knew that when it came to his friends, he would never give up, no matter how desperate the odds. Suddenly, the leader known as Crowbeak interrupted his thoughts. I'm bored of these games. It's time to skin them alive. Hansat nodded in cold agreement, but Zhu's mind remained fixed on his friend. He knew Giang Khai would show up. Without warning, Giang Khai burst from the tree line like a localized hurricane. Blue lightning arced across his body as he hurled a projectile at the invaders. 2 of the hunters stepped forward to finish off Zhu and Noan, but before they could react, something whistled through the air and pierced their skulls. Noan stared in shock at the carnage unfolding before her eyes. She recognized the weapons immediately, the very daggers used by their attackers. Yuan Zhu let out a weak smile. I told you. I knew he'd come back for us. Even Crowbeak was momentarily stunned by the sudden violence. He barked into the darkness. Who's there, you coward? Come out and face me if you have the guts. Crowbeak spun around, searching the dense foliage, but the forest was eerily silent. There was no movement. No sound, only the presence of a hidden predator. A cold shiver ran down his spine as his pupils dilated in fear. He couldn't see anything. He had no idea where the attack had come from. Was this some hidden class granted to a new recruit, overcome by a sudden, primal instinct of dread? He abruptly turned to flee. Run, we have to get out of here. Yuan Zhu and No Known watched in utter disbelief as the terrifying leader turned tail. Known could hardly believe her eyes as she cried out. The captain. He's actually running away. Then, emerging from the oppressive gloom, a figure appeared. It was Giang Khai. His face a mask of cold fury as he gripped an iron pipe. You dared to lay a hand on my brothers, and now you think you can just leave. Give me your life. With a roar, Giang Khai launched the iron pipe. It tore through the air, piercing Crowbeak's body with such force that it triggered a violent explosion. Crowbeak let out one final, agonizing scream before collapsing into the dirt. Motionless, as the dust settled over the battlefield, the bodies of the invaders lay scattered across the clearing. Giang Khai walked slowly out of the woods and approached No Known. The bandits are dealt with. No Known. Are you all right? Seeing him, her eyes finally overflowed with tears of relief. You're finally back. She moved to throw herself into his arms, her voice trembling with grief. But Zhu, his wounds are too deep. I've done everything I can, but I can't stop the bleeding. Pillar collapsed onto the blood-stained earth, his body mangled and his life force fading fast. He looked at Giang Khai with heavy eyes. Guy, I knew you'd return, but I won't make it. His strength vanished as he slumped down. I'm going ahead. Known knelt beside him, weeping. Pillar's trembling hand reached toward Giang Khai. Guy. No on. Listen to me. He wheezed. Adventuring with you was my greatest joy. Please, carry my legacy with you. His eyes slowly closed. You must overcome this trial. Known burst into tears. Crying out for her dear brother Pillar, Giang Khai stepped forward, looking down with clenched fists. Are you quite finished yet? Pillar. Suddenly, he hurled a wounded intruder onto Pillar. Stop mumbling nonsense and wake up already. Known froze. As Pillar screamed in pain and jolted upright, he stared at the surviving enemy. Giang Khai smirked. I dragged 6 of them back. They are barely alive. Just for you. Kill them for the experience points. Leveling up will completely restore your health. No, gasped. It was true. On Ghost Star, slaying explorers was the fastest way to gain massive experience. Pillar was stunned. Wait. Really? Did I just give that dramatic death speech for nothing? Giang Khai chuckled, changing the subject. They tortured you earlier, didn't they? Well, it is our turn. We will pay them back tenfold. Go ahead. Take the last hit however you like. The two shared a sinister grin. It was time for some karmic justice. An intruder tried crawling. Pillar laughed mischievously. Oh, Guy. This really isn't very nice of us. Is it? Their predatory gazes locked onto the survivor. Not nice, in St. Glory. We call this a gift. Pillar reached out toward the intruder. In that case, I will uphold our traditions very seriously. The intruder shrieked in terror. Stay back, you. You are all nothing but heartless demons. Meanwhile, at the Research Institute of the Overseer Bureau, chaos erupted as alarms blared incessantly. Scientists scrambled as terrified screams filled the halls. It is a nightmare. This is pure horror. Survivors woke up in a panic. Blue Shadow trembled. A monster appeared. He slaughtered us all. Han Sha bolted upright in his pod, drenched in cold sweat. He roared. My experience is gone. My entire level just dropped. High Leader. Huang Kai stared at the monitors in disbelief, his face pale with shock. What is this madness? How could our elite team be decimated like this? He demanded. Has a new class emerged to counter us? Meanwhile, back at the St. Glory Kingdom, Professor Lee gripped his tablet, his voice shaking. Sir, we have a major emergency. Known's data just arrived. Her squad engaged those illegal traversers. Lam panicked instantly. Is she okay? Commander Wei Ying sighed. No rookie has ever survived an encounter with them. We must prepare ourselves for the worst. They are likely already dead. He added grimly. No. Commander, you do not understand, the professor shouted, pointing at the massive display screen. According to the live feed, they did not just survive. Their levels are skyrocketing right now. Lam and Wei Ying froze. What? That is impossible. Lam gasped. Wei Ying narrowed his eyes. How did the enemy somehow help them farm monsters? Unlikely. Lee replied, checking the logs. One level might be luck. But this is different. The data shows they have jumped 2 full levels in a single instant. There is only one logical explanation for a power spike this massive. They killed the traversers. The commander's cup shattered on the floor, water splashing everywhere. Commander Lam called out. Wei Ying stood abruptly, Show me their stats right now. Professor Lee nodded and swiped his screen, projecting the team's profiles onto the main wall. Giang Khai rank unknown, class unknown, to known. Known level 3, combat medic. Yuan Zhu, level 3, martial artist. The room fell into a heavy, shocked silence. Wei Ying grinned fiercely. Level 3. It is true. Only killing those bastards grants such power. Lam Lam was still in utter disbelief, her voice trembling with doubt. This simply couldn't be real. Known's class is strictly non-combat, and the early stage damage of a martial disciple is pitifully low. Could Giang Khai really have defeated all those trespassers alone? It sounded too exaggerated. Wei Ying just laughed. I'm certain it was Giang Khai. But why is his class listed as unknown? What's the story here? Professor Lee stared intensely at his tablet, his mind racing as he began to speculate. I found some intel on him. His status is unknown because every explorer on Planet Ghost needs a watch. But Giang Khai is using a relic, the very first generation. As he spoke, the professor projected the image. The first generation watch was the very first piece of tech ever used on Planet Ghost. The servers for those models were abandoned 10 years ago, making a connection nearly impossible. That's why we can't see him. Lam gasped. What? In this day and age, who on earth still uses a first-generation watch? Wei Ying chuckled, finding it all very intriguing. Meanwhile, Lam turned to the professor and demanded, bring me every single document you have on Giang Khai. I need to know exactly who this kid is. He nodded and set to work. Meanwhile, Yuan Zhu opened his status window, his face flushing with pure excitement. He cheered. This is insane. I actually leveled up and my health is completely restored. I'm fully recharged. Known checked her own status, her heart racing as she clenched her fists. I leveled up too. Yuan Zhu spotted a new skill and began jumping around like a excited child. And look, a class skill, Earth-Shattering Stomp. I can blow away any enemy nearby. It's so powerful. Skill activated Earth-Shattering Stomp. Known tentatively tapped her notification screen. A new skill had finally been unlocked. Healer's Heart, she said joyfully. I've activated the Healer's Heart skill. Now my recovery powers are much stronger than before. Seeing their joy, Giang Khai rested his chin on his hand. Warrior and healer skills. Those are very practical. Yuan Zhu swaggered over to Kai, a mischievous grin spreading across his face as he began to tease him. Hey Kai, check it out. I'm a level higher than you now. Maybe I can finally take you down. Giang Khai simply smirked and pulled up his own status window. You really think being level 3 is enough? I'm already level 4. Take a look at these attributes. Yuan Zhu's eyes nearly popped out as his jaw dropped. What? How he clutched his head in disbelief. How are you level 4 already? You were just level 2. Known's eyes sparkled with pure admiration. And his total attributes are 96. That's like a level 8 explorer. Giang Khai remained perfectly calm as he looked at his stunned friends and gave them his answer. I killed 1 trespasser while escaping to hit level 3. Then took out 5 more here to reach level 4. Yuan Zhu wailed in frustration. Why do you have to be so much cooler than me? I can't take it. Known stepped forward and asked seriously. Phi, what's our next move? He looked back, his gaze sharpening. He paused for a heartbeat before making his decision. That captain mentioned they were only the second squad. So, next, we go and hunt down the first squad. Both Yuan Zhu and Noen froze, shouting, what? Half a day later? Deep within the rookie forest, a group was moving through the trees. A loud laugh echoed. What an absolute joke. A group of hardened thugs were talking. One of them perched arrogantly on a branch. The second squad got wiped out by a bunch of rookies. I wouldn't believe that in my wildest dreams. A man below him with jagged teeth spat on the ground. Exactly. They should have just retired long ago. This was Wild Fang, a level 5 veteran and a member of the elite first trespasser squad. A massive, scarred man with tattooed arms interrupted them. Don't be careless. If the higher-ups warned us, stay sharp. He was Iron Tyrant, the level 5 captain of the first squad. Another member snorted with pure disdain. Stay sharp for what? The level cap here is 5. And our entire squad is already at level 5. In this forest, we are gods. We'll kill anyone in our way. Another thug immediately roared in agreement. Meanwhile, Giang Khai's group was hidden nearby. Watching the thugs from the safety of the dark shadows, Yuan Zhu crouched low, his voice trembling with anxiety. Kai, for real, you want to fight 9 level 5s? Fear gripped Known as she whispered. Maybe we should just leave. But Kai didn't move. His eyes locked on. Don't be afraid, he said softly, a dangerous glint appearing in his eyes. With my current attributes, even if we are outmatched, I can still cover our retreat. Besides, if we do not take them out now, they will just hunt down more of our country's rookies. Without a second thought, Giang Khai lunged forward, gripping his iron pipe tightly as he shouted, the best defense is a relentless offense. Before Yuan Zhu and Yuan could even react, Kai had already charged into the fray. Hey! Wait, they cried out in shock. Tiba sensed the movement and whipped around, his gaze sharp with suspicion. Seeing a figure hurtling toward them, he clenched his fists and barked a warning to his team. Look out, we have company. The group turned as one. Yilang checked his status window and let out a mocking sneer. Relax. It is just a level 4 newbie. Hey, Ying narrowed his eyes cautiously. A level 4, surviving out here is a miracle for a rookie. How did he level up? He might be the one who wiped out the second squad. A sinister grin crept across Taiba's face. If that is true, we have just stumbled upon a massive prize. He raised his hand, signaling the unit. Maintain formation, stay alert and hunt him down. Capturing him means a major promotion. Sir, the mob roared, charging like starving wolves. Meanwhile, Giang Khai was busy leading them into his trap. He glanced over his shoulder, his brow furrowed in concentration. Damn. These invaders actually know how to hold a tight formation. The plan was simple: lure them in, then wait for Zhu to trigger his earth-shattering stomp to launch them all into the air. He needed them airborne to finish them off in one clean sweep. But their line was spread too thin. If Zhu could not hit them all at once, the plan would fail. Kai's mind raced as the pursuers closed in. At this rate, a few of them might slip away. No. We need a better opening. Suddenly, Giang Khai skidded to a halt. If he wanted to ensure total annihilation, he had to take a massive risk. He pivoted sharply, one hand slamming into the dirt as he channeled every ounce of strength into his makeshift weapon. He threw himself back toward the enemy, crackling blue lightning erupting across his skin. It was a bold gamble. He was going to use himself as the ultimate bait. Yilang and Hai Ying, leading the charge, froze in their tracks. They could not believe their eyes. Why was this kid suddenly coming back for more? Before they could process it, Kai was upon them. Yilang lunged forward with his blade, a manic laugh escaping his lips. Nowhere left to run. Did fear finally freeze your legs? He swung his blade, carving a deep gash into Kai's arm. Time to wake up. Brat. Blood sprayed from the wound, staining the ground crimson. Kai gritted his teeth, swallowing the pain. Not yet. He whispered to himself. They are still not close enough. He spun around and took off again. Yilang roared in frustration. You think you can still escape? As the invaders began to cluster together, Kai's eyes narrowed. Got them. He Ying raised his dagger, hissing. Let us skin him alive. Kai dove back into the thick of them once more. His mind focused on one thing, just a little bit closer. He danced through the chaos, weaving past every blade and strike with impossible grace. Taiba watched in disbelief. What the hell is going on? But it was too late. Kai had already closed the distance. His iron pipe aimed straight for Taiba's throat. Cold sweat poured down the captain's face. Level 5 my foot. How can a level 4 rookie dodge every single attack? He Ying checked his tracker again and let out a terrified scream. Captain. Something is wrong. The device was flashing red, screaming out a warning. The initial scan was too fast to catch his true stats. But the high-grade sensor just finished. I cannot see his total power, but his agility is off the charts. Kai was a blur of blue light now, his eyes glowing with divine intensity. He Ying's voice trembled. It is nearly 30 points. Taiba's jaw dropped, his voice failing him. 30. That is impossible. Yilang barked, turning back. Your sensor must be broken. My agility is not even 20. If he were that fast, I would not have been able to land a single scratch on him. Taiba stood frozen in a defensive stance, watching Kai weave through his men like a ghost. Sensors do not lie. If he is really that fast, then he was not running away. He was leading us. The realization hit him like a physical blow. It is a trap. Everyone scatter now. But his men could only stare in confusion. What's standing at the heart of the enemy formation? Kai's eyes blazed. He let out a cold, sharp huff. You idiots finally figured it out. I lured you all into one spot. And now you think you can just leave. Before he even finished his sentence, a crackle of golden electricity lit up the sky above them. It is far too late for that. Yuan Zhu plummeted from the heavens like a meteor, his body wreathed in a blinding golden aura. He unleashed his ultimate skill, earth-shattering stomp. A massive explosion erupted instantly, sending the intruders flying as they let out strangled cries. Watching the chaos, Giang Khai smirked. Excellent work, Pilar. Suddenly, blue electricity crackled across Giang Khai's skin. He gripped the same twin daggers he had used to annihilate the second infiltration squad. Seizing the momentum created by Pilar's devastating blow, Giang Khai lunged forward like a predator. I'll take it from here, he called out. In a heartbeat, the first squad of intruders lay scattered and defeated across the dirt. As he came to a halt, the shimmering aura around his body slowly faded. Kai exhaled sharply, satisfied with the total cleanup. Witnessing the carnage, Pilar let out a frantic roar of disbelief. 9 level 5 combatants. All wiped out. Kai, you're a total monster. Just then, a system notification flashed before Giang Kai's eyes. Adventurer Giang Khai has eliminated 5 level 5 poachers. Acquired 2,000 experience points. Adventurer Giang Khai has reached the beginner zone's level cap, level 5. He glanced at his updated status window and let out a faint smile. Finally, he had reached the peak of level 5. He mused to himself. If killing a higher level adventurer doubles the EXP, does a level 5 target really grant 400 points? Known, stared at Giang Khai with unmistakable adoration, letting out a small gasp of wonder. Kai, you're level 5, I heard. That's the absolute limit for the beginner village, Pillar added. Man, you're officially number 1. Turning back, Giang Khai replied with cool composure. It's nothing special. Hunting other adventurers simply yields higher experience rewards. He looked down at the 4 survivors, gasping for their final breaths on the blood-stained ground. I left these 4 with just a sliver of health. You 2 should finish them off to claim the EXP. Known nodded eagerly. Understood. What's the plan now? Kai Pillar asked. Giang Khai looked toward the horizon. Previously, I hunted solo to grind for upgrade points. Now that I've reached my goal, I'm going to lead you both on a hunt to farm your own points. By the time you've gathered enough, we'll be at the finish line. Hearing this, Known and Pillar beamed with excitement. Known's eyes crinkled into half moons as she smiled. That sounds like a plan. Bubbling with newfound confidence, Pillar flexed his bulging biceps and declared, finally, it's our turn to slay some monsters. With the intruders dealt with, the trio ventured deeper into the dense forest to continue their hunt. Giang Khai took point, issuing a stern warning. Stay sharp. Everyone, we're near the exit, so the point drop rate should be much higher here. However, the closer we get, the deadlier the monsters become. There might even be a zone boss. Stay alert. Kai led. With Pillar guarding the rear, both men remained hyper-vigilant of every shadow, while Known followed closely behind Kai, nodding silently in response to his warning. Suddenly, the trio froze in horror at the sight ahead, a mangled human-faced beast carcass. Its body had been torn apart beyond recognition, its milky white eyes bulging out in a gruesome, frozen stare, trembling at the sight of the mangled remains. Known stammered. It's a human-faced beast. Pillar couldn't hide his unease either. Look at those deep puncture wounds. Was it bitten to death by something even bigger? Giang Khai remained calm, activating his specialized ghost eye talent. Strange. Ancient runes immediately began swirling within his pupils. While scanning the mutilated beast on the ground, he shared his observations with the group. I saw a golden flash from a distance earlier. Could a golden tier monster have slaughtered these 2 beasts? Known blinked. A golden creature. The 3 were completely unaware that a pair of eyes was watching them from the darkness, tracking their every move. Suddenly, a surge of golden power erupted as a shimmering sphere of energy hurtled toward them from afar. Pillar didn't even notice it behind him. He was still rambling. What kind of creature could take down 2 human-faced beasts? I hope it's not looking for us. Without warning, the golden orb discharged lethal bolts of electricity, arcing straight toward Known and Giang Khai. Unable to react in time, Known was struck, letting out a cry of pure agony. What on earth was that? Pillar reflexively shielded himself, squinting through the glare. Gold. It's the golden creature. It's actually hunting us. After its initial strike, the golden blur lunged directly at Giang Khai. He stood his ground, eyes wide as he tracked its movement, clutching his injured arm. Pillar screamed a warning. Kai, look out. Its damage is insane. Don't let that thing bite you. Giang Khai discarded the iron pipe in his hand and reached out, snatching the golden light right out of the air. Known and Pillar watched, one paralyzed by worry and the other stunned into silence. Their eyes locked on Kai. Even Giang Khai stood stunned for a moment, realizing he had caught the threat barehanded. It was a round, chubby golden mouse. Pillar was speechless. What, that thing was so fast. Yet Kai caught it. Known covered her mouth in shock. Barehanded Giang Khai stared at the rodent squirming in his grip. Wait. You guys thought this thing was fast. It's just a fat mouse. The mouse erupted in a squeaky rage. You bastard, who are you calling slow and fat? I only let you catch me by mistake. Giang Khai watched the creature scold him and let out a soft chuckle. This little rat is quite stubborn. If I let go, let's see if you can actually escape. Suddenly, the mouse's eyes erupted with golden light. How dare you underestimate me, it shrieked, charging at Giang Khai like golden lightning. Vien Tru clutched his head and screamed, Khai, you idiot, why did you let it go? That thing killed those human-faced monsters. Giang Khai casually snatched the mouse again, his voice calm. Don't worry. To me, it's far too slow. Kai continued to catch and release the mouse repeatedly, toying with it as if it were a mere plaything in his palm. Vien Tru stood frozen, his face pale with shock. What? Since when was Kai that fast? Known covered her mouth in pure admiration. Incredible. After a few minutes, the mouse finally waved the white flag, snuggling into Giang Kai's hand. The little beast was now completely tamed. Looking at the docile creature, Giang Khai remarked, I guess I've broken its spirit. It's not going anywhere now. Vien Tru's jaw dropped in disbelief. Kai, did you seriously just catch a pet using raw hand speed? They turned back to the monster corpses. Kai continued, I'm not sure if this little guy can be trained for combat yet, but scavenging these 2 monster corpses is a huge win. Placing the tiny mouse on his shoulder, Giang Khai turned to his friends. Non. You both only need a little more experience for level 4. Each take a corpse. Then we'll hunt more monsters. We must hit level 5 before this trial ends. Seeing the chubby mouse, Non's eyes lit up as she nodded. He's so adorable. Meanwhile, Vien Tru looked absolutely crushed. He sighed heavily, feeling the massive gap between their abilities compared to Kai. A martial artist like me feels totally useless. Scene change. Deep within the forest, a figure trudged forward with weary steps. He wore a deep green cloak that obscured his face, leaving only a few strands of hair visible to the world. Spotting something ahead, he let out an ecstatic laugh. Finally, I've reached the end of this newbie zone at last. Looming before him was a colossal fortress, St. Brilliant's city. He began to climb the long stone staircase toward the summit. The massive city gates slowly creaked open, and a squad of spear-wielding guards marched out to meet him. 3 men descended the stairs toward the traveler. The leader stepped forward with a welcoming nod. Nubia, congratulations on passing the trial. We are your guides. Welcome to your official start as an adventurer of the Ghost Star. The guide, Hadao, placed a hand on his shoulder. Unfortunately, someone has already claimed the first place spot. But rankings aren't everything. Surviving this trial is an achievement in itself. Before he could finish, the traveler brushed his hand away with a cold snort. Officer, I wasn't the first to arrive. He threw down his collected monster cards, his voice dripping with arrogance. But what makes you think I'm not number 1? The 3 guides gasped at the sheer volume of cards. Havi, standing behind Ha Dao, shouted, What? The rankings are based on points, and with this many monster souls, your score will be astronomical. Hadao stammered. How could one person kill so many? The traveler pulled back his hood, a condescending smirk on his face. Beneath was a young man with spiky blonde hair. He declared, I am the 2nd young master of the Huang family, a future elite of the Xuanwu Guild. I underwent special training long before I ever set foot on Ghost Star. Hadao and Havi froze in shock. The Huang family, the ones who own the legendary Xuanwu Guild. The Xuanwu Guild was one of the 10 great guilds. Hadao quickly changed his tone to one of celebration. Then congratulations, based on points. You aren't just first in this trial, you might be top 10 in all St. Brilliance. Huang Vai threw his arms wide and laughed toward the sky. Mark my words, today is just the beginning. Taking first place is only the first step. Soon, this entire Ghost Star will belong to my era. Scene change. Deep within the trial grounds, Giang Kai's group continued their hunt through the silent woods, yet they found nothing. Giang Khai grew suspicious. Strange. Usually, the closer to the goal, the more monsters appear. Why is it empty? He glanced over his shoulder. Could this mouse have scared them all off? No. That's impossible. Noan. Trailing behind, was too busy watching the chubby mouse sleep on Giang Kai's hood. She whispered softly, But he's just so cute. Suddenly, a thunderous boom shook the earth, forcing them to spin around in terror. Massive, razor-sharp claws tore through the soil. Giang Kai's eyes widened. It's a shadowless wolf. A pack of ferocious wolves emerged, closing in. Finally, a colossal beast stepped forward, each stride pulsing with azure energy. With silver-white fur and a jagged scar, the newbie zone boss appeared, the shadowless wolf king, back to back. Giang Khai, Noan, and Yuan Zhu formed a desperate defensive triangle, their faces drained of color, turning a sickly shade of purple as Giang Khai recognized the beast and roared. Damn it, that's the Shadowless Wolf King, the beginner zone boss. There were no monsters because we've stumbled right into its lair before they could even react. A snarling pack of wolves had completely encircled the 3 of them. We're surrounded, they cried out in terrifying unison. Yuan Zhu turned toward Giang Khai, his eyes brimming with tears of pure dread. Kai, I heard the Wolf King is the strongest entity here. It's never been defeated. Encountering it means certain death. What do we do? Giang Kai's grip tightened around his iron pipe until his knuckles turned white. His mind raced frantically. The pack was too massive. Alone, he might have had a chance to escape. But he couldn't leave Zhu and Noan behind. There was only one option left. A desperate gamble. Stealing his resolve, he charged forward, shouting to his frozen companions. Juno and known, we can't run. Our only hope of breaking this siege is to take down the Wolf King itself, coordinate our attacks, and kill the Wolf King. Realizing it was their only shot, they nodded in grim agreement. Right, as Giang Khai lunged, Yuanzhu unleashed his raw power, slamming his fist into the earth with a deafening roar. Take this. The impact triggered a massive explosion, sending jagged bolts of electricity surging straight toward the heavens. The very ground trembled as the shockwave sent the wolf pack flying back. Giang Khai grinned. Nice crowd control. Zhu, he quickly barked his next command. Noan. Now coat my weapon in green viper venom. She didn't hesitate. On it, she shouted. Extracting the poison instantly, it was Giang Khai's turn, activating two skills simultaneously. He bellowed. Now. Witness my power, Ghost Eye Focus, Ghost Hand Card Toss. A blinding torrent of radiant energy erupted from him. A devastating projectile streaking directly toward the Wolf King. The beast let out a thunderous howl, baring its jagged fangs in a menacing, guttural snarl. Its eyes burned with murderous rage as it locked onto the trio. No. Yuanzhu. And even Giang Khai stood frozen, their mouths agape with sheer dread. Giang Khai gritted his teeth, shouting in disbelief. What I couldn't even dent the Wolf King's defense, the Wolf King bared its razor-sharp teeth and pounced. Seeing their alpha charge, the rest of the pack lunged forward. Snapping their jaws at the trio, they were instantly overwhelmed by a sea of fur and claws, wounded and trembling. No one stammered. This is bad. The Wolf King is commanding an all-out assault nearby. Yuanzhu was using his brute strength, desperately prying open, a wolf snapping jaws with his bare hands, struggling to hold the beast back. It gasped. Kai direct attacks aren't working. Isn't there any other way? Giang Khai was in the same desperate position, fighting off the relentless wolves. His mind frantically searched for a solution. It's no use. The Wolf King's armor is too thick, and this endless swarm is going to bury us alive. Just then, the fat mouse dozing on Giang Kai's hat was jolted awake by the chaos. It let out a tiny, high-pitched scream. Piss off. Seeing the wolves lunging at them, its little face twisted with annoyance. It didn't take long for the creature to realize these mangy mutts were the ones disturbing its slumber. While Giang Khai fought for his life, the tiny mouse reached its boiling point. Suddenly, its small body erupted in a blaze of spiritual fire, gritting its teeth in pure rage. It fumed. Who dares disturb my precious nap? In a flash, the mouse launched itself forward, a burst of golden radiance sweeping through the pack like a divine scythe. With fire in its eyes, it lunged at the Wolf King, its tiny fangs sinking deep. The massive beast could only howl in agonizing pain as the mouse shredded its hide. Giang Khai watched in shock. That mouse. It actually pierced the king's hide. Seizing the opening, he instantly activated Ghost Eye Focus. His vision sharpened, zeroing in on the fresh wounds torn open on the Wolf King's body. He realized this was his chance. Did that little guy just create a structural weakness? Perfect. My previous attacks failed because of its high defense. But now that its skin is torn, I just need to strike those exact spots. His train of thought broke as he jammed his hand into a wolf's maw, holding it back while his other hand prepped a final skill, channeling every ounce of power into his iron pipe. He hurled it at the Wolf King, knowing that its legendary defense would no longer save it. The pipe struck true, piercing the beast and making it scream in agony. The little mouse, still clinging on, was sent tumbling to the ground with a dull thud. Seeing the tide finally turn, his confidence surged. Giang Khai didn't stop, launching 3 short daggers in quick succession. It's working. If I keep using Ghost Eye to target the openings, we can actually win this. Under Giang Khai's relentless barrage of precision strikes, the Wolf King was battered and bloodied, its fur soaked in crimson. Finally, Giang Khai delivered a crushing finishing blow, triggering a devastating 200 times critical hit that caused the beast to explode. The shockwave was so massive, it forced Noan and Yuanzhu to look away, shielding her eyes. Noan gasped. What just happened? Kai just... Yuanzhu stammered. He just one-shotted the shadowless Wolf King. Even Giang Khai stood frozen in disbelief as a system notification flashed. Congratulations, player Giang Khai has defeated the beginner zone boss, the shadowless Wolf King. He stared at the screen, his mind reeling. Wait. What I was prepared for a long battle, but I actually triggered a 200 times critical. Well, I guess that works too. It's been ages since I landed a crit anyway. I guess the heavens finally decided to give me a break. Seeing their king fall, the wolves panicked like a headless snake and began to retreat in terror. As the pack turned to flee, No, called out Kai. Look, the wolves, they're actually running away. Giang Khai turned to his team. Noan. Can you still fight? They both shouted. Yes, as Giang Khai pressed on. Then let's go. Recharge with adrenaline. He charged forward. Without the Wolf King's command, the pack was leaderless. These beasts were now nothing more than fish on a chopping block. Vian Tru gritted his teeth. Time for payback. Don't let a single one escape, they roared together. Kill. The trio plunged into the fray with perfect synchronization. Giang Khai and Vian Tru led the assault while no one provided crucial healing support from the rear. Only when the last wolf collapsed did the three let out a triumphant laugh. Finally, the battle was over. Surveying the battlefield, Zhu Tu grinned. I can't believe we actually took down a beginner zone world boss. No one cheered. We're actually amazing. Kai turned to them. I left some shadow wolves alive with low health. Go finish them for points. Noan nodded eagerly, ready to claim their hard-earned rewards. Zhu Tu asked. What's next? Kai replied. We have a mountain of points now. Next we head for the finish line. Hours later, as the sun finally rose over the horizon, the trio finally reached the destination. The area was teeming with people and bustling with incredible energy. Zhu Tu marveled at his surroundings. Is this our Sacred Radiance Kingdom's territory on the Soul Star? Noan gasped. It's magnificent. Giang Khai smiled warmly at their excitement. Of course it is. Sacred Radiance City is our kingdom's greatest hub here. Suddenly, the mouse on his hood leaped down and scurried off. Noan shouted in surprise. Hey! That little mouse is running away. Giang Khai remained calm. It's fine. That is its freedom. If fate allows, we will surely cross paths again. The final reception hall for newbies was packed with crowds. A guide named Hardao let Giang Khai's group inside. He greeted them cheerfully. Congratulations on passing the trial. I'm Hardao, your dedicated beginner guide. All survivors are gathered here. Giang Khai looked at him. Officer, could I see the rankings of those who passed? Certainly, he replied. From a distance, Huang Veer spotted them, a sinister smirk creeping onto his face. What a coincidence. He swaggered over, pointing smugly at his wrist-worn device while radiating an air of pure arrogance. To think my lowly servants actually made it through. Want me to show you what a real rank looks like? Giang Khai's expression darkened instantly. He never expected to run into that scumbag Huang Veer so soon. Opening the leaderboard, Huang Veer gloated. I am the one standing at the very top. As for you, you've secured the #1 spot too. If you count from the very bottom, a group nearby joined in the mockery. Lung Vant sneered first, his voice dripping with venomous sarcasm. Look at these losers, with scores like that. They dare to ask. You aren't even a fraction of our league. Giang Khai glared coldly. He remembered how his sister worked herself to the bone for money on this planet. She had endured working for Huang Veer, only to be constantly harassed by that piece of trash. Worse yet, Huang Veer often used Giang Khai's own illness to humiliate and belittle his very existence. He recalled being beaten by the bully's thugs, forced to bite his tongue and endure the pain. After every beating, Huang Veer would laugh. Your brother is a sick dog, and you're just a coward. Fuming, Vian Tru stepped forward to snap back. Huang Vi, you better wash that filthy mouth of yours. Giang Khai held him back. It's fine. Zhu Tu. Seeing a crowd gathering, Kai announced. Pardon me. Everyone, I suggest you check the leaderboard again. Because the top 3 spots, we've already claimed them all. Huang Veer's crew erupted into hysterical laughter. As if they had just heard the world's funniest joke, he tapped his head mockingly. Have you lost your mind, taking the top 3 spots? With what? Your mouth? He sneered. Officer, these guys are delusional. Another lackey chimed in. Yeah. They need a mental ward. Giang Khai turned to his friends. Zhu Tu. Noan. There is no need to hide anymore. Noan nodded. Vian Tru touched his device, grinning. I've been waiting for that. Time to show our cards. As Vian Tru activated his watch, thousands of high-tier monster cards materialized in a blinding flash. The crowd stood frozen, jaws hitting the floor. Huang Veer's face went pale. What is this? His eyes nearly bulged out of his head as he stared at the mountain of cards. How could they have gathered this many monster remains? It wasn't just human-faced beasts, there were countless shadowless wolves too. Impossible. As the crowd sifted through the cards, a voice suddenly rang out. I even see a shadowless wolf king in here. Huang Vi was in total disbelief. Enraged, he barked. What kind of sick joke is this? How could a bunch of useless losers like you possibly take down this many high-level monsters? Even the shadowless wolf king. This is pure madness. How could this even be possible? Giang Khai didn't even spare him a glance, simply smirking. The rankings speak for themselves. As the crowd checked the board, frantic whispers erupted everywhere. Look, the rankings actually changed. Does that mean their insane point total is actually legitimate? Huang Vi gritted his teeth and checked his own device. How is this possible? They actually swept all 3 of the top spots. Giang Khai nonchalantly shoved his hands into his pockets with a confident grin. You really think that is all there is? He stepped forward, eyes gleaming with intent. Officer, tell me. What happens if we take down illegal crossers? With a flick of his wrist, Giang Khai tossed down a pile of watches. Do we get extra points for these? Dao stared at the watches in utter shock. These are watches belonging to the illegal crossers from Country L. Huang Vai and his lackeys froze in terror, gasping in unison. What, you mean actual illegal crossers? Huang Vai suddenly burst into a crazed, mocking laughter. Your lie is exposed. How could mere rookies ever kill professional illegal crossers? You are clearly just a bunch of frauds. He threw his arms wide, shouting so every soul present could hear him. Besides, there weren't even any illegal crossers in this trial. Did a single one of you encounter any enemies like that? The surrounding crowd raised their hands in agreement, shouting, none at all. We didn't see anyone. Hoang V pointed accusingly at Giang Khai. Officer, look at all these witnesses. The proof is right in front of you. Nobody besides them saw a single intruder. They are obviously nothing but dirty liars and frauds. I demand their scores be disqualified. Ha Dao stood there, paralyzed by the sudden chaos and confusion. The crowd's roar intensified, fueled by indignation. Punish them. We demand a strict and immediate investigation. Do not let these liars get away with this. Bring down the hammer of justice now. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the mob. Rest easy. The illegal crosser's appearance was real. We simply hadn't announced the breach yet. Huang Vi froze in his tracks. The man stepping forward was none other than Lu Tuan, vice commander of the Jiangtrong City District, dressed in a sharp white suit and spectacles. Lu Tuan approached with an authoritative aura, flanked by 2 elite guards. He spoke calmly. I too was shocked, but my superiors ordered me to personally commend Giang Khai's team. Their feat is undeniable truth. A paralyzing chill shot down Huang Vi's spine as cold sweat drenched his forehead in an instant. Hai Dao and the others gasped in sheer terror. What that is, Lu Tuan, the vice commander of Jiangtrong City. The arrival of such a high-ranking official solidified the truth. Giang Khai's team had truly eliminated the dangerous intruders. Huang Vi could only stammer in shock. Can this really be true? Lu Tuan stepped directly toward Giang Khai. Giang Khai, the military wishes to reward your team for neutralizing the threat. We are officially upgrading the tier of your rewards. The surrounding crowd gasped in sheer disbelief, their jaws dropping. Wait. What? Lu Tuan smiled faintly at Giang Khai. The original rank 2 and 3 rewards have been upgraded from rank B to rank A. And as for the first place reward belonging to Giang Khai, his rank A prize has now been elevated. He paused for dramatic effect. To rank S Giang Khai. Bien true. And known were ecstatic. Bien true roared. Is this for real? Known beamed with joy. This is incredible. Giang Khai nodded appreciatively. Thank you. Sit. The crowd erupted in a frenzy. One man clutched his head and screamed. What? The reward jumped all the way to rank S. Hai Dao stood frozen, whispering to himself. To possess such high-tier gear right at the start. This is absolutely insane. Memories of the Ghost Star Academy flashed through Giang Khai's mind at that very moment. He recalled the gear classification chart from his lessons ranging from rank F to the legendary rank S. The pinnacle of power, while rank C and B were decent, rank A and S were mythical treasures that every single adventurer dreamed of possessing. Huang Vi's fist trembled with suppressed rage, veins bulging across his forehead. In his mind, he seethed with bitterness. He could almost stomach Giang Khai receiving a rank S reward. But there was something far worse. Being ruthlessly demoted from first place all the way down to fourth was a humiliation he simply could not endure. Huang Vi's face turned beet red as he roared. This is rigged. Who the hell is Giang Khai to surpass me like this? Giang Khai fixed him with a freezing stare, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Huang Vi? The military has spoken. Are you truly this delusional? I'm warning you, stay far away from my family. A soldier nearby lunged forward to intervene, but he was far too slow to stop the coming storm. Huang Veer ignored the warning completely. With a metallic hiss, he drew his blade, a sneer twisting his face. Oh, and what if I don't? Did I stutter? Your entire family is nothing but low-life trash. He stepped closer to Giang Khai, the stench of his arrogance filling the air. Your brother is a pathetic, sickly mutt. And your sister. She's just a common servant girl born to work for my household. You're just the loser I used to kick around in the dirt. You think you can actually look down on me today? A shadow fell over Giang Khai's face, his expression turning cold and unreadable. He remained silent. But the killing intent began to rise. Huang Veer lunged like a madman, blade swinging wildly as he screamed. That servant sister of yours still works for my family. You dare cross me. Just wait. I'll make sure she pays the price for your arrogance. Before the threat could leave his lips, Giang Khai's blade flashed. A crimson arc painted the air as a massive gash opened across Huang Veer's chest. Lung Van and Hai Dao gasped in pure horror. What? No one? No one in Vian True cried out, their eyes wide with disbelief at the sudden violence. Giang Khai, the name hoot through the crowd. But the young warrior's focus remained locked onto his bleeding foe. Watching from the sidelines, Lo Tuan let out a faint, intrigued smile. So, he finally made his move. Asterisk, he thought, his gaze deepening with interest. The onlookers stood frozen, paralyzed by Giang Khai's brutal efficiency. Lung Vun's yaw dropped in utter shock at the sight of the wounded noble. Huang Veer collapsed to the ground, his entire body trembling. The Huang family. Someone whispered, they are one of the 10 great guilds in the nation. Has Giang Khai truly lost his mind? How could he dare strike a scion of such a powerful house? Drenched in cold sweat, Huang Veer clutched his bleeding chest and hissed through gritted teeth. You're dead. Do you know the hell you've invited? Giang Khai turned slowly, his makeshift weapon dripping with blood. His eyes were void of mercy as he looked back at the fallen bully. You're just a cornered rat who threatened my family, he replied coldly. Why should I care who your father is? For the first time, true terror flickered in Huang Veer's eyes as he met that chilling, murderous gaze. Giang Khai closed the distance, his footsteps heavy and rhythmic. In this dying world, my family is everything. Anyone who touches them, the crowd held their breath in absolute silence. The sheer pressure radiating from the young man was suffocating to all those nearby. He towered over the trembling man, raising his weapon high for the final blow. It doesn't matter who you are. I will break you, seeing death staring him down. Huang Veer's bravado shattered instantly. Wait, stop, he whimpered, his hands shaking in a desperate, futile shield. There was no hesitation. And I will kill you, Giang Khai declared as the iron pipe pierced through his enemy's chest. With a sickening thud, Giang Khai wrenched the weapon free. Huang Veer's life faded into nothingness as he drew his final breath. System Awakener, Giang Khai has eliminated level 1 Awakener, Huang Veer. You may plunder 6 experience points. Giang Khai narrowed his eyes at the holographic message. Only 6 points. Is the great Huang family really this bankrupt? Lung Vun and the others could barely breathe. The air was thick with the scent of blood and the weight of what had happened. He actually did it, someone shrieked. He murdered the young master of the prestigious Huang family. He might survive the ghost planet. But the Black Tortoise Guild is a juggernaut. That kid is as good as dead. Lo Tuan stood with his hands in his pockets, his sharp eyes evaluating every inch of the young man standing amidst the carnage. Asterisk. Reckless. Yes. But he has the heart of a warrior. Lo Tuan mused. Asterisk. Exactly the kind of person the High Command wants to meet? Lo Tuan cleared his throat, breaking the heavy tension. Listen up. Huang Veer initiated this conflict. Giang Khai acted in pure self-defense. This matter is closed. There will be no further retaliation here. Let this be the end of it. He gestured for the trio to follow him. Giang Khai. Come. It is time to claim your rewards. Understood. Officer. Thank you. Vian Tru's eyes shone with pure hero worship. Guy. You were incredible back there. Noan nodded. That was truly legendary. They arrived at a secluded outpost where the air was quiet, leaving the chaos of the battlefield far behind them. 3 mysterious, ornate treasure boxes sat waiting for them on a sleek, metallic table. You've earned this, Lo Tuan said, crossing his arms. Specialized military-grade gear. Open them up and see your future. Thank you, Giang Khai replied, as Noan lifted her lid. A brillant, ethereal glow flooded the small room. A shimmering gem floated before her eyes. A life jade, she gasped, her face lighting up with pure joy. Every novice healer dreams of possessing something this precious. This is a game changer for me. Lo Tuan nodded in approval. The life jade grants 15 points to spirit and boosts all healing and alchemy. A magnificent find. Vian Tru eagerly donned a set of gleaming silver armor. Look at this. I look like a total legend in this gear. Luo Jun chuckled and clapped his hands. Impressive. Look at this. Fong Walk Set. This Black Rock Rhino hide armor grants 16 extra power points and 16% damage reduction. It is a high-quality, versatile piece of gear. No nudged him from behind, eager to see more. Khai. Hurry up and open yours too. Giang Khai nodded and opened his gift, as a blinding light instantly filled his vision. Before him sat a collection of 9 short swords, neatly arranged inside a chest. The system displayed a notification, unidentified equipment. Luo Jun rubbed his chin thoughtfully. How strange. It actually requires an appraisal before we can see its stats. Yuan Zhu grinned with excitement. An appraisal card. That means this must be something truly legendary. Right. Luo Jun pulled out a small, bandage-like scroll and handed it over. Correct. High-tier gear usually requires appraisal cards. Luckily, I have a few spares to help you guys out. As soon as the card was used, The details of Giang Khai's reward flashed onto the screen. The 9 Tribulations, Soul Hunter, an S-rank weapon. It granted 9 points to energy, 9 to penetration, 9 to agility. Plus, a special effect, each strike with this weapon increases your critical rate and critical damage by 10%, stacking up to a massive 90%. However, after landing one critical hit, all bonuses reset to 0. Upon seeing the stats, Luo Jun was the first to speak. What? A critical-based weapon. A rookie's base attack is too low for crits to matter. This S rank seems even worse than an A rank. Yuan Zhu froze in disbelief and turned to the officer. Wait. Officer, doesn't this feel like my brother is getting cheated, Officer Luo? Is there any way for Kai to exchange this gear? Luo Jun shoved his hands into his pockets. It is a hassle, but I can try to file an appeal. But Giang Khai immediately refused. No. That is not necessary. I want this. Everyone present was stunned by Giang Kai's sudden and firm decision. Giang Khai picked up one of the short swords and examined it closely. A trap, no. That is impossible. Asterisk, he thought. Asterisk. This is actually the perfect equipment for me. My critical damage is not just double, it is 200 times that of a normal person. Asterisk. Asterisk. With just one critical hit, even the Shadowless Wolf King would not be able to stand against me. Asterisk. The only problem was that against powerful foes, my natural critical rate was far too low. Asterisk. I might be killed before ever landing a lucky blow, making my power completely useless. Asterisk. But the 9 Tribulation Soul Hunter grants at least a 10% critical chance with every single move. Asterisk. By the 9th strike, the rate hits 90% of guaranteed crit times. He lifted the blade high, a look of immense pride crossing his face. Asterisk. In fact, this is the ultimate divine weapon for a true gambler. Asterisk, he thought with a smirk. Seeing his resolve, Luo Jun gave a small nod. Fine. If you like it, we will keep it. Once you finish the trials, you can return to Earth. Luo Jun walked over and patted Giang Kai's shoulder. However, Giang Khai, there is something you should know. I suspect some people will be looking for you soon. I strongly advise you to be extremely careful once you get home. Stunned by the warning, Giang Khai, Yuan Zhu, and No Known stood frozen as they watched the officer walk away. The scene shifts to the Saint Glory Kingdom on Earth, specifically the slums of Jiangzong City. Giang Khai pedaled his bike toward home, his heart light. Asterisk. I never imagined the novice trials would go this smoothly. Asterisk, he mused. Asterisk. I wonder how Big Brother and Yingzi will react when they hear the news. Asterisk. Asterisk. The first thing I must do is get them out of here. We need to stay as far away from the royal family as possible. Asterisk. He looked up at the decaying apartment building. Piles of trash were scattered, the foul stench of decay hanging heavy in the air. He continued to dream. Asterisk. Starting today, we are never living in the slums again. Asterisk. Big Brother will receive proper medical care, and no one will ever harass Yingzi again. Holding his phone and looking toward the horizon, he could finally see a bright future for his family. Asterisk. Everything is going to be perfect. After parking his bike, Giang Khai hurried upstairs and called out as he opened the door. Big Brother Yingzi. He stepped inside with a wide grin. I am back. Guess how my novice trial went? There was no response. His eyes widened when he saw a man sitting on a chair directly in front of him. His living room was packed with sinister strangers, each one wearing a predatory smirk. The man in the chair glared at him with pure hatred. It was Huang Da. Finally, he sneered. I've been waiting half the day for someone to show up. I heard you were quite the hero at the novice trials today. Kid. Feeling pretty powerful. Are you caught off guard? Giang Khai could only stammer. You are Huang Wei's brother. Huang Da, what are you doing here? The atmosphere in the room turned ice cold as the threat became terrifyingly real. A realization hit him like a bolt. Why were the royals here already? Before he could process the thought, a rough hand shoved him violently from behind. 2 thugs lunged from the sides, pinning his arms and forcing Giang Khai to his knees. Giang Khai struggled against their grip, but their hold was like iron, leaving him completely immobilized. Huang Da stood up and looked down at him with cold disdain. Gripping a baseball bat, he shoved one hand in his pocket and sneered. Giang Khai, do you have any idea what you did to my brother on the Ghost Star? Ever since you killed him there, he has been in psychological trauma. You should know by now royals are the ones who do the bullying. No one dares to lay a finger on our family and get away with it. Giang Khai glared back, his eyes burning with fury. Huang Da looked completely unhinged now, his eyes bloodshot and filled with madness. He let out a chilling, sinister laugh. Since you forced Huang Wei offline for a month, I think it is time you logged out of life forever. You, filthy, lowlife. Without a second of hesitation, he swung the baseball bat with lethal force toward Giang Kai's head. Giang Kai's eyes widened as he grit his teeth in anticipation. He was trapped. unable to move while the two thugs held him down. Suddenly, the front door exploded inward. The heavy wood slammed into the two thugs, sent them flying, and forced them to release their grip in agony. Within the blink of an eye, both the thugs and Huang Da were slammed onto the floor, incapacitated. "Who the hell is that?" Huang Da roared. A towering figure emerged from the shadows, followed closely by Su Lalan. The man spoke with an air of authority. "Jiang Khai, I thought I told my people to warn you to be careful when you got home." It was Wei Ying. He stood there with a cigarette dangling from his lips and sighed. "Why didn't you take my warning seriously?" Su Lalan stepped forward, flashing an official document. Her voice was cold and sharp. "Nobody move military business." The color drained from the faces of Huang Da's gang the moment they recognized Wei Ying. One of them gasped in terror. "What? That is High Commander Wei Ying from the Jiangzhong Military District." Huang Da was frozen in shock. How could a legendary figure of that caliber appear in a place like this? Wei Ying took the cigarette from his mouth, his expression turning fierce. "We are here for Giang Khai. Today? You fools have crossed the wrong man." Huang Da's face turned ashen. He never dreamed that someone like Wei Ying would personally show up for a nobody like Giang Khai. He grit his teeth, trembling. "The High Commander. Here for Giang Khai. How is that possible? What is this kid's true identity?" Giang Khai leaned against the wall, struggling to stand. His mind was racing. Why would a top-tier commander from Jiangzhong come for him? Under the overwhelming pressure of the military, Huang Da had no choice but to bow his head and surrender. Two massive guards stood over him, ensuring he did not move. Meanwhile, Jiang Khai, Wei Ying, and Su Lalan moved to the balcony. Jiang Khai finally spoke up. "Commander Wei, thank you for saving me today. I truly appreciate it. But I have to ask, why go to such lengths?" Wei Ying cut him off. "Relax. We came here because we have an offer for you." During the newbie trial, both Yuan Zhu and Su Nuanwan performed exceptionally well. Did you know that right after logging off, both Yuan Zhu and Su Nuanwan were immediately recruited into the military? "We are here to invite you too. After all..." He paused, exhaling a cloud of white smoke before continuing. "You have awakened a new class, haven't you?" At the mention of a new class, Jiang Kai's heart skipped a beat. He stared at Wei Ying, stunned that the man already knew his deepest secret. Su Lalan turned to him, her gaze serious. "Jiang Khai, do you realize how significant a new class is? There are countless explorers on the Ghost Star. Every explorer undergoes a class transfer once they reach level 20. During that transfer, their attributes and skills evolve. Some become godlike, while others become utterly useless. Currently, many existing classes become completely obsolete in the late-game stages. That is why the military is obsessed with researching and cultivating new classes to find ultimate combat power." She stepped closer, her voice low and deliberate. "The hidden class you possess seems to be an unprecedented powerhouse. So, Jiang Khai, will you join the military as a new class representative?" After she spoke, a heavy silence settled over the corridor. Wei Ying broke the tension. "Don't feel pressured. We aren't here to force you into anything. We have already looked into your background. I apologize for the intrusion, but we are aware of your brother's medical condition." Su Lalan added one final incentive. "If you join us, the military will not only protect your family, but we will cover every single cent of your brother's medical bills." Jiang Khai remained silent, his lips pressed thin. Wei Ying and Su Lalan turned to leave, giving him space to think as he stood alone on the balcony. Before disappearing, Wei Ying left him with one last thought. "You went to the Ghost Star for the money to save your brother, didn't you? If you want a real future, report to the military tomorrow." Lam Lam left a message, telling him exactly where to find her when the time came. Watching them leave, Jiang Khai made his final choice. "I'm sorry," he called out, "but I refuse to enlist." They were stunned by his sudden refusal. Lam Lam turned back, demanding to know why. "I know the army is a great path," he said, "but only for those with classes that have guaranteed potential to grow stronger in the future, like Vientru's warrior or Known's doctor." He placed a hand over his heart, his gaze full of resolve. "But I'm different. I have a new class. Remember when the Demon Wine first appeared as a new class? The military supported it with everything they had. And for a while, the Demon Wine reached its absolute peak. But what happened when the army realized that developing that class offered no more value? Wasn't it abandoned? Look at them now. Those who chose that path are no better than beggars." He thought of his small family and continued speaking with iron determination. "I was too reckless this time. I never expected the royal family to strike so directly and ignore their reputation. We must leave their territory immediately. Thank you for the help. But we three brothers have relied on each other for 10 years. Giang Khai clenched his fist tight, showing his unshakable resolve to stand alone. "We prefer holding our own destiny rather than relying on the protection of others." Lam shouted back in anger. But this is the apocalypse. Your new class could bring a massive change to all of humanity. Right now, humanity needs you desperately. How can you be so selfish? Giang Khai looked away, avoiding her intense gaze. I'm sorry. I'm not that heroic. He replied, I just want to keep my family safe so we can survive. Lam Lam tried to argue, but Vyung stepped in. He placed a hand on her shoulder, silencing her. Let it go. I understand what this kid is thinking. Vyung lit a fresh cigarette and spoke slowly. 10-year habits don't change in a single day. But listen closely. Kid, your brother is running out of time. He flicked his half-burnt cigarette to the ground and continued. In this apocalypse, fighting alone is a death sentence. Let's make a bet instead. He grinned at Giang Khai. For the next month, the military will protect you from the royal family's harassment. If you earn the surgery money and prove you're strong enough to protect your family in 30 days, I'll accept your refusal. But if you fail to find the money, the army will pay for your brother's medical costs to keep him alive. However, in exchange, you must enlist for a full evaluation. What do you say? Lam Lam was stunned. She hadn't expected Vyung to be so calculating and far-sighted. Vyung and Lam Lam stood before Giang Khai once more. Waiting for his final answer, Giang Khai smiled. Accepting the terms of the gamble, Fina, I agree to your deal. As night fell over the city, Giang Khai sat alone, contemplating the high-stakes bet he had just made. He had to return to the Magic Star immediately to earn the fortune needed for his brother's surgery. He left a note, Big brother. On to, I passed the test, and I'm heading back to the Magic Star first. He stepped out, walking through streets filled with the desperate and the broken souls of the city. 1,000 different thoughts raced through his mind with every step he took toward his goal. With the royal threat looming, they couldn't stay here. They needed a high-security zone to truly be safe. This mission back to the Magic Star was a heavy burden, but he swore he would return with the money. He arrived back at the radiant city of the Magic Star. Even now, the streets were as crowded as ever. Donning his new gear, Giang Khai realized the truth. Now that the beginner trials were over, his real adventure began. After equipping himself at the market, he was finally ready to hunt monsters and earn his fortune. He looked up at a weathered wooden sign that simply read, The Guild. To earn money as a rookie on the Magic Star, joining a guild was a mandatory step. The monsters here were so powerful that fighting alone was a death sentence. All rookies had to find a party. Ultimately, a guild was a powerful collective. The only way for a newcomer to survive, by joining, rookies could follow the veterans into battle and drastically increase their chances of survival. Time to see which guild is worthy of my talents. He pushed open the door, his heart racing with anticipation. Hello. I'm here to register for the guild, Giang Khai announced. Ziswan, the purple-haired receptionist, looked up to address him. Apologies. But are you Giang Khai? I'm afraid you cannot join a guild at this time. Stunned, he demanded an explanation. She pointed to a photo of him crossed out with a massive red chain symbol and began to explain, because you offended the royal family, you've been blacklisted by nearly every guild in the kingdom. Giang Khai froze in shock for several seconds. Without a guild, he would be forced to hunt mana crystals entirely alone from now on. At the selection grounds on the outskirts of Shengyao City, Giang Khai walked alone under the heavy gaze of the crowd, scratching his head in frustration. He muttered, seriously, just for crossing the royals. Nobody will take me in. Is my journey ending before it even begins? Suddenly, a figure in tattered, patched-up clothes approached him from behind. Hey there, traveler. Having trouble deciding where to go for your next hunt? Giang Khai nodded as he turned around. Standing there was Hu Yan, a level 29 fortune teller and fellow adventurer. She gave him a mischievous wink and chirped, I'm a sayer. I can predict the best grinding spot for just 100 mana coins. Speechless, Giang Khai waved her off. Sorry, I'm an atheist. Hu Yan reached out frantically, shouting, Wait, don't go yet. Flailing her arms, she pleaded, Valued customer, we can haggle 80-30. Fina, how about a free reading? Consider it a grand opening special. The word free made Giang Khai pull a total 180-degree turn. He grinned ear to ear. Free? Well, I suppose I'm actually quite superstitious. Hu Yan stared at him, stunned by his sudden shift. What a cheapskate, she thought to herself. She opened her skill bag and reluctantly pulled out her bagua plate. Whatever, she sighed. I'll just use this for skill practice. As she raised the plate, it erupted in a brilliant glow, chanting strange incantations. Glowing runes began to manifest in the air before her eyes. Scanning the symbols, she warned him. Traveler, a great crisis looms over you. If you value your life, you should leave at once. In the distance, the path led straight toward the treacherous King's Valley. Giang Khai rubbed his chin, lost in thought. Danger, that makes sense. Given the royals are hunting me, they only stay their hands because the safe zone forbids any killing. He considered the Grey Plains, A place swarming with grotesque creatures and blade-wielding monsters. It was a living furnace of erupting volcanoes, cracked earth, and rivers of molten lava. Usually, beginners grind levels 1 through 10 there, but the royal family will surely send assassins to intercept me at such a common spot. Next, he thought of the scenic Peace Mountain path. But that area was strictly for high-level players. Level 15 and above. If I go there now, it's a guaranteed death sentence. Snapping back to reality, his eyes fixed on King's Valley. That place is a danger zone meant for level 10 and up. I might barely survive with my current stats. Plus, the royals would never expect me to be that reckless. Decision made. A spark of determination lit up his eyes. If the crown won't let me join a guild, I'll hunt mana crystals alone. King's Valley. Here I come. He bolted toward the valley, shouting back to the seer. Thanks for the tip, much appreciated. Hu Yan stood frozen, waving goodbye in a daze. Then, the realization hit her like a lightning bolt. Her jaw dropped in pure horror. Wait. Did he just head into King's Valley alone? That place requires a full party. For a rookie like him, going in solo is pure suicide. She quickly packed her things, trying to stay calm. Whatever. It's not my problem. Just as long as I don't get a 1-star review. Transition King's Valley. Giang Khai had finally reached his destination. Lush greenery and the sound of rushing water greeted him. So this is the infamous King's Valley, he mused. I wonder what kind of monsters are lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, a bone-chilling roar erupted from behind him. He spun around, his senses on high alert. Emerging from the gloom was a beast with razor-sharp fangs. Its maw agape in a terrifying cry of power. A massive, mutated ape with towering fangs lunges at the group, sending the exhausted warriors flying backward. A blond youth with his hair tied back struggles to hold the line, shouting for his comrades to stand firm. Suddenly, the system screen flashes a crimson monster, warning the great power black ape has appeared. Level 11. Strength 172. Agility 142. Spirit 13. Defense 3. A teammate shouts that it's level 11. Since they're already level 10, they just need one last push to kill it. Strike harder. The squad rallies their spirits and charges back into the fray with a thunderous roar of agreement. Meanwhile, Giang Khai reaches the source of the roars and conceals himself behind a massive tree to observe. He watches them, wondering if this is a seasoned veteran exploration team out on a high-stakes mission. The battle is intense, and the local monsters are formidable. Suddenly, Giang Kai's eyes widen as he realizes something. He spins around to find 3 pairs of predatory eyes staring directly at him. He instantly leaps back to defend. You've got to be kidding me. Talk about perfect timing. He mutters, bracing for a sudden ambush. He checks his wrist device, which blares a high-level danger warning for 3 level 12 great power black apes, followed by a level 13 and a level 14. The danger level is officially off the charts. Nearby, the squad finally finishes off their level 11 target. The system announces Heavenly Sword Squad victorious. They erupt in cheers of pure joy. We did it. We're actually incredible for winning this. One of the squad members flashes a confident thumbs up toward the blonde-haired leader. Wu Hang grins and says, Captain, we beat a level 11 without casualties. We should definitely brag about this. Tuan Dat smirks arrogantly. Of course we did. Just look at who your captain is. Before he can finish, a deafening crash echoes through the forest. They turn, their faces draining of all color. 3 black apes are relentlessly pursuing Giang Khai. He sprints, dodging blows while trapped in their territory. Wu Hang shouts in total disbelief. Captain, look, someone is actually fighting 3 of those monsters at once. He's over there right now, taking on 3 massive apes simultaneously while running for his life. Cantrung adds that these beasts are even higher level than their target. Nua Kai insists they must help. Tuan Dat snaps back in a panic. Are you fools? That guy has clearly drawn all their aggression. We struggled with just one. If we go there, Vidi, our only choice is to run away. As he turns to flee, a violent explosion rocks the ground, forcing him to a sudden, jarring halt. 1 black ape is blasted backward. The system notification flashes level 12 black ape successfully eliminated. It was Giang Khai. He unleashed his 9 calamities life pursuit technique to secure the kill. Exhilaration surges through him. Each strike increases his crit rate, building toward a devastating 5th supercritical blow. Tuan Dat's team stands frozen, their jaws dropping as they witness this impossible display of power. Their eyes bulge in utter shock. Tuan Dat stammers. Wait. What on earth just happened? We had to push ourselves to the absolute limit just to kill a single level 11 monster. Cantrung gazes in awe as Tuan Dat continues. Did that kid just slaughter a level 12 in seconds? Enraged by their comrade's death, the remaining 2 apes fall into a frenzy, hunting Giang Khai with fury. Khai glances back, clutching his pursuit weapon. All right then, he thinks. It is time for another one. He hurls the weapon with monstrous force, striking the next ape with a direct, bone-shattering impact. The ape instantly explodes into a mist of blood. System level 13, Black Ape confirmed dead. Giang Khai's confidence soars. He knows he has what it takes to finish off the final beast. Incredible. That 10% crit bonus just triggered a massive supercritical hit, he thinks excitedly. Tuandat's group watches the massacre from the sidelines, their expressions shifting from shock to pure terror. Tuandat's mouth hangs open. No way. He killed another one. Is he even human? The final Black Ape refuses to back down, its eyes burning with a murderous and primal rage, sprinting at full speed. Khai focuses his mind. Good. Only one more left to go. Tuandat breaks into a cold sweat. That's a level 14 ape. There's no way he survives this. Khai cuts a sharp glance backward, quickly calculating his moves. He only has 3 pursuit throws left. My divine power and stamina were completely bottomed out. I could barely keep moving, pouring every last drop of my remaining strength into my 3 Seeking Fate blades. I realized there was only one choice. I had to bet it all on a massive critical hit before that monster finally caught up to me. With that final thought, I forced the 3 blades to shatter into lethal fragments. Giang Khai spun around, summoning the very last of his energy, and unleashed the Seeking Fate shards. They streaked through the air, trailing arcs of crimson lightning as they flew toward the final Black Ape. It was a gamble of life or death who would fall first. The Black Ape let out a primal roar, lunging straight for him. The moment the beast closed in, the Seeking Fate strikes hit home and detonated. It only had time for one final, agonizing scream before being blown apart. Seeing the massive explosion, Giang Khai cheered in relief. Yes, emptying my entire arsenal paid off. That was definitely a critical hit. The charred remains of the Black Ape crashed down right in front of Tuandat's group, leaving them absolutely speechless once again. The system pinged, confirming the kill of the level 14 Black Ape. Tuandat's face turned from a pale white to a sickly green. He actually did it. He killed all 3 of them. They whispered in unison. Their group of over 10 people had struggled just to survive against them. Just who the hell is this guy? As the dust settled, Giang Khai approached the carcass and let out a long, heavy sigh of relief. Turns out these monsters weren't as invincible as I feared. Without wasting a second, Giang Khai collected the 3 drops from the fallen apes. He stared at the monster cards in his hand. Now that I have 3 cards containing their remains, traveling solo doesn't seem so impossible after all. With his task complete, he turned and vanished. Tuandat tried to give chase, but he was already gone. He stood there, frozen, and wailed in despair. Damn it, the great god is gone. I should have tried to make friends with a pro like that. He screamed at his teammates. Who told you guys to stop me from helping him earlier? I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life. Wu Heng, and Chung, and Yuak. Hai watched his breakdown in stunned silence. They couldn't help but wonder, wasn't this guy supposed to be our team leader? Meanwhile, the scene shifts over to the Ash Plains, where a crowd had gathered, and a murmuring voice rose from the huddle of players. Am I seeing this right? 3 warriors, a soldier, and a doctor. Another chimed in. Is that the famous Falcon Squad from the Royal Xuanwu Guild? The whispers intensified as they noticed one of the squad members was ruthlessly choking a young girl. What is a high-level team like that doing here in the Ash Plains starter zone? Their power is insane. Fei Kui, the woman in the team, served as the group's specialized doctor. She watched as the warrior lifted the girl off the ground by her throat. She scoffed coldly. We've searched this entire plane and still haven't found that Giang Khai brat. The terrifying levels of the Falcon Squad were finally revealed. Level 20 doctor, level 20 warrior, and level 20 soldier. Dromhai, the man crushing the girl's windpipe, demanded answers. I heard you were the last one to see Giang Khai. Speak up. Where is he hiding? The girl in his grasp was none other than Ho Nan. She coughed violently, struggling to breathe as she rasped. Why are you thugs looking for him anyway? Another woman in the group stepped forward. Wait. Isn't that girl Hong again? Everyone knows who she is. Ven Rai, standing nearby, let out a sneering laugh. Giang Khai dared to offend the royal family. We've been sent by the crown to exact revenge. Despite being choked, Honyan struggled and glared at them with pure contempt. Is that so? She mocked. Giang Khai headed to King's Valley. If you want him, go find him there. Hearing this, Truong Hai released his grip, letting her collapse to the dirt. He loomed over her, his voice dripping with malice. Fine. But if you're lying, we'll come back and make sure you regret being born. The onlookers continued to gossip about the unfolding drama. One girl whispered, the Falcon Squad is the top-ranked level 20 adventurer team in the entire royal service. Another added, if a powerhouse team like that is after him, that Giang Khai guy is as good as dead. Honan sat on the ground, clutching her divination charm, still coughing. She whispered to herself, they think they're so strong. Do they? But when it comes to those without a shred of morality, even a fortune teller can't predict how ugly their end will be. Her eyes darkened with a chilling intensity. I just performed a secret reading for them, calculating their fate against Giang Khai. The result is, she paused, staring into the Bagua array as a terrifying skull manifested within the patterns. She uttered a single word, death. A day later, deep within King's Valley, after a full day of monster hunting, Giang Khai pulled up his status window, a grin spread across his face. Perfect. 16 black apes down. I finally hit level 6. His status screen flickered to life. Adventurer Giang Khai. Class Gambler. Level 6. Attributes. Strength 24. Defense 0. Constitution 28. Critical rate point 1%. Agility 42. Critical damage 20,000%. Spirit 42. EXP 85 out of 3,200. Currently perched atop the corpse of a black ape. Giang Khai pondered the monster card in his hand. Rumor has it a black ape carcass fetches a high price. But hauling this beast away won't be easy. Still, I must bring it back. The gold will surely lighten my older brother's heavy medical expenses. As Giang Khai weighed his options, a voice called from behind. Hey kid, want to join our hunting party? Startled by the offer, Giang Khai paused and turned his head to see who was calling. Standing before him was a seasoned hunting squad, led by a man in a tattered cloak named Hung Dat. A member chimed in. Our groups are hunting elite black apes. Victory means claiming their elite treasure chests. Hung Dat extended an inviting hand. Well, you and Giang Khai blinked in surprise. A hunting squad, but I hunt alone. He replied. Hung Dat's gaze remained steady. That's perfect. We need exactly one more. They led him to a mountain peak. Below, 4 massive black apes lay in deep slumber. See them. Behold. The elite giant force black ape, a level 15 monster. 4 elites guard that cave. And inside lies a legendary elite treasure chest waiting for us. They are incredibly powerful. Since we have 3 teams, we need you to lure them out. Listen up, Hung Dat added. Just draw one away. Our teams will handle the rest. You'll receive a share later. At the mention of treasure, Giang Khai's mind began to race. An elite treasure chest. Huh? Those chests hold riches far beyond mere carcasses. I could earn a fortune if I play this right. His gaze turned cold. Facing such powerful elites required teamwork. But he sensed a hidden trap. They wanted him to bait one of those ferocious beasts all by himself. They clearly don't expect me to return. Those bastards want the entire treasure for themselves, but he was already committed. Refusing now would be dangerous. He forced a smile. All right. I'm in. The group cheered as they prepared to move. Excellent, let's do this, everyone. Focus on the plan. They slid down the steep cliff in sync. Leading the charge was none other than Giang Khai. Sensing the sudden intruders, the 4 black apes stirred from their sleep and awoke. The beast let out thunderous roars. Hung Dat shouted from the distance. Go. Kid, move now. Giang Khai didn't hesitate. He launched a strike at one ape, successfully drawing its murderous aggro, infuriated by the sting. The monster roared and began a frenzied pursuit of the young warrior. As Giang Khai ran, Hung Dat burst into a malicious laugh. The brat actually did it. He barked. That's one less mouth to feed. The other apes charged forward at his signal. Now each team can handle 1 ape. Everything is falling perfectly into place. His men surged forward, clashing violently with the apes. The air filled with guttural roars and explosions. Giang Khai sprinted away, breathing heavily. These guys had certainly calculated every detail of this betrayal. Behind him, the elite ape was closing the gap, its massive claws swiping to crush him. This elite's stats were on a whole different level compared to any standard monster. Any ordinary adventurer would be dead by now. Suddenly, Giang Khai skidded to a halt and turned, like a flash of lightning. He unleashed a devastating counterattack straight at the beast. I'm no ordinary adventurer. The ape shrieked in agony as power surged through its body. Spraying blood, Giang Khai leaped back as the monster froze mid-motion. Its body unable to process the damage. A blinding light erupted from the spot where the ape stood, followed by a violent explosion. Standing on the fallen beast, a system message appeared. 1 level 15, elite giant force black ape slain. Giang Khai beamed with pride. A single supercritical hit was enough to drop an elite monster. He narrowed his eyes, a smirk of triumph playing on his lips as he looked back. Now, it's my turn to use those fools. In the distance, the desperate struggle continued. Men were healing their wounded while others shouted, hold the line. The treasure is almost ours. Hung Dat gritted his teeth, struggling against the beast, unaware that Giang Khai was looming behind him. With a swift strike, Giang Khai blindsided him. Hung Dat let out a choked cry before collapsing. Without looking back, Giang Khai stepped into the shadows of the cave alone. Venturing deeper through the dense, creeping vines, he spotted a shimmering treasure chest resting atop a jagged rock. Giang Kai's heart raced with excitement. To think it was this easy, a legendary treasure chest was truly within his reach. As he reached for it, a smirk crossed his face. Luring away that level 15, elite black ape was well worth the effort. Suddenly, A chilling screech echoed through the cavern. Something heavy landed right on Giang Khai's shoulder. A massive black ape was perched on his head. Its eyes bulged as it bared its teeth in a terrifying, drooling grin. Giang Khai froze, the realization hitting him like ice. Cold sweat poured down his face as he felt its presence. The beast lunged, its massive fist smashing the spot where he stood. He barely dodged in time. What on earth? Another level 20 elite black ape. Was their initial reconnaissance really this flawed before the battle began? The monster let out a twisted, eerie laugh. A level 20 elite strength black ape. This was incredibly dangerous. Gritting his teeth, he regained his composure. It was blocking the only exit. With a roar, he charged, throwing a fierce strike. There was no other choice but to fight. His strikes landed squarely on its eyes and chest. Yet the beast didn't even flinch. Giang Khai's brow furrowed in shock. This monster was on a whole different level than he imagined. Even a direct hit to the eyes caused no damage. The ape's eyes flared with a murderous red glow, an earth element elite with 23 defense points. His current attacks couldn't even scratch that ironclad hide. No damage dealt. A wave of anxiety washed over Giang Khai as the situation grew increasingly desperate. His death chase penetration was only 9 against a defense of 23. Like the Wolf King, he had to shatter its guard first. Without warning, the ape leaped high into the air, raising its massive arms to strike. Before he could react, a colossal boulder came crashing down. The impact shattered the ground, sending cracks spiraling outward. Giang Khai took the full brunt of the blast. He coughed violently, his body battered and broken from the impact, struggling to open his blood-soaked eyes. He gasped. The gap is too wide. Is this where it ends for me? As he lay paralyzed, the monster snatched him up. Dying in the Ghost Star meant a devastating 1-month lockout penalty. The ape pulled Giang Khai close, its drool dripping onto him as it nuzzled him with a terrifying grin. If he failed here, his secret deal with Commander V would go up in flames instantly. His breath grew shallow. Would he fail his brother and sister? Would he be forced into the army against his will? He closed his eyes in utter helplessness. Then, as his strength faded, his consciousness slipped into darkness. In the void of his mind, a sharp voice echoed, "Wake up, you must wake up." Memories surged back, the image of someone running frantically. Wake up. He saw his younger self, wounded and being carried. It was his big brother, clutching him tight and sobbing through the suffocating smoke and flames of war. "Don't you dare close your eyes. Stay with me." His brother gasped for air, pushing past his limits, even covered in wounds. His brother didn't stop. Above them, the sky was a hellish shade of crimson. Monsters howled in the ruins. "I'll get us out." This was the Beast God battlefield from 10 years ago. His vision blurred, and his mind went dark once more. Giang Khai snapped awake. He still clutched in the beast's grip. What? How could I lose consciousness now? The black ape unhinged its massive jaws, preparing to swallow him whole. He remained deathly still in its grasp. His brother saved them back then. He couldn't give up now. A crimson light flickered in his palm. "I can't." His eyes snapped open, blazing with fury. A sudden explosion of power surged through his entire being. "I won't fall in a place like this," he growled. The ape swallowed him before he could even strike. It grinned, satisfied with its meal, but then a blinding beam of light erupted from deep within its throat. The monster's expression twisted in agony. Before it could scream, blood sprayed as its head was blown apart from within. The massive body of the black ape slumped to the ground, completely lifeless. Panting, Giang Khai stood up. Level 20 Earth, Element, Elite Black Ape slain. A small smile formed. Its outer hide was impenetrable, but its mouth was completely defenseless. By attacking from the inside, he bypassed its defense entirely. Just like his battle with the Wolf King, he forced himself up, his body screaming in pain. When he suddenly remembered his goal, the elite treasure chest, he looked back at the glowing prize. Finally, it's mine. Half an hour later, the crowd outside finally finished off the black apes. They erupted in cheers. "Victory is ours," one man shouted. "If that kid hadn't lured one away, we'd all be history by now." Another chimed in. "The brat's definitely dead by now." "Right." Hung Dat's lips curled into a sinister grin. "Phoenix. His death just means a bigger share for us." They gathered excitedly at the cave's entrance. "Move out. The treasure chest is waiting for us inside. This time, we've hit the mother lode." Suddenly, Hung Dat froze, his eyes widening in disbelief. The cavern was hollow and dark. Only the howling wind remained. The treasure was gone. "What the hell is this?" he roared. "Where is the treasure chest? How could the elite treasure just vanish?" One lackey tentatively raised his hand. "Boss, I just remembered. During the chaos, I think I saw that kid sneaking into the cave." Hung Dat's head snapped toward him, eyes blazing. "What? Why are you only telling me this now?" The man's voice trembled with fear. I thought I was hallucinating. There was no way he could have survived. The rest of the crew stood there, Speechless. Are you kidding me? The group broke into an uproar. Captain, does this mean we fought for nothing? We've wasted days on this mission, even if the loot is gone. You still have to pay us. You haven't paid me in months as it is. Hung Dat let out a primal scream, veins throbbing in his forehead. He'd been played by a mere brat. He began hurling insults, completely losing control. Deep within the royal valley, Giang Khai exhaled. That was the only way to shake those vultures. Hiding in the dense forest, he summoned his digital interface. The three-clawed treasure chest materialized before him. Time to see what kind of loot we're dealing with. The lid creaked open, and Giang Khai's eyes instantly ignited with excitement. A dazzling radiance burst forth. The chest was overflowing with rare gems and pearls. But resting in the center was a mysterious cloak. Giang Khai's heart raced. He couldn't believe his luck, not just a mountain of minerals, but high-tier equipment too. He pulled the cloak out. On this ghost planet, these minerals and gear were worth 10,000 times more than monster corpses. I've hit the jackpot. As he was equipping his new gear, something caught his eye amidst the shimmering pile of gems. It was a gauntlet. On the back of the hand was a metallic crest, a sword wreathed in roaring flames. Wait. There's another piece. Giang Khai examined the piece before sliding it onto his hand. It looked brand new. Curiosity took hold. What kind of gear is this? Is it for offense? Or does it have a special utility? Let's try it on. A surge of light enveloped him. Suddenly, his entire body felt lighter and brimming with raw power. Does this boost my strength and agility stats? Giang Khai focused on a clearing ahead to test his new toy. He tightened his fist, and 3 lethal claws instantly extended from the gauntlet. With a sharp swing, the claws launched forward like the wind. To his surprise, they ignited into a fierce blaze mid-flight. Giang Khai narrowed his eyes in thought, flame energy appearing on the flying blades. Is this just a standard fire attribute support item? He recalled the lore of Ghost Planet, where countless types of flames existed. Specialized flames could inflict devastating status effects on opponents during the heat of battle. He flashed back to the image of a monster being struck by such power, but ordinary fire deals pathetic damage. It's useless for combat and only good for cooking. In his memory, a monster even sneered at him. Ordinary flames? Are you trying to give me a back rub? Giang Khai's expression soured at the thought. Am I only going to use this for roasting meat? Just then, a piercing shriek shattered the silence, cutting his thoughts short. What was that? A heavy thud echoed as a massive black ape slammed its hand onto the earth. A series of thunderous footsteps charged toward him. The system flared, warning for elite earth attribute, great strength, black apes detected. Level 18. Extreme danger. Giang Khai froze. 4 of them, and they're all earth attribute elites. He leaped backward, cursing under his breath. Fine then, let's see what this gauntlet can really do. He launched his claws forward. He'd nearly died facing just 1 earlier. Now he was up against 4. The claws streaked through the air, the flames burning even more intensely than before. Giang Khai aimed straight for an open maw. He had to focus his fire on their mouths, just like his previous kill. But before the claws could land, the black ape snapped its jaws shut, shattering them. His attack couldn't pierce their defense, 0 damage. Giang Khai's eyes widened in horror. No way. The 4 apes didn't hesitate, lunging at him simultaneously. He spun around and bolted at full speed. These things actually learned to defend their weak spots. Behind him, the beasts roared, beginning a relentless pursuit. Even if they left an opening, Lifeseeker alone couldn't possibly take down all 4. A cold realization hit Giang Khai. Was this where his journey ended? Just then, sparks from the previous claw strike erupted, igniting the black ape's flesh in a sudden, violent blaze. The other apes were caught in the crossfire, each flame ticking away 10 health points from their life bars. Giang Khai blinked in surprise as the fire refused to die out. Instead, it fed on their thick fur, spreading with terrifying speed across their massive body. The lead black ape's eyes went wide with pure, primal terror. In an instant, the small spark transformed into a raging inferno, consuming the beast entirely. The system flashed 2,000 health gone amidst a chorus of agonizing screams. The creature stared in shock, paralyzed as the sea of flames swallowed it whole, with no hope of escape. It let out one final, tortured roar before collapsing. With the system reporting continuous 2,000 damage hits, the remaining apes froze, paralyzed by fear. Glancing back as he made his escape, Giang Khai couldn't believe his eyes. How was this happening? The wind caught the embers, carrying the death sentence toward the rest of the pack. In an instant, the remaining 3 apes were engulfed and began to sink into the same relentless sea of fire. The 4 blazes merged into a singular, horrifique spectacle. Giang Khai skidded to a halt, dropping to one knee to witness the carnage. What triggered such a sudden eruption? As the smoke finally began to clear, the charred remains of the beasts slumped to the earth. Giang Khai stood frozen. They were all dead. The system chimed 4 elite earth elemental great strength. Black apes eliminated. He stood there, dazed, He'd seen 10 damage earlier. How did it suddenly skyrocket to 2,000? As he began harvesting the 4 elite remains, the question continued to burn in his mind. 2,000. That's exactly 200 times his base power. He stared at his glowing gauntlets, his heart racing with a mix of doubt and pure adrenaline. Could these gloves be triggering his 200 times critical damage multiplier on every single flame they produced? Better yet, this fire was contagious, leaping from one target to the next to consume the entire group. He recalled the ape's agony. Normal fire was weak, but against monsters with 0 fire resistance, the damage bypassed every defense like a silent killer. Giang Khai raised his hands, envisioning himself standing at the center of a burning wasteland with 2,000 damage per second. Wouldn't he essentially become a living, breathing fire formation? This wasn't just gear, it was a divine weapon forged specifically for him. A confident smirk played on his lips. No defense could stop him now. The image of the forest drowned in flames flickered in his mind. Then, throughout the long night that followed, the great strength black apes of King's Valley faced their darkest hour. Explosions and screams tore through the silence as their reign of terror came to a violent end. On Ebewan, the massive beasts were systematically wiped out by the heat. They had never encountered a hunter who could roast them alive with ordinary fire. Under the brilliant moonlight, the once mighty apes fled in a panicked frenzy. Giang Khai's voice remained calm and steady, a ghost in the smoke that no monster could track. Corpses littered the ground. This evil BBQ master had no intention of letting a single one of them escape his reach. He strode through the sea of fire, arms wide as flames poured from his palms. He laughed within 10 miles. No treasure would be left behind. The next morning in King's Valley, the earth still smoldered. The lush grass was gone, leaving only jagged, charred mountain peaks behind. Feeling refreshed, Giang Khai's wounds had completely closed, leaving him energized and ready for more. This is incredible. Checking his status, he cheered. Dozens of apes cleared in one night. I finally leveled up. The screen flickered. Adventurer Giang Khai, Class Gambler, Level 7, Stats Strength 28, Constitution 32, Agility 48, and a staggering 20,000% critical damage. Giang Khai admired his claws, which now looked like true soul reapers. With that AoE burn, his damage output was now virtually unrivaled for anyone under level 20. Scanning the interface once more, he saw icons for countless ape corpses and numerous treasure chests scattered across the valley. 10 elite treasure chests, plus all these materials. This haul will fetch a fortune. But then, a shadow of thought crossed his face. Standing alone in the vast, windswept valley, a wave of loneliness hit him. Playing solo in Ghost Star was starting to feel heavy. He truly missed the days of fighting side by side with Juzi and Nuanuan. He wondered how they were faring. Though with the army's backing, they were likely doing much better than a lone wolf like him. Elsewhere in King's Valley, Yuan Zhu looked absolutely miserable and frustrated. He bellowed at the empty woods. Why is there nothing here? Who the hell wiped out every single black ape in this valley? He collapsed in tears. He'd been here for days without seeing a single mob. How was he supposed to survive like this? Nuan let out a heavy sigh, her heart aching as she reminisced about the days when Kai led their hunts. Soldiers Yuan Zhu and Nuan. Stop that pathetic moping. This instant, a booming voice barked from behind. It was the player Li Biao, a level 38 cavalryman. He stood with hands on his hips, his expression stern and unyielding. The only reason you encountered weaklings before was because you were lingering in the beginner trial zone. But for rookies like you, this current area is teeming with high-level threats. Li Biao narrowed his eyes, his voice dropping to a low growl. If Giang Khai had dragged you into Kingdom Valley, you would have met a gruesome end. That is why I am wasting my time training you. I do not want to hear another complaint, he roared. Now move, go find those black apes. Yuan Zhu and Nuan snapped to attention, their fists clenched against their chests in a sharp salute. Their spirit seemed ignited, at least on the surface, but the moment Li Biao turned his back, they wept internally. Their hearts still cried out for Kai's leadership. 3 days later, Zhang Hai's squad stood amidst a gruesome carpet of slaughtered black ape corpses. Zhang Hai spoke up, his brow furrowing in confusion. This is strange. We have been scouring Kingdom Valley for days, yet all we find are these common apes. He slammed his sword into the earth. Akaki. Toothy grin spreading across his face. Taking down these low-level beasts is easier than taking candy from a baby. When Rui stood nearby, flashing a mocking thumbs up, young Master Huang Wei actually sent us to assassinate Giang Khai. Talk about overkill. It is like using a dragon-slaying blade to butcher a mere chicken. Suddenly, a cold voice drifted from the shadows behind them. Killing one beast at a time is hardly impressive. Zhang Hai flinched, his face twisting into a scowl as he whipped his head around to see the intruder. Junyi sat there, chewing nonchalantly as he spoke. A few days ago, we witnessed a true master take down 3 black apes all by himself. Jing Cheng nodded fervently in support. It is true. The sheer intensity of that battle was enough to make anyone tremble in fear. Instead of being impressed, Giang Khai's face distorted with pure contempt. One man took out three. You honestly think that is a high-level feat? How pathetic. Junyi sat perched on a rocky ledge, flicking his tongue in annoyance. He kept his eyes closed, savoring his food while completely ignoring their presence. Giang Khai raised his hand, and a holographic display flickered to life, showing Giang Khai's face. Forget it. Tell me, have any of you seen this man? Junyi glanced at the image and recognized him instantly. What a coincidence. That is the very master I was talking about, the one who decimated those three apes. Jing Cheng's eyes sparkled with admiration the moment she saw Giang Khai's face. He is absolutely stunning. A total elite. Liang Cheng roared in anger. Are you people blind? Look closely. This brat is nothing but a level 5 novice. Giang Khai let out a sinister, mocking laugh. Exactly. Do not let your jealousy of our status make you spout such ridiculous lies. Junyi tossed his apple core aside and stood up to leave. If you do not believe us, go, find that, master yourselves, and see. We just saw him heading toward the exit of Kingdom Valley. I should probably go pay my respects to a legend like him. Giang Hai's face twisted into a bloodthirsty grin. What, you mean Giang Khai is nearby? He ripped his sword from the ground. His crew followed suit, their eyes turning bloodshot with murderous intent. Liang Cheng spat on the ground. Let's move. I have been rotting in this dump for far too long. It is time we give young Master Huang Wei the results he paid for. Giang Hai maintained his savage smirk. Finally, that brat's life was within his grasp. Yingqing sighed. Realizing these fools were walking straight into a disaster, Ruo Shi looked on with a helpless, weary expression. That master possessed an aura of a supreme being, far above the mortal realm. In the world of martial arts, arrogant thugs like these were usually nothing more than disposable cannon fodder. Junyi nodded in silent agreement. Meanwhile, a massive crowd had gathered at the exit of Kingdom Valley, filled with frustrated murmurs. What a waste of time. I didn't encounter a single black ape during this entire expedition, one player grumbled. A man with a prominent facial scar chimed in. Word is a massive forest fire. Wipe them all out. We will have to wait for the next respawn cycle to enter. A bald man behind him nodded gloomily. I suppose so. At least we don't have to worry about some monster clearing the entire map alone. At that moment, the true culprit of the mass extinction walked right past them. It was Giang Khai, casually scrolling through his system interface with a satisfied smile. It took me 3 full days to wipe out those apes and reach level 10. But I managed to snag 19 elite treasure chests. I need to head back to Holy Radiant City to cash these in. His screen flickered. Adventurer Giang Khai. Class Gambler. Level 10. Stats. Strength 40. Defense 0. Vitality 44. Critical rate 0.1%. Agility 66. Critical damage 20,000%. Spirit 66. Experience 332 out of 12,800. Suddenly, a thunderous roar shattered his peace. Giang Khai, hold it right there. Giang Khai paused, slightly caught off guard. He turned his head to see who was bold enough to shout his name. It was Zhang Hai's squad. They had finally caught up. Zhang Hai pointed an accusing finger, his voice dripping with arrogance. You've been hiding like a rat for days. You have no idea how hard we've been searching for you. The surrounding crowd erupted into whispers. Isn't that the Hawk Squad from the Royal Xuanwu Guild? What on earth did that kid do to provoke an elite strike team like them? Giang Khai remained silent, meeting their gaze with a cold, piercing stare. The royal family from the Black Tortoise Guild. Did the royals actually send you goons after me? Fu Wang Hai slowly unsheathed his blade, a wicked smirk playing on his lips. Still playing dumb. Have you already forgotten who you offended during the novice trials? A lowlife like you dared to cross young master, Ho Wang V. The rest of his squad drew their steel, bracing for a slaughter. We're here to collect your head, no longer holding back. Giang Khai steeled himself for the coming clash, focusing his energy. Giang Khai looked up coldly. Hoang Vi struck first during the trials. I was merely defending myself. Are you certain you want to do this? Truong Hai lunged forward with a manic laugh. I don't give a damn about right or wrong. Hung Ngan followed, his face twisted in bloodlust. Do you have any idea how much the young master will reward us for your corpse? Giang Khai ignited his fiery claws, his voice dropping an octave. I say, since you've traded your morals for gold. He suddenly hurled Fate Chaser toward the group. Fate Chaser streaked through the air like a bolt of lightning. Giang Khai growled. Then there's no reason to show mercy. The blade whistled past as the squad barely dodged. Only a few sparks touched them, dealing a pathetic 10 points of damage each. Truong Hai sneered, his arrogance unshaken. Hilarious. You didn't even leave a scratch on us. Was that tiny spark your ultimate move? Hong Ingen roared with laughter. I honestly can't fathom how the young master lost to trash like you. The surrounding onlookers began to whisper and jeer at Giang Kai's apparent weakness. Just a common flame. That pathetic damage is embarrassing. I thought he was a pro. But he's barely a human cigarette lighter. Giang Khai remained unfazed, a dangerous smirk tugging at his lips. You think it's funny, the initial burn might be small. But what if I turn up the heat just a little bit more? Truong Hai glanced down to see his armor igniting. A second later, a massive pillar of fire engulfed him, turning his arrogant boasts into agonizing screams. The other three stood frozen in horror, cold sweat drenching their brows as they watched their leader burn. Captain, they shrieked in panic. Tru Hai wailed in agony as his life bar plummeted, losing 2,000 health points every second. What's happening? How can a simple flame deal this much devastating damage? The flames spread rapidly, catching the rest of the squad. Panic turned to pure terror as the fire clung to their skin. In the blink of an eye, the entire team was swallowed by a sea of fire. Their desperate cries echoing through the air, they thrashed about, trying to escape the inferno. But there was no running from this hellscape. The inferno roared higher, completely consuming their silhouettes until the entire sky glowed a vengeful crimson. A system notification flashed. Adventurer Giang Khai has annihilated the Falcon Squad. Team experience is now available for harvest. Minhyun and the crowd watched with wide-eyed disbelief. What just happened? Tru Hai collapsed to his knees amidst the dying embers. Giang Khai stepped through the fading smoke. Well, since you were all so eager to hand me your lives, he looked down at Truong Hai, who now lay broken at his feet. I suppose I'll graciously accept this tribute of yours. The crowd erupted into a frenzy. What in the world? That kid just wiped out the entire Falcon Squad by himself. Those were level 20 elites. If I hadn't seen him incinerate them with my own eyes, I'd think this was staged. Terrified, whispers and curses filled the air. Just who exactly is this mysterious monster? Giang Khai calmly retrieved Fate Chaser and began absorbing the experience. Nearby, a witness frantically pulled up his status window to scan him. Why can't my interface scan his stats? It says he's only level 12. Attributes exceed scannable range. Evaluation failed. The crowd stood stunned. Failed. How is that even possible? The man's eyes bulged as sweat poured down his face. I've got it. He stammered. Could he be a hidden high-rank fire archmage? Is he using a legendary item to mask his presence? The others crowded around. A fire master, yes. That has to be it. He's like a god of fire. Meanwhile, Giang Khai remained unfazed. Nice. I just jumped 2 more levels. Adventurer Giang Khai. Class Gambler. Level 12. Stats Strength 48. Constitution 52. Agility 78. Spirit 78. Critical rate 0.1%. Critical damage 20,000%. Experience 1,716 out of 12,800. Looking up, he whispered to his system assistant. By the way, iBrain. Why can't they see my status? iBrain appeared, her voice echoing softly in his mind. Your gambler talent provides such massive stat bonuses that the gap between you and others is insurmountable. Their devices simply cannot process the difference. Giang Khai cast a cold glance over his shoulder. Is that so? He turned on his heel and walked away, leaving the stunned crowd behind. Better this way. It's safer if people can't figure out what I'm truly capable of. Within the bustling, radiant city of the Ghost Star, at the local trade hub, Giang Khai stepped forward and announced, Hello. I'm here to sell some loot. The clerk, Tanya, was slumped over her desk, her voice thick with sleep as she gave a half-hearted welcome. Giang Khai sighed, thinking, was he really the only customer all day? It seemed today's productivity had hit an all-time low. Despite her attitude, he offered a polite smile and said, I have quite a bit to unload, so please help me calculate the total value. Tanya finally looked up, her expression filled with pure boredom. She scoffed, thinking a pauper like him couldn't possibly have much. But then, her eyes widened in absolute shock as a massive log of Giang Khai's kills flashed before her. Take a look, he said calmly. I have more than a dozen carcasses from those high-strength black apes. The revelation was so stunning that Tanya bolted upright from her chair. Giang Khai simply grinned and raised his hand to show even more. With a swift motion, he summoned a mountain of treasure chest icons that seemed endless. I also have 19 elite-tier chests to add to the pile. Poking his head through the floating holographic images, Giang Khai joked, Sorry. Can you still see me? I just want to know how much all of this is worth. Tanya stood frozen, staring at the staggering hoard. She wondered if this man was secretly a representative from some massive hunting conglomerate, while others sold their loot piece by piece. This guy had brought an entire warehouse. She took a deep breath, shaking her head to regain her composure. Slamming her hands on the desk with newfound energy, she exclaimed, Please, don't worry, you're in luck, because I'm the top sales agent here. Let me handle these calculations for you. In her mind. And she was screaming with joy. It turned out she was dealing with a legendary whale. She knew she had to close this deal, no matter what it took. Giang Khai smiled and replied, Then I'll leave it in your hands. Suddenly, a massive figure appeared on her screen, 180,000. Thanya's hands trembled as she flipped through the digital documents, unable to hide her amazement at this mysterious high roller. Honored guest. She began. Your monster soul cards alone are worth 10,000 yuan coins. She paused to clear her throat, her voice filled with respect. Adding the elite chests and their contents, the total comes to 180,000 Ghost Star coins. Giang Khai's eyes instantly lit up. He could hardly believe his ears after hearing such a monumental figure. 180,000 Ghost Star coins, he repeated. He quickly did the math. 10,000 Ghost Star coins were equal to 100,000 Radiant coins. Since the Ghost Star currency held a 10-to-1 exchange rate over Radiant coins, the value was astronomical. That meant his haul was worth 1.8 million in total. This was more than enough to cover his older brother's mounting hospital bills. Later, as he walked down the street with his hands in his pockets, Giang Khai closed his eyes, savoring the feeling of true relief. The desperate bet he made with Commander V regarding his brother's care was finally settled. He no longer had to force himself into military service and could finally return to Earth to arrange his brother's treatment. Just then, a familiar voice called out from behind. Wait up, it's me. Hu Yan. The diviner, from before Giang Khai turned to see Hu Yan running toward him, completely out of breath. I was right to advise you to head to the Valley of Kings. Wasn't I? She panted. I bet you walked away with a king's ransom and probably put a few arrogant jerks in their place too. Right. Recognizing her immediately, Giang Khai smiled warmly. Going to the Valley of Kings was a huge help. Thank you so much for the tip. Hu Yan held up a single finger, her expression turning hopeful. In that case, would you consider granting me a very small favor, without a second thought? Giang Khai nodded. Of course. You helped me out so much. So just name it. Hu Yan looked uncharacteristically flustered, her face turning bright red as sweat beaded on her forehead. She pointed to herself with a nervous smile. I, Hu Yan, want to join your team. I'm asking if I can fight by your side and be your comrade from this day forward. To her whore. Giang Khai immediately turned his back on her, his expression turning cold. Hu Yan was stunned by how lightning fast his rejection was. Hey, why are you just walking away? Do you have to be that blunt? Her eyes grew misty as she let out a heavy sigh. It was just as she feared. To the military, she was nothing but a useless class who would ever want her. Her voice turned somber. Fine. Forget it. I know you're the type who loves freebies. Right, do you want my equipment? I'll give it all to you for free. Since this is the last time I'm ever logging into the Ghost Star anyway. Giang Khai froze in his tracks and turned back, looking at her with total confusion. The last time. Are you broke or something? Why would you delete your account and stop earning money here? Hu Yan avoided his gaze, her voice dripping with sorrow even though she forced a small, painful smile. I want to stay. I really do. But I can't. What team would ever want a trash class who can only perform divinations during a life or death battle? She paused for a moment, letting out another long, defeated sigh. Back when the military thought Feng Shui masters were a top-tier class, I took all the support they offered to reach level 20, but everything changed once I transitioned into the diviner profession. Hu Yan explained softly. A Feng Shui master's only talent is a heightened sense of time and place. After the class change, all I gained was a single fortune-telling skill. She bit her lip, recalling the humiliating day she and the other diviners were forcibly escorted out of the military barracks like common criminals. The military ruthlessly abandoned us the moment they realized a fortune-teller had zero combat skills, casting us aside like trash, because we were too weak and no one wanted to party up. Our levels have been completely stagnant ever since. Honyan recalled the crushing loneliness of sitting at her small stall, with no one willing to lead her into battle. I have been struggling just to survive on the Demon Star, even contemplating returning to Earth to work as a lowly scavenger. As Honyan paused, the image of her hauling heavy sacks filled her mind, her voice heavy with the thought of grueling toil. Hearing this, Giang Khai felt a sharp pang of sympathy. That life is far too exhausting. Even my older brother's body broke down from such relentless labor. How could a fragile girl like you possibly endure it? In response, Honyan simply offered a gentle, bittersweet smile. If I don't do it, what other choice do I really have? She then forced a brighter smile. Back on Earth, I still have a younger brother and sister to feed. I am the sole pillar of my family. So, even if it feels unbearable, I must find the strength to carry on. Yet, behind that smile lay a sorrow that words could not describe. Her resilient smile suddenly reminded Giang Khai of his own big brother. It's okay, he thought. Big brother can handle it. Her tragic circumstances left him stunned, realizing how uncannily her life mirrored his own. Giang Khai remembered back to when they were young, and his brother faced the same hardships. Originally, his brother wanted to grow strong on the Demon Star, harboring the ambition to one day defeat the beast god himself. He felt a wave of guilt after raising him and his sister. His brother feared leaving them alone, giving up his dreams only for his health to eventually fail. Honyan's voice suddenly shattered his train of thought as she turned around. All right then. Would you like to take my equipment? If you want it, wait here while I go retrieve it for you. This will be my last act before I return to the real world forever. Never to come back. Goodbye. Giang Khai quickly called out to her. Wait, let's save that for our next meeting. Honyan looked back in surprise. Giang Khai turned to face her, his expression turning deeply serious before he departed. My name is Giang Khai. I have to log off now, but I won't be gone long. Next time we are both online, find me, and we will form a team. Honan's face flushed red, her eyes shimmering with overwhelming emotion. She was so happy, her legs trembled uncontrollably, and her voice began to falter. Are you for real? Giang Khai turned and waved as he walked away. It's a promise. If I'm lying, may I never earn another cent in my life. Honyan reached up to wipe away her tears, her voice trembling with profound gratitude. A stingy guy like you, who only cares about money. It would never make a vow like that unless it was the absolute truth. She suddenly sprinted forward and pulled Giang Khai into a tight back hug, shouting, Thank you, you really are a wonderful person. Caught off guard, Giang Khai nearly choked on his own breath. How can you even survive being this soft? Giang Khai grumbled, struggling to pull away while she refused to let go. Fine. Back on Earth, within the cramped slums where Giang Khai lived, he stepped through the door and called out loudly, Big brother, hey. Everyone, from today on, neither of you have to work anymore. I finally earned some real money. The three of them gathered around their small, round table. Giang Khai crossed his arms with immense confidence. His brother looked on in shock. Is that true? Antu rested her chin on her hand, pointing a suspicious finger. Where did you get all that cash? Second brother, is this even legal? Giang Khai shot her a look and retorted. What kind of question is that? I earned it all on the Demon Star. Tomorrow, I'm arranging your surgery. Big brother. And you, little sister, you're heading back to school to focus on your studies. His brother felt a wave of bittersweet emotion. Xiao Khai, you've worked so hard for us during this difficult time. Giang Khai scratched his head, feeling a bit bashful. It's nothing. Brother, compared to how hard you worked to raise us, this doesn't even come close. Giang Khai gazed at a happy photo of the three of them and spoke in a low, determined voice. Don't worry anymore. You were always the one working yourself to the bone. But now, I finally have the power. I promise I will give us all the life we deserve. Together. They raised their glasses and finished their drinks in a joyful toast. Dong Than proclaimed, To our family and the love that binds us in this world. Cheers. Just as Giang Khai was drinking, his phone suddenly buzzed. He glanced at the screen to see an unknown number calling. He answered, only to hear the voice of V. Ung on the other end. The commander was standing in the middle of a smoke-filled, chaotic battlefield. Giang Khai, you won the bet. Do you have a moment? His voice was deep and grave. I'll send someone to pick you up to collect your rewards soon. Make sure you're there. Giang Khai immediately realized who it was. Commander VA. Short while later, he arrived at the designated location. It was the Beast God battlefield on the outskirts of the Holy Radiance Kingdom's safe zone. A desolate place where skyscrapers lay in ruins. A voice rang out through the silence. This is the place, led by two soldiers. Giang Khai surveyed the wreckage. So many years have passed. Has the city of my childhood really turned into this? Suddenly, the lead soldier came to a halt. Giang Khai looked up, and standing before him was a man with stark white hair, his cloak fluttering violently in the wind. Commander V, I wasn't sure why you called me here. Suddenly, a thunderous, furious roar erupted, shaking the very foundations of the earth. Giang Khai stood frozen in shock at the terrifying sound. The blackened, charred buildings before him began to collapse with a deafening crash. From within the blazing sea of fire, a colossal monster emerged, and perched upon its massive back were three mysterious figures. They streaked through the sky at blinding speeds, locked in a lethal dance with the massive black ape. Giang Khai stands frozen. Is this the power of a transcendent on the God-Beast battlefield? The spectacle before him is staggering. At this stage, reaching the level 20 milestone is a pivotal turning point for every explorer on the Ghost Planet. The entire progression system is meticulously divided into 6 distinct stages. While explorers from levels 1 to 80 grow significantly stronger after their class advancement, their supernatural powers are strictly limited to the Ghost Planet. As he speaks, the three figures ahead spring into action. But for those who have ascended to become transcendents, the rules of reality change. To bridge the gap between levels 81 and 120, an explorer must undergo a profound qualitative transformation to become a true transcendent, weapons in hand. The trio charges directly toward the roaring beast without a single hint of hesitation. The black ape isn't about to let them strike first. It throws back its head, cosmic light swirling in its maw as it prepares a devastating blast. Giang Khai's voice remains steady as he watches the leader thrust his shield forward, perfectly nullifying the beast's lethal beam with a surge of energy. Though they face this titanic monster with grim determination, the most incredible part is that this power can now be wielded back on Earth. The three warriors soar into the heavens, pouring every ounce of their soul into their strikes. They refuse to back down, plunging back into the fray once more. This surreal awakening of power isn't just a massive turning point in human military history. It's our ultimate weapon in the desperate war against the god beasts. Giang Khai's tone shifts, growing more excited by the second. This is the most effective way to strike. Simultaneously, the trio's coordinated assault finally tears through the monster's thick, armored hide. Giang Khai leaps up in triumph, cheering loudly. They did it. They actually took it down. That was incredible power. Standing nearby, Wei Ying calmly takes a drag from his cigarette. Strong, you say. You have no idea, kid. That was just a common god beast. But to take that thing down... His face darkens with heavy thought. We lost 2 transcendents just to secure this victory. The news hits Giang Khai like a physical blow, his eyes widening in pure shock. Wei Ying lowers his voice, his tone somber. Giang Khai, humanity is cornered. Don't let the comfort of the safe zone make you forget the horrors lurking outside. You won our wager, so I won't force you into the military. Above them, thunder rumbles as heavy. Charcoal clouds begin to swallow the sky in darkness. Wei Ying closes his eyes, slowly exhaling a cloud of smoke. As for the royal family, I'll personally ensure they don't lay a finger on you. He catches the bewildered look on Giang Khai's face and lets out a faint, knowing smirk. You're wondering why a man like me would go to such lengths for a kid like you, aren't you? Wei Ying pauses for a beat, his voice ringing with absolute certainty. It's simple. I am a man who has always bet everything on my intuition. Rain begins to fall, light droplets cooling Giang Khai's face. He hangs on every word, unblinking. Wei Ying continues with a lower, gravelly voice. My gut tells me you'll become a powerhouse. One day, you might grow so strong that the entire St. Glory Empire will look to you for salvation. The drizzle turns into a heavy downpour, the rhythmic drumming of rain against the earth echoing throughout the desolate clearing. The 3 warriors remain standing in the rain where the black ape fell. The sound of the storm mingles with Wei Ying's deep, resonant voice. I know a kid like you just wants to protect his family. Joining the army means the front lines. And the front lines, they are a literal hell. Wei Ying brings the cigarette to his lips, taking one last long drag as the rain intensifies. But when the world is on fire, someone has to step up and face the monsters. Every soul bears the responsibility for our survival. Right. He flicks the glowing ember to the muddy ground, his voice flat. One day, I'll likely breathe my last on some forgotten, blood-soaked battlefield, but as a man of St. Glory... He turns sharply to look Giang Khai in the eye, his brow furrowed with intense, raw emotion. If I can die for this country, for people like you, then I'll go with a smile on my face. A massive bolt of lightning shatters the sky. Giang Khai stands there, stunned. Giang Khai, the choice is yours. But if St. Glory ever faces total ruin, I hope you'll have the strength to stand. Wei Ying's voice turns into a commanding growl. When that time comes, fight for the glory of St. Glory. Days later, after a brief rest back on Earth, Giang Khai makes his return to the perilous ghost planet. Within the walls of St. Glory City, Wei Ying's words continue to echo in his mind like a persistent, heavy drumbeat. I can't believe the commander thinks so highly of me. Could I really be the one the Empire needs in the future? He shakes his head and taps his watch interface. Forget it. I need to focus on surviving. The black apes in King's Valley should have respawned by now. The screen flickers to life, displaying the stats of a Banshee, an elite-tier monster with lethal attack power, capable of instant killing unwary explorers. Its attacks possess a spirit break effect, specifically designed to bypass spectral defenses. Then, a new line of text flashes across the display. Spirit break. The Banshee's shriek can paralyze any explorer within a 10-meter radius, plunging them into a state of absolute, soul-consuming terror. Only attacks delivered from within that deadly 10-meter range can hope to deal any significant damage to this spectral nightmare. Giang Khai whispers the data to himself, his gaze locked onto the image of the Banshee. This was a monster in a completely different league. Within 10 meters, it is an instant kill zone. But beyond that range, no damage can be dealt. He shuts off the screen and closes his eyes, hardening his resolve, hands in his pockets. Giang Khai strides forward with unshakable determination. This monster looks far more troublesome than the black ape he faced before. I need teammates, he muses. In the distance, Honyan is dozing off while standing in the middle of the road, still clutching her recruitment sign. Don't bother me. I'm waiting for my captain. She mutters, sleep-talking through her exhaustion. Captain. Oh. Captain. Passersby look at her with judging glares, whispering, is she crazy? Giang Khai appears behind her, looking utterly helpless at the scene. Honan. Don't tell me you've been standing here ever since I went offline. Hearing his voice, Honyan snaps awake instantly. She turns toward him, eyes welling with tears as she blabs excitedly. Captain Kai, I knew you'd come back for me. I've been waiting here for days. Giang Khai offers a soft smile. I remember. All right. Suddenly, her eyes narrow slyly. She covers her mouth, whispering, Captain Kai, you're planning to take me monster hunting now, aren't you? I'll find you a formidable teammate. I've calculated that this guy can really help you out. So, what do you think? Do you need him? Giang Khai is thrilled. A powerful ally. That sounds perfect, as long as he isn't some hopeless drunkard. He adds cautiously. A chubby young man suddenly materializes before them. Scratching his head, he introduces himself. Hello. I'm Wen Nu, and I'm a total drunkard. True to his word. Several bottles of wine hang from both sides of his belt. Giang Khai bolts in the opposite direction, shouting, I don't need him. Honan laughs awkwardly. Is Captain Kai always this brutally honest? Nguyen stands there confused as Honyan yells after the fuming, retreating Giang Khai. Captain Kai, please take him. He is used to hardship and is very obedient. Wen Nu bashfully lowers his head, nervously twiddling his fingers together, refusing to give up. Honyan chases after him. Wen Nu can even cook for you and give you massages. He even said that if you take him, he won't ask for a single piece of loot. Giang Kai's expression remains dark until that last part. Upon hearing that, Giang Kai's eyes widen in sheer shock. He sprints back to Nguyen Nu, grabbing his hand with eyes sparkling in sudden admiration. Greetings, Comrade Nguyen Nu. I'm Captain Giang Khai. The moment I saw you, I knew you were a rare talent. From now on, you're a member of our squad. Giang Khai laughs loudly, one hand on his hip while punching the air in excitement. Today, as your captain, I will lead us to find the Phantom Siren. As of today, we are family. Let's move. Nguyen Nu looks at Honyan, bewildered and stammering. Captain, isn't this a bit? Giang Khai continues to shout. We are family. Honan stands helpless at his shameless change of heart. Yeah. Family only because you're free labor. She sighs. Soon, night falls, and the bright moon illuminates the sprawling forests and mountains deep within the dense woods. A decrepit wooden shack appears, surrounded by a chilling mist of skeletal remains. This is the territory of the Phantom Siren, an elite monster of the Earth realm. Eerie moans drift from inside the shack as a clawed hand begins weaving a sinister spell. It is the level 20 elite Phantom Siren. Her gaunt frame is draped in a tattered white dress as she lets out bone-chilling shrieks. High on the cliffside, a figure observes the siren. It is Giang Khai. Watching intently, he whispers, Listen up. This siren is many times stronger than the black ape. One slip-up and we're dead. Keep your voices down. His gaze remains fixed on the siren. Also, remember, only attacks within 10 meters can actually hurt her. We must tread lightly and find an opening to close the distance. Honan trembles. Understood. A slurred, dragging voice calls out, Kaptai in. Giang Khai is. Honan. Shut it. Honan points at herself, looking confused. She doesn't understand why he is scolding her. The voice continues, followed by a low groan. Kaptai in. Without turning back, Giang Khai snaps. Honan. Stay quiet. She waves her hands frantically. Captain. It's not me. The groaning persists. Kaptai in. Losing his patience, Giang Khai spins around. If it's not you, then who's making that noise? It is Nguyen Nu, lounging on a tree branch surrounded by empty bottles, holding one up while snoring like thunder. Captain, look what I found. Nguyen Nu mumbles, completely wasted. Suddenly, he shouts, Thank you. Let me toast to the Captain. Giang Khai and Honyan grit their teeth in fury as the siren spins around. She instantly takes flight, soaring into the air and locking onto their hiding spot. Startled by her incredible speed, Giang Khai watches as she screams, a beam of light forming in her maw. Her eyes glow crimson, revealing 4 lethal fangs. Terrified, Giang Khai roars, Nguyen Nu. What the hell are you doing? Honan. Didn't you say he would be a great help? Beside him, Honan's face turns pale as a ghost. I just had to open my mouth. Didn't I? Giang Khai groaned heavily. Now we're really in for it. The Banshee unleashed a deafening, soul-shattering scream. The air itself was torn apart by a shockwave, powerful enough to blow all 3 of them away. An invisible force slammed into the group, Giang Khai and Honan immediately sensed the danger. But Nguyen knew he was still dead to the world. Drooling in his sleep, Giang Kai's face darkened as system alerts flashed. Warning: abnormal status detected. Soul-shattered state active. The Banshee had transformed into something far more terrifying than before. Giang Khai and Honan fell to their knees, frozen in terror before the beast. This was bad. This monster is too strong. I can't move a muscle, Captain. We can't win this. Maybe we should just accept our fate. She reached out her claws to snatch them up. Her maw agape. But suddenly, an enthusiastic voice echoed through the clearing. Wennu charged straight at the Banshee, face flushed red and tongue hanging out. Where did this beauty come from? How can such a goddess be in a place like this? Pardon, milady. But were you looking for me? He dove from the branches with lightning speed, leaving Giang Khai and Honyan staring in utter shock. Nguyen Nu tackled the Banshee with such explosive force that the monster was sent flying backward. He chuckled, pinning the beast to the ground. It must be destiny that led me to such a beautiful lady. Come here and let me show you some love. Nguyen Nu caressed the monster's face, admiring her. Wow. Your skin is so smooth. The Banshee froze, her eyes wide with pure disbelief at what was happening. Honyan twitched her fingers. She could move again. The system notification confirmed the soul shatter effect had been dispelled. Giang Khai immediately sprang back to his feet. What on earth was going on? How was Nguyen Nu actually overpowering a high-level Banshee like this? Giang Khai quickly regained his composure, clenching his fists as his soul seeker blades materialized in his hands. Her soul-shattering scream must have a cooldown. We have to strike now before she can unleash a second wave. He launched his daggers forward in a blur. He had to finish this instantly. The soul seeker blades struck with surgical precision, erupting into a fierce blaze upon impact. Meanwhile, Nguyen Ngu was still pinned on top of her, puckering his lips right in the monster's face. Hey lady, let me teach you the art of the French kiss. Even the monster herself couldn't fathom the absurdity of the situation. As Nguyen Nu leaned in for the kiss, the Banshee struggled, completely pinned down and unable to fight back. From now on, you're my darling wife. But just then, the flames from Giang Kai's blades exploded, engulfing the monster's entire body. A moment later, the fire died down, leaving nothing behind but a lingering trail of black smoke. Nguyen Nu stumbled out of the smoke, looking utterly devastated. Where's my wife? Giang Khai pumped his fists, a triumphant grin on his face. Perfect. It was over. A system notification popped up. Elite Ghost Banshee ×1 defeated. Honyan's eyes sparkled with admiration. Captain, I can't believe you actually one-shot an Elite Banshee. Meanwhile, Nguyen Nu collapsed to the ground, overcome with grief. He wailed through his tears. You monsters, you blew up my beautiful wife. How could you? Nguyen Nu looked up, face a mess of tears and snot. She was the only love of my life. Without her, I'll never be able to love again. He cried out to the heavens in mock despair. Oh. My poor departed wife Giang Khai leaned over to Honyan and whispered, Is Nguyen Nu always this crazy when he's drunk? Honyan gave a strained smile. Yeah. He's a total alcoholic. He just can't resist the bottle. And every time he gets drunk, he turns into a complete idiot. She quickly ran toward the wooden shack, shouting excitedly, Captain, let me go grab the treasure chest and that Elite Banshee's corpse card for you. Giang Khai nodded, but a thought crossed his mind. Wait. Didn't Nguyen Nu get hit by the monster's soul shatter too? He recalled how wasted Nguyen Nu was. Why was he completely unaffected by the debuff? And how did he even manage to counterattack? The image of Nguyen Nu tackling that Banshee with such raw power kept replaying in Giang Kai's head. He watched Nguyen Nu sobbing while chugging more booze. Usually, losing control while drunk is a fatal flaw. But could this deadly weakness actually be the secret to neutralizing the Banshee's soul attacks? A smirk spread across Giang Kai's face. Just then, Honyan returned with the treasure chest and looked up at him. She saw him wearing a devious, narrow-eyed grin that looked almost villainous. Isn't Nguyen Nu basically a living weapon perfectly designed to counter these Banshees? Honyan froze in her tracks, terrified. Why was he smiling so creepily all of a sudden, just when they thought it was over? Inside another hut, another Banshee was snarling in rage, one who looked exactly like the first. Hearing footsteps, she whirled around, but before she could react, Giang Khai and Honan were already closing in. I've made my decision. Go get him. Nguyen Nagu. Leading the charge was Nguyen Nu, grinning wildly with his tongue out. Another beauty. The Banshee let out a bone-chilling, soul-shattering scream, but that charm was completely useless against Nguyen. New heart shapes filled his eyes as he stared at her. Why is she drooling while looking at me like that? Is it possible that she's actually lusting after my body? Once again, Nguyen Nu lunged forward to embrace the female demon, leaving her terrified and choking. What a coincidence. Because I want you too. Behind them, Giang Khai stood ready. Perfect. Her skill was shattered, creating the perfect opening for a close-range assault. Wen Nu pinned her down, humming a low tune as he worked. Come on, baby? Meeting you makes me believe in love again. Let's light a small fire of passion together tonight. Giang Khai seized the moment, unleashing a barrage of fate-seeking flames at the siren, caught off guard by Wen Nu's chaotic actions. She stood completely defenseless. The attack hit home with ease. Just like before, violent flames erupted instantly, and the siren let out a piercing scream of agony. The system notification flashed. Explorer Giang Khai has successfully slain an elite wraith siren. Nguyen Nu avoided the flames, but the blast wave sent him flying into the sky. As he slowly regained consciousness, he finally realized what was happening, dangling midair. He roared out in a fit of rage. You monsters, you blew up my darling wife again. I curse you all. You absolute animals. He crashed headfirst into the ground, tears and snot streaming down his face. Giang Khai just watched him with total confidence. Quick, while he's still dazed. Let's go find another one, Giang Khai suggested. Honyan immediately agreed to the plan. Over the next 3 hours, Nu was repeatedly blasted into the sky by the explosive force. Don't blow up my new wife, number 11, he screamed mid-flight. Later, he sat huddled on the ground, weeping. My 23rd wife was just murdered by these two beasts. Inside the house, Giang Khai and Honyan's eyes gleamed with excitement as they cracked open more treasure chests. Nu wailed piteously, reaching out to stop them. Please, I beg you, spare my 35th wife. Another chest was hauled out from the siren's wooden cabin. Glowing brilliantly and feeling incredibly heavy, Giang Khai laughed heartily, hands on his hips. Fantastic, thanks to Win-Win, we've gathered 35 elite chests and wiped out every siren in King's Valley. Honyan covered her face in shock. This level of efficiency is something I never even dared to dream of. Giang Khai checked the system board, grinning. On top of that, after killing 35 elites, I've jumped 2 levels. I'm level 14 now. He looked over at Nguyen Nu and winked. The only price for this success was one man's completely shattered heart. Ho Nun. You were right about Nguyen Nu being useful. Your calculation was spot on. She smiled brightly. Of course, besides, we're just helping him build mental resilience for future breakups. Nguyen Mu, eyes swollen from crying, could only stare in disbelief. You two are nothing but bandits, he whimpered. Honyan simply flashed him a confident thumbs up. Nguyen Ngu, you're the best, he snapped back at her. You're a monster. Meanwhile, Giang Khai noted there was even more to their haul. He held up 2 shimmering cards. He had also collected 2 skill cards from the cabins, allowing him to learn a new ability. The first card featured an illustration of dark clouds and heavy rain. This first skill was rainmaking, used by those with immense mental strength to summon a massive downpour over a vast area. Giang Khai imagined summoning a lake to drown and sweep away his enemies. In the right terrain, high-level masters could even create rivers out of thin air. This could create miracles in a real battle. He handed the card over to Honan. Honan, you're level 29 with higher spirit stats than me. You should learn this. She was visibly taken aback. A real skill card for me. Tears welled in her eyes as her voice trembled. Thank you, Captain Kai. I finally have a skill other than divination. I'm no longer a useless burden during combat. She fell to her knees, bowing repeatedly to Giang Khai in gratitude. Captain, from now on, you are my eternal boss. Please accept my salute. Giang Khai sighed helplessly. Stop that. You've earned this. Honyan didn't stop until a large bump formed on her forehead. She clutched the card, staring at it with pure joy. I'm not a failure anymore. Giang Khai then examined the remaining card, a one-time skill point for hidden classes. As he focused on the card, the details immediately materialized before his eyes. This skill point could activate an additional ability of a hidden class, but it was a single-use power that would disappear after activation. Is that so? Then let's activate it, he thought. The card in his hand erupted in a brilliant light, even if it was only for one use. He had to see what kind of power a hidden class could trigger. Eyebrain appeared as the light enveloped her. Congratulations, Professional Hidden Gambler. You have activated the Casino Pickpocket skill. The image on the card shifted to a skeletal hand using magic to manipulate a pair of dice. Once the Casino Pickpocket feature was engaged, any explorer nearby who focused on the gambler would have 1,000th of their total attributes stolen and added to his own. After 30 minutes, the effect would vanish. Giang Khai frowned, feeling underwhelmed. That's the only effect. Ebrain nodded slightly. That is all. Giang Khai clutched his head in frustration. Such a rare skill. Yet it only siphoned a measly 1,000th of the target's total attributes. He sank to his knees, his expression darkening. I barely have over 200 attributes in total right now. What's the point of stealing almost nothing? Meanwhile, Nguyen Gu finally sobered up and sat up, asking, what happened to me? Was I just asleep? He looked confused, placing a hand over his chest. Wait. Why does my heart feel so heavy? Honyan leaned in and whispered. The legendary romantic ghost. Have you already forgotten grieving over your 35 lost wives last night? Suddenly, memories flooded back. Winnu recalled his drunken antics, tongue out, blissfully flying toward others for a hug. He nearly gagged at the memory. I remember now. After I threw up, you started crying. I'm so sorry. Captain Khai. I was a burden. I'm a hopeless drunk. I just can't resist it. If you're disappointed in me, I'll leave the team right now. Giang Khai remained silent, simply handing Winnu a coat. A gentle smile touched his lips as he asked, What are you talking about? You were the true MVP last night. This equipment belongs to you. As Winnu stared in shock, Giang Khai continued, Without you, I'd have been killed by that succubus countless times. You were the core of this mission, overwhelmed with emotion. Winnu's face flushed. No. Captain Khai. I can't accept this. Just being on your team is more than enough. Giang Khai waved him off. Take it. I promise never to mistreat my comrades. Besides, there's a share for Honyan as well. Honan's head snapped toward them. In that moment, through Honyan's distorted, idolizing eyes, Giang Khai appeared as a prince charming, rose in mouth, tossing gold everywhere. Honyan, come and claim your gear too, he said softly. Both Honan and Winnu's eyes sparkled with pure adoration. Is this for real? They both dropped to their knees, bowing deeply. Captain Khai, from now on, we are yours. In life or death, we follow only you. Shocked and helpless, Giang Khai tried to stop them. Why are you two like this? Later, the trio gathered their things and returned to the Ghost Star trading hub. An elegant voice greeted them. Our big spender has returned. Unlike before, the receptionist was incredibly warm, a startling change. Today's total from your monster loot and treasures has reached 840,000 ghost coins. Sir, Giang Khai was ecstatic. That's amazing. Doesn't that equal 8,400,000 Holy Brilliance coins? With this, I never have to worry about Big Brother or Antu's living expenses ever again. Stepping into the changing room of the trade zone, Giang Khai's mind raced with excitement. Not only did he have enough money, but he'd also secured 2 pieces of gear that perfectly complemented his style. He immediately equipped them. First were the midnight trousers, paired with his cloak. They allowed him to move through the shadows completely undetected. S-rank midnight trousers agility plus 11, strength plus 6, and defense plus 3. At night, they granted 3 minutes of perfect invisibility. Giang Khai adjusted his waist length, high-collared jacket. The second piece was the ethereal armor, capable of phasing his body to dodge lethal blows at critical moments. A rank, ethereal armor agility plus 24, strength plus 8, constitution plus 9, and spirit power plus 14. Every 10 minutes, he could activate ethereal form to negate a single physical attack. Giang Khai examined his hands. His gloves had already proven their worth. Their flames could indeed stack with his critical strikes. Put simply, this was a god-tier set tailored specifically for him. S-rank blasting gloves, effect agility plus 7, strength plus 6. It imbued weapons with fire and enhanced performance in burning areas. The flames would cling to his blade, detonating upon impact to amplify his critical damage. Brimming with confidence, Giang Khai pulled back the curtain and stepped out. He felt more powerful than ever. Even against level 20 adventurers, he could now hold his own. He walked out radiating an aura of absolute self-assurance. His status screen flickered. Adventurer Giang Khai. Class Gambler. Level 14. Stats Danger 76. Def 3. Con 69. Crit rate 0.1%. Agi 132. Crit damage 20,000%. He clenched his fists, ready for anything. Suddenly, Winnu came running from a distance, carrying a heavy log and holding Fate Chaser high. He yelled, Captain, there you are. I've made some upgrades to your weapon. Giang Khai turned around. Winnu. The boy arrived panting, barely able to catch his breath. Let me show you. Without hesitation, he hurled a spear forward. Check out this new effect. Giang Khai instinctively raised his arms, panicked. Winnu, what the hell are you doing? Are you still holding a grudge because I burned those 35 wives of yours? The spear whistled through the air, stopping mere inches from his eyes. Winnu tossed the log into the air and shouted, Return instantly. Fate Chaser pivoted mid-air and zipped back to his hand. In a flash, the wooden beam above his head was cleaved in two by Life Seeker. Winnu reached out, catching the speeding blade mid-air, extending both hands. Winnu offered the weapon back, speaking softly. Captain Khai, I noticed you often have to retrieve Life Seeker manually during combat. To solve that annoyance, I integrated magnetic stones into its core, he explained patiently. Now, once launched, You can simply use the magnetic force to call Lifeseeker back to your hand. Giang Khai was instantly thrilled. Is that true? Does this mean I no longer need to worry about my remaining weapon count? Wenengu continued. Furthermore, while being pulled back, Lifeseeker can still inflict massive damage on any targets in its path. Giang Khai slapped Wennu's shoulder in praise, surprised that Wennu was such a gear-modifying genius. Ngu rubbed his hands shyly. I just taught myself those things. Am I really that impressive? Captain Giang Khai raised 3 fingers, swearing an oath. I swear it before the heavens themselves. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck down from the cloudless sky right behind Giang Khai. The beautiful weather vanished as a downpour began under gray clouds. Drenched, Giang Khai stood up. What is going on? Wennu was equally confused. Captain, are you lying to me? From afar, Honyan came skipping through the rain. Captain, it is me. I just learned a basic rain-calling spell, though it does not seem very useful. Does it? Wennu breathed a sigh of relief. So it was just Honyan all along. Giang Khai reassured her. How could your skill be useless? Look, all these people are running for cover because of you. He caught the raindrops. If you make this downpour even heavier, it will severely hinder the enemy's movements on the battlefield. Giang Khai watched the crowds rushing for shelter, some even slipping and falling, then told Honyan seriously. Then, the enemies will become sitting ducks, and I can eliminate anyone I choose. Honyan's confidence soared instantly as she laughed. Really, am I truly that helpful? Then I must practice this rain-calling art with everything I have. Giang Khai nodded. Keep up the good work. Kai looked into the distance with a satisfied smile. With Ingu's combat prowess and Nan's weather manipulation, the team was growing stronger. 3 men walked past them, one cursing loudly. What is with this sudden downpour? All the equipment we brought for the frozen island is completely soaked now. What if the royal family blames us for being late? Hearing royal family, Giang Khai instantly snapped to attention. The royals. He called out to them. Hold on. Friends, which royal family are you referring to exactly? Nguyen Nu handed an umbrella to Honyan. For you. Khan Du stared at Kai like he was some strange creature. Do you not check the internet? The man beside him, Van Hao, said with a smirk. The Royal Xuanwu Guild is leading 200,000 people to the frozen island to hunt a king-class boss for the nation. Hao Vu added. That is why countless other adventurers are heading there to help clear out the swarming monsters. They continued their explanation. This involves the fate of the entire world. How could you not know such massive news? Giang Khai stood there, stunned. With those words, they quickly turned to leave. Let us move. If we are late, we might face heavy penalties. Kai pondered. Is the royal family hunting a boss for the country? Is Hongvi involved? He lowered his head, deep in thought. Divine beasts are currently ravaging Earth. Nations must secure resources from the demon star to stand a chance against them. 5 vital resources came to mind. Secret realms, equipment, ore veins, raw materials, and energy sources. Yet, these are held by bosses. Only by defeating them can a nation control the land and its riches. His expression hardened, his voice growing heavy with the weight of the situation. Furthermore, demon star monsters are ranked common, elite, combat general, and commander level. Then there are king-class bosses, map bosses, and the elite king's guardian. He envisioned a battlefield of thousands. A king-class boss required hundreds of thousands of warriors to even stand a chance. They were risking everything against a monster. Yet the royal family led the Xuanwu Guild for the greater good. The image of Hongvi flashed in his mind, sword in hand. Fighting on the front lines, Giang Khai grew silent and skeptical. Had Huang Vi truly changed into a commander who cared for the world? He recalled Vi Ung's words, the fate of the world is every man's responsibility. Someone must stand against the monsters. Giang Khai tightened his fist, staring at his own reflection trembling in the rainwater on the ground. If Hoang Vi is capable of such things, should I also head to the Eternal Frost Island to serve my country? At the Demon Star Frozen Island, a breathtaking starlit sky hung above a world of raging blizzards and jagged, snow-capped peaks. Giang Kai's trio struggled through the bone-chilling storm, as Honan's voice shivered from the intense cold. Captain, you dragged us here on a whim without any winter gear. All 3 huddled together, trembling as Giang Kai's face turned purple. I never imagined it would be this freezing. Suddenly, a sharp, piercing scream echoed through the wind. Giang Khai looked up to see 3 figures on a cliff. What idiots are you? Don't you know walking on the lake is forbidden before a war? Disoriented and shivering, Giang Khai managed to stammer. This is our first time here. Why is walking there forbidden? Their leader, Wang Kuang, crossed his arms and scoffed loudly. Why? Where did you clueless rookies even come from? As everyone knows, the depths beneath this frozen island are a massive nest for monsters. He continued coldly. Walking on the lake like that is suicide. Beneath Jiang Kai's feet, the ice began to fracture and groan. Wang Kuang added, You've likely alerted the prowling merman. Suddenly, a merman burst through the ice, brandishing a lethal trident. The group was thrown back in terror. It was a monster, a bipedal merman. Level 22. It bared its teeth in a wicked, savage grin. Giang Khai hauled Wen-Nu up by his collar as Honan gasped. A merman. On the cliff. Hu Luke stood beside Wang Kuang, laughing mockingly. What a bunch of complete fools, Wang Kuang shouted down. A level 22 merman requires an entire party of level 20s to even stand a chance. He yelled louder to ensure Giang Khai heard. Mermen are elite close combatants. Once they pin you down, it's game over, especially at level 22. While he spoke, the merman lunged with explosive speed, thrusting its trident directly at Giang Khai. Wang Kuang was certain of their demise. Suddenly, Giang Khai stepped forward to block the strike. As Hon Yan tried to pull him back, Captain, look out! Just as the trident was about to pierce him, Giang Khai roared. Ghost armor. Phase shift. The merman was stunned as the phase ended. Giang Khai appeared right before its eyes with a smirk. I expected much more than this. Turns out you're just some trash fish. He delivered a devastating kick to its face while unleashing his soul-chasing flame. Get lost. The merman erupted into a blazing inferno, letting out a pained hiss. On the cliff, the three spectators watched, paralyzed with shock. What, not only did he dodge, but he dared to engage a merman in close combat. The bearded bosun was equally stunned. It usually takes a full high-level party to handle a monster like that. Wang Kuang broke into a cold sweat, but he's only level 10 plus. He stared at the unfazed Giang Khai below. How did he just one-shot it? Giang Khai watched as the merman's body crumbled into ash and let out a boisterous laugh. A little movement really warms the bones. I'm not even cold anymore, he gestured, recalling his weapons. Soul chasers. Return. Giang Khai mused that with his power now at 76 points. A single critical hit from the Soul Chasers would be catastrophic. The damage would reach at least 15,200 points. Even without calculating the additional Soul Chaser weapon bonuses from every direction, the Soul Chaser blades flew through the air, converging back onto Giang Khai. He realized that based on his lowest critical calculations, at this stage around level 20, whether monster or adventurer, no one could survive a single hit from him. He calmly stowed the blades into his spatial storage bag, overflowing with confidence. He saw Ho Nan running over, holding a glowing item card aloft. Captain Jiang. I grabbed the merman's soul card for you. Giang Khai turned and nodded. Thanks. Let's get to the shore quickly. Giang Khai looked up at the cliff above. By the way, do you three know where I can find Huang Vi? The trio snapped out of their shock, jumping at his voice. Hu Luke immediately began rubbing his hands together in a fawning manner. Great one. Please, how could we be your big brothers? We are merely your humble underlings. The lowest of the low. Wang Kuang quickly followed his lead. What a coincidence. We know exactly where the young master Huang Vi is located. Bo Xin chimed in. Please, allow us to serve as your guides. Later, in a secluded part of the island, Giang Khai walked alone. He had decided not to involve Ho Nan and Wen-Nu in his personal feud with Hong Vi, so he went ahead solo. Those guys said Hong Vi was right here. I want to settle this face to face. But where is he hiding? Suddenly, a powerful voice echoed across the frozen landscape, calling his name, Giang Khai. Giang Khai turned with a smile. Hoang Vi. The man stood in full plate armor, hand resting on his sword, his expression cold as ice. Giang Khai stepped forward and spoke firmly. Huang Vi, hearing that you intend to defeat the boss for the sake of our nation, I truly admire that. Let's put our past grudges aside. I'm ready to contribute my strength to this frozen island. Suddenly, a flash of light blinded Giang Khai. As he faltered, Huang Wei unsheathed his blade and swung directly at him. Giang Khai reacted instantly, leaping aside to narrowly evade the lethal strike. Huang Wei, what are you doing? Giang Khai shouted while dodging. I only came to clear up the misunderstanding. Huang Wei's face darkened as his blade struck nothing but air. Clear it up. He looked up with a twisted grin, teeth gnashing. You killed me once and forced me through a grueling recovery. And now you dare speak of peace. Huang Wei raised his sword high once more, his voice turning cold as ice. Do you have any idea how many nights I spent plotting my revenge after you took my life? The military ordered my family not to touch you, but I couldn't let that stand. He glared at Giang Khai and roared. That's why I volunteered for the King-class boss raid. I only wanted the glory of that kill to force the military to strip away your protection. Giang Khai was stunned. You hunted a King-class boss just for that? Huang Wei sneered. Exactly. He lunged at Giang Khai with blinding speed. But I never expected you to deliver yourself right to me. The Great War can wait. I'm killing you first. He swung his sword violently, intending to use his boss kill merits to settle things with the military later. Giang Khai dropped low, the blade whistling inches above his head, retreating swiftly. He let out a cold snort. I gave you too much credit. It seems you're nothing but a petty coward after all. Giang Khai raised his hand, and a fierce, dancing flame began to envelop his palm. If you want me dead, bring your whole team. Either way, I'm going to wipe out the Falcon Squad sooner or later. Behind Huang Vai, Huang Xiao burst into laughter. Impudent brat. You only survived because the military was backing you up. Huang Wu added mockingly. Young master is higher level now and decked out in S-rank gear. Why would he need our help to crush a bug like you? Huang Sun nodded, checking his device. Exactly. This kid is just a... His voice trailed off as the holographic display flickered to life, and his eyes widened in shock. Wait there, it was Giang Khai's stats. How could this brat have reached level 14 as fast as the young master? Across the field, Huang Wei was suddenly engulfed in a roar of flames. A blood-curdling scream ripped from his throat. Huang Wei clawed at the air, his body a pillar of fire. What is this? Where did these flames come from? Save me, someone. Help me, he shrieked in agony. The others rushed toward him, panic etched on their faces. What's going on? It's just fire. So why is the damage output this insane? From the distance, Giang Khai spoke with chilling indifference. Your young master is already a dead man. Move, or share his fate. Still clinging to life, Huang Wei reached out a charred hand, his voice a desperate rasp. No. I refuse to die here. He crawled from the inferno, his armor blackened and ruined. His special gear had triggered a 1% health point lock, barely keeping him from the brink. Kill him, he bellowed, his arrogance returning despite his state. Torture him, make him beg for death. His 4 lackeys drew their weapons and closed in on Giang Khai. Understood. Giang Khai's eyes went cold as he tightened his fist. Still lining up to die, he surged forward, launching his Fate Seeker with full force. Perfect timing. I'll use you lot to test the magnetic pull of my life-chasing skill. The projectile whistled past them. They dodged, wearing smug, cunning smirks. Huang Wu scoffed. All those daggers and not a single hit. Is that the best you've got? These hunters ranged from level 28 to 32. Huang Sun chuckled contemptuously. What's wrong? Are your hands shaking because we're all over level 30? He charged at Giang Khai. I'll take him first. Giang Khai raised his flaming hand, a smirk playing on his lips. Ever heard of the saying, the first bird gets shot? Just then, Fate Seeker arced back, plunging into Huang Sun's spine from behind. Hellish flames erupted from the blade, consuming everything. Giang Khai watched impassively as Huang Sun screamed, swallowed by the inferno. The others froze in horror. How? Why did those daggers come back? They looked from the motionless Giang Khai to their level 32 captain, who was now a charred corpse. How could a level 14 brat do this? He's dead. Killed. In an instant, they screamed in terror. Like a flash of lightning, Giang Khai reappeared behind them. He reached out his hand, summoning the Fate Seeker back to his palm. One man stood in the weapon's path and was pierced through. As the flames ignited again, his face turned pale with pure dread. He watched helplessly as the fire spread, unable to escape the same agonizing, fiery end. Huang Xiao trembled, his voice quivering. What? What kind of skill is this? The damage is impossible. Huang Wu was losing it. Is this kid a hidden pro playing weak? Huang Wei struggled to his feet, barking orders. Idiots, he's a long-range specialist. He gritted his teeth, hissing. Stop standing around, close the distance and pin him down together. At Huang Wei's command, his 2 henchmen charged forward, shouting in unison. Understood. Huang Wei smirked arrogantly. Giang Khai is clearly a long-range specialist with high damage, but at close range, he's definitely... Before he could finish, a sudden inferno consumed his men. Their agonized screams rang out. No, stop. Huang Wei slumped to his knees in shock, his face pale with disbelief. Giang Khai approached slowly, muttering with cold fury. One piece of trash leading a pack of trash. Is there really any difference? Huang Wei stammered, scrambling backward on the ground in terror. Impossible. How did you bridge such a massive level gap? Giang Khai ignored his desperate questioning. He raised his blade. Our grudge could have ended today, but you've truly pushed my patience to the limit. Laud in hand, Giang Khai closed the distance, his voice dripping with ice. Huang Wei, you're a heartless snake who wanted me dead, right? Huang Wei trembled. What are you doing? Giang Khai lifted his sword high. Nothing much. You tried to kill me, so I'm just returning the favor. I heard our last encounter left you traumatized. He smirked wickedly. Let's make that darkness even deeper this time. Despair filled Huang Wei's eyes as the blade fell. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the silent forest. Minutes later, Giang Khai stood alone, hands in his pockets, staring intently at his glowing system interface. Explorers really do grant the most experience, killing 4 level 30 players plus that trash. Huang Wei pushed me to level 17. Suddenly, the holographic screen flashed a violent, Ominous red, a warning appeared. Due to killing over 10 explorers from your own faction, you have received the bloodthirsty assassin penalty. Giang Khai froze, stunned. Then, the system displayed more terrifying details about the bloodthirsty assassin status. While in this state, your exact location will be broadcast to all nearby players. If killed, your attacker gains triple experience. Collect 10 tears of repentance to remove this murderous mark. A cold sweat broke out. Bloodthirsty assassin. Isn't that the mark of death that everyone on Planet Ghost hunts down? He recalled the horrors of Planet Ghost. Anyone with this penalty became nothing more than a walking experience bat, hunted by everyone who sensed his position. Death was the only thing waiting for him. Worse yet, his unique talent doubled all system rewards and penalties. There was even a 1% chance for a super multiplier. This meant his punishments could be amplified 10 times over. Giang Khai scratched his head in frustration. My talent can actually boost my punishment by 10 times. This isn't just bad luck, it's a total disaster. Suddenly, the gravity hit him. If I die once, I lose 30 times the experience. I'll drop straight back to level 1. He bolted forward. Heart pounding. This is bad. I have to stay far away from crowds at all costs, and I need to find those tears of repentance immediately to wipe this target off my back. Meanwhile, at the Royal Army's Frost Island outpost, the forest was filled with heavily guarded tents and elite soldiers. Inside a command tent, a man's thunderous roar sent shivers down the guards' spines. What did you say? Huang Wei is dead. How could you let this happen? That man was Huang Thong, the supreme commander of the Frost Island campaign. He slammed his fist in a blind ra. I publicly declared our family was fighting for the nation. His death makes me look like a fraud to the entire country. Standing beside him was Huang Wei's brother, Huang Det, the deputy commander of the operation. He laced his fingers together, his voice low and calculating. Father, what is our next move? Huang Thong smashed the table, the wood splintering under his fury. We proceed with the attack. We're taking down the King Tier boss. Once we secure that victory, we'll use our military merit to force the army to revoke Giang Khai's protection. He gritted his teeth, his eyes burning. Then, I'll make sure that Brat pays the ultimate price. The others in the room shared sinister grins as the atmosphere turned thick with malice. Half an hour later, elsewhere on Frost Island, Giang Khai finally reunited with his two teammates. Hu Yan looked confused. Captain, why do you have that weird title? Wen Nu shrieked. Wait. Is that bloodthirsty assassin? Keep your voices down. Giang Khai hissed. He grabbed Hu Yan's hand and began pulling her away. There's no time to explain. Long story short, I've officially become an enemy of the royal family. We need to vanish from this place right now. Honyan was taken aback by the sudden rush. As the trio conversed while running, a thunderous sound suddenly tore through the air, a long, echoing war horn. Giang Khai froze in his tracks. What was that? The haunting sound continued to reverberate across the desolate, snowy hills. Panic flooded Winwin's voice. Is that the signal for war? Why would it sound at a time like this? Giang Khai's eyes narrowed with suspicion. Did the royal family strike first? Beside him, Honyan's face turned deathly pale. Captain Khai, look over there. Giang Khai followed her gaze as Honyan's voice began to tremble with pure terror. The ice lake, it's shattering. Massive slabs of ice were being thrust upward as Honan shrieked at the sight of the collapsing surface. Enormous ice blocks rose violently as if something prehistoric was clawing its way out. Suddenly, a massive foot tipped with razor-sharp claws slammed onto the ice. Then another appeared, followed by many more. Hundreds of mermen began crawling out from the depths of the frozen abyss. The trio watched in absolute horror. Suddenly, a second massive tremor shook the lake, a shockwave radiating from deep beneath the ice. Towering over the merman army was a gargantuan creature 100 times their size. It stood like a living mountain at the peak of the ice. The monstrous beast was a king rank boss, the Frost Merman Lord. Level unknown. Health, 100%. A king boss, Honan stuttered. Giang Khai's expression darkened under the crushing pressure. Wennu could barely speak through her trembling. I'm scared. Just then, a powerful roar drowned out the wind. It was the commanding voice of Hong Thong. Soldiers of the battlefield, the king-rank Frost Merman Lord has been lured out. Prepare yourselves for the fight of your lives. Clad in shimmering silver armor and mounted on a fierce beast, he charged forward. His command echoed like thunder through the mountain range. Victory today means legendary rewards and new territory for the Holy Glory fight to protect your families from these divine beasts. In the future, Huang Thong hoisted his blade toward the heavens, radiating authority. For today and tomorrow, we give everything. We fight even if death awaits us. The soldiers felt the fire. In his words, they gripped their weapons with white knuckles. Warriors, once the arrow is loosed from the bow, there is no turning back. The king-rank boss raid, Hong Thong bellowed, officially begins now. The army surged onto the ice lake like a tidal wave, screaming, kill them all. Nguyen crouched low behind a jagged ice shard. She turned to Giang Khai. Frantic. Captain. Why aren't we moving? Ho Nan agreed. This is a king-rank battle with 200,000 soldiers. Suddenly, Giang Khai stood tall and raised a hand. No. It's not time yet. A sharp, calculating smirk crossed his face. With the war starting, the royals will be too distracted to worry about me. Let's stay and witness this king-rank spectacle. Opportunities like this are rare. Meanwhile, the infantry collided with the merman horde. Back Van and Hao Tian led the charge, roaring at the top of their lungs. Slay the beast. An explosion rocked the ice, sending soldiers flying. From the depths emerged a fish-like monstrosity with crimson eyes and jagged fangs. It was a level 25 bipedal merman, a common-grade monster. Hao Tian stopped, his face draining of color. Yet he tried to rally the men. Don't falter. It's just an overgrown, rotten fish. We have the numbers we can take. Before he could finish, a terrifying force yanked him forward. The bipedal merman snatched him up, dangling him before its cavernous, tooth-filled maw. Hao Tian thrashed wildly. Save me, help. The creature jammed him into its mouth. As its jaws snapped shut, a gruesome spray of blood painted the white snow. It hurts. Someone, please. His screams were abruptly cut short by the sickening sound of bones being crushed and swallowed. The surrounding soldiers recoiled in sheer terror. What? These things eat humans? This is too terrifying. Ho Nan covered her mouth in shock. A common merman is that powerful against a seasoned adventurer, and there are so many of them. Wen Nu added, her voice thin. Giang Khai's gaze grew intensely serious. I've heard that as long as the boss lives, this army will never stop spawning. He muttered. He kept his eyes locked on the chaotic battlefield. The key to this war isn't the 200,000 soldiers. Suddenly, a blur of motion caught his eye on the ice. Giang Khai narrowed his eyes. It's the clash between the Transcendence and the boss. Two figures streaked through the infantry like lightning bolts. Their appearance sent a surge of hope through the panicked soldiers. Leading the way was Tuan Kiet, wielding the power of flame. Heads up, our 8-man strike team has entered the boss's inner sanctum. The elites pushed forward, channeling their mana to the limit. Bak and Gon took to the skies, diving straight toward the Merman Lord. Every member was pushing their bodies to the absolute brink, priming themselves for the ultimate showdown. Some draw their weapons while others unleash powerful skills. Every strike aimed directly at the merman ahead. We must give everything we have to deal maximum damage to this boss. A massive wave of energy surges as everyone attacks the merman at once, coalescing into a colossal sphere of destructive power. The sphere erupts instantly, unleashing a blinding flash of light that threatens to swallow the entire sky. Hu yan gazes in ave. Incredible. So this is the true power of an awakened Ruan Yu's jaw drops, convinced the boss is finished. But Giang Khai remains grim and silent. He whispers in a worried tone, no, something is wrong. I have a very bad feeling about this situation. Then, Giang Khai looks up, his eyes widening as his ghost eye sharpens its focus on the merman. It stands unfazed, its gaze radiating cold, pure, killing intent. He continues darkly. Their skills might look flashy and powerful on the surface, but through my ghost eye, I can see the merman grinning wickedly. It seems they haven't even managed to scratch the boss's defensive layer. Suddenly, the system flashes a crimson warning. Defense is impenetrable. Junji stares in utter disbelief. What? How can this be? Not even a dent in the boss's armor. And right at that moment, a terrifying aura surges toward the sky. The merman swings its massive arm, delivering a devastating blow toward the gathered awakened. The ground trembles violently as ice shatters, blasting everyone backward. Some are hurled into the distance, while others take the hit directly, coughing up blood instantly. One by one, they plummet from the air and crash onto the frozen ground. The merman looks down at them with a satisfied, twisted smirk before letting out an eerie, bone-chilling growl. Behind them, the soldiers and Giang Khai's group scream in sheer terror. Did the boss just wipe out 8, awakened with a single, casual strike? Giang Khai grinds his teeth hard, his eyes locked onto the towering merman. To bring down 8 elites in one move with such terrifying ease. Is this the true, overwhelming power of a king-class boss? Suddenly, a lone figure charges forward, spear in hand. Giang Khai is stunned by the move after 8 were just annihilated. How could one man dare to rush in alone? Hu Yan cries out in desperation. Don't go, stop. The warrior faces the merman head-on, but the monster shows no mercy, hurling its lethal trident straight at his chest. The bystanders shriek in horror. It's over. Another one is about to die. But in that split second, he skids to a halt, his spear tip sweeping across the ice before thrusting upward with explosive power. The tip of his spear collides directly with the trident's points, erupting in a massive, bone-rattling shockwave. The merman freezes as its attack is halted instantly. The soldiers in Jiang Kai's group erupt in shock. What he actually blocked the boss's strike, gripping his spear tight. He lets out a cold, sharp snort. Listen up, monster. My comrades didn't just die. They died as part of the plan. He raises his head, eyes burning with iron determination as he growls. Did you really think we'd just let you slaughter us for nothing? This is the spear class awakened Jiang Fang, known as the undisputed #1 powerhouse of the Xuan Wu Guild. As the merman pulls back its trident, Jiang Fang begins to close the distance with slow, deliberate steps. Today, I represent every fallen brother above Jiang Fang's head. A system notification suddenly flickers to life. Talent-activated Blessing of the Dead. For every fallen awakened ally nearby, his total strength increases by 25%. Without a second of hesitation, Jiang Fang leaps over the merman, blurring behind it as he snarls. I've got you now. The merman is completely blindsided, unable to react to Jiang Fang's blinding, godlike speed. In a flash, he drives his spear deep into its flesh. A surge of lightning crackles, and the boss's protective shield shatters instantly. Blood sprays from the wound as the merman twists its head, its eyes filled with sudden, intense irritation. Giang Khai is caught between shock and excitement. Incredible. He actually managed to break through the boss's impenetrable defense. Jade Dragon, a nearby soldier, is ecstatic. There is hope to slay the boss. Further away, Huang Tong watches with a smug, knowing grin. Did you truly believe our Xuan Wu Guild was weak and helpless? The awakened who were just killed were all part of a calculated sacrifice to maximize Jiang Fang's true potential. Now, Jiang Fang is overflowing with vitality, his entire being radiating a gargantuan aura of strength. Huang Tong's voice remains calm, for Jiang Fang was already a legendary warrior, and with the Blessing of the Dead active, his total combat power has surged by an incredible 200%. Jiang Fang charges forward once more, his eyes blazing with a divine, unstoppable light. Right now, Jiang Fang alone is as powerful as an army of 20 awakened. His movements are a blur, so fast, the merman can no longer keep track of him. Everywhere he glides, he leaves a deeper, jagged gash on the monster's massive frame. Huang Tong watches the spectacle intently. Therefore, as long as no surprises occur, this battle is ours. While Jiang Kai's trio is mesmerized by the duel, they fail to notice a dark shadow creeping up from behind. Hu Yan cheers loudly. Go for it, we're going to win for sure. Unbeknownst to them, an elite sea merman, a level 32 monster, has just emerged in their shadow. Hoang Dat gripped the digital tablet as crimson warnings flashed across the screen. He screamed toward Hong Thong. Father, we have a crisis. A massive swarm of merfolk is flanking us from the rear of the Frost Island. Horror washed over Hong Thong. The sea merfolk? You mean an entire undersea legion has been summoned against us? Exactly. Hoang Dat replied frantically. There are hundreds of them, and every single one is an elite sea merfolk above level 3. Hoang Thong stood frozen, his mind racing. He could only mutter, This is madness. 45. On the far side of the blood-soaked battlefield, Tuang Fong was pouring every ounce of strength into fighting the merfolk. This is a disaster. Tuang Fong can only focus on the boss because we've held the line until now. Huang Thong's voice darkened. The war zone was currently split into 5 sectors based on power levels. The common zone, the elite, general, and commander zones. Ending with the boss, he continued, his voice trembling with anxiety. We've committed our entire force to each sector just to maintain this fragile balance. But if our rear collapses and chaos erupts, not only will Tuang Fong fail to slay the boss, in his mind's eye, he saw the horrific vision of tens of thousands screaming for salvation. Instead, 200,000 of our people will die here. Huang Thong roared. Fein's Bilching. Tuang Fong needs 30 minutes to kill the boss. How much time do we have before that merfolk army crashes into our rear? Huang Dat's fingers flew across the interface. Checking now. The screen flooded with countless crimson warnings and dense red dots. Warning, mass merfolk signatures approaching. He spoke through sheer panic. We have 10 minutes at most. Elsewhere, Giang Kai's pursuer drones were streaking through the air like lethal bolts of lightning. One locked onto a target. Giang Khai blurred past the creature and landed gracefully, raising a hand to detonate the pursuer. System adventurer Giang Khai has slain one elite merfolk. Nearby, a terrified Honan scrambled behind a boulder. Captain Kai, where did all these monsters come from? We have to get out of here right now. Giang Khai turned, his eyes narrowing. Leave now. He stood at the cliff's edge, fist tightening as he stared down. The entire battlefield was currently teetering on a razor-thin edge of a very fragile stalemate. If those merfolk aren't intercepted, the entire campaign will end in failure. Jiang Khai frowned, deep in thought. Before speaking coldly, the Hoang family are my enemies. Seeing them fail would normally bring a smile to my face. Over at the Hoang family's position, The situation had become desperate. It's over. What can we possibly do? Giang Khai continued, his voice softening. But the future of Tindu and these 200,000 souls are all innocent. He shut his eyes tight. Wrestling with the choice, Vyung's words echoed in his soul. Everyone is responsible for this world's fate. Someone in this world must have the courage to stand up and face these nightmares. Giang Khai looked up, his gaze burning with determination. He called out to his companions. Honan. Win Enawu. Don't leave yet. As the two watched him in stunned silence, Giang Khai began to walk forward, his voice steady. In fact, I need you both to lure every single merfolk in the vicinity directly toward me. Giang Khai raised his pursuer blade, his eyes turning cold as frost. I alone will wipe out this entire sea merfolk army. Honyan and Winnu stood frozen in shock. To them, Giang Kai's plan sounded like nothing short of a suicide mission. Barely 10 minutes later, the grunt merfolk had nearly decimated the Hoang family's vanguard. Han Han collapsed, clutching his bleeding arm. Captain, please. We can't win this, he gasped, his voice shaking. The merfolk have already overtaken the adventurers at the rear. Once those monsters surround us, it's all over. We'll be slaughtered like cattle. Our only choice is to run while we still can. The others stood paralyzed, their bodies battered and broken. Chaos erupted among the ranks. He's right. If we die, we're locked out of the system for 1 month. 1 month without income, and my family ends up on the streets run. Or we're all dead men. Suddenly, a figure clad in heavy armor and a flowing cape stepped forward, unsheathing a blade. There is no need to flee. The soldiers spun around in surprise. Captain, he raised his voice, commanding their attention. Haven't any of you noticed? 10 minutes have passed since we detected those sea merfolk. They should have reached the front lines by now. He gazed toward the distant mountain peaks. Yet, not a single one has appeared. Do you understand what this means? The others followed his gaze. The vast expanse of ice remained hauntingly empty. How is that possible? Not even one. A whisper rippled through the crowd. Could it be that a powerhouse is holding the line at our rear? Impossible. The royal family definitely didn't station any troops there. Their captain frowned, realizing that some monstrously powerful figures must be holding the line at the rear. To block such a massive wave of sea merfolk, it would take an elite squad of high-level adventurers engaged in a desperate, life-or-death struggle. In that very direction, Giang Khai was being relentlessly pursued by a swarm of elite merfolk warriors. The monsters let out bloodthirsty roars, lunging toward him with their jagged maws wide open. Yet, Giang Khai didn't even bother to look back. A confident, sharp smirk played across his lips, skidding gracefully across the frozen surface. He suddenly dropped to one knee and spun around to face the oncoming horde head-on. A crimson light flared in his hand as Giang Khai growled. The last ones who bared their fangs at me. The grass on their graves is already 6 feet high. He vanished in a blur of speed, his explosive power cleaving a sea merfolk in half instantly. As he leaped several meters into the air, by the time his feet touched the ground again, the sea merfolk had already been incinerated into nothingness. Giang Khai turned and scanned the area. Though he had slain over 20, they only came one by one. This pace was far too slow for him. The system-chimed adventurer Giang Khai has defeated elite sea merfolk ×2. Just then, Hu Yan screamed in a panic. Captain Kai, save me. I've lured the entire merfolk swarm right to us. Wen Nu followed behind, wailing in terror. Captain Kai, I'm over here too. Giang Khai tightened his grip, focusing every ounce of his internal energy into his arms. Perfect. Leave the rest to me. You two find a place to hide. Hu Yan stammered. But Captain, there are so many elites. Can you really take them all? Wen Nu cried out in agreement. Exactly. You looked exhausted after killing just 2 of them a moment ago. Giang Khai glanced at the tidal wave of merfolk surging toward him and let out a cold, dismissive snort. It's true that hunting them one by one was a waste of effort. He flickered through their ranks like a ghost, as sparks of fire began to ignite around him, with eyes radiating cold, killing intent. Giang Khai muttered, but what you don't realize is, I prefer a massacre over a duel. The moment he spoke, a world-shattering explosion erupted, sending scorched earth and debris flying into a chaotic storm of fire. The status window flashed brilliantly. Adventurer Giang Khai has eliminated elite sea merfolk ×257. Hu Yan and Wen Nu stood frozen before hugging each other in pure shock. Is this the captain's true strength? Good heavens. He's barely past level 10. How can he be this absurdly overpowered? Meanwhile, Huang Tong's squad was closing in when they witnessed a massive pillar of fire erupting in the distance, leaving everyone stunned. The rear. Why was there such a massive explosion coming from the back line? Huang Vu pointed at the radar, trembling. Dad, the merfolk signatures at the rear just vanished. Did the reinforcements you requested finally arrive? Huang Tong frowned, Deeply confused, he calculated the timing in his head. He had only just contacted the military. There was no way they could have mobilized this quickly. Huang Tong narrowed his eyes at the fading smoke of the explosion and made a swift executive decision. Forget the details for now. If the military is here, announce it to everyone on the field. It'll give Jiang Fang the peace of mind he needs to finish off the boss. The squad roared in acknowledgement. Half an hour later, Jiang Fang drove his blade into the boss with a burst of pressurized air that forced the creature back. The system announced boss health points remaining at 65%. The backline cheered wildly. Great job. The boss is down to its last third of health. Victory is within our grasp. Suddenly, the atmospheric pressure shifted violently. The merfolk boss went berserk, slamming the ground so hard, it caught Jiang Fang off guard. Huang Vu screamed, "Watch out, it's entering its second stage of primal rage." Huang Vu's warning echoed across the battlefield as the boss's aura turned dark and menacing. In this frenzied state, the boss's attack speed becomes so blindingly fast that dodging is virtually impossible. Jiang Fang was forced to brace himself for a direct impact, knowing that if he failed here, the entire raid would end in disaster. Gritting his teeth, Jiang Fang endured a relentless barrage of blows, each strike coughing blood from his lungs. Panic spread through the ranks. It was clear he was reaching his absolute limit. The system chimed, adventurer Jiang Fang's health points are down to 5%. The entire battlefield fell into a horrified silence. Was the great hero about to fall? Jiang Fang spat out blood and glared at the beast. "You damn monster. Did you really think such pathetic scratches could take me down?" His entire body suddenly erupted with a blinding surge of golden aura. Super talent battle intent armor, Jiang Fang roared, his voice shaking the very air. The merfolk's claws slammed against the shimmering armor, but the system flashed damage immune. Simultaneously, the merfolk boss began to shriek in agony as the system announced massive amounts of reflected damage hitting the creature. Giang Khai's eyes widened in admiration. That armor is incredible. Not only does it negate damage, but it strikes back too. So this is the power of a super talent. The royal squad's morale skyrocketed. We actually have a chance. Everyone, give it everything you've got. Huang Tong beamed with pride. I told you. Jiang Fang is our ultimate trump card. His super talent reflects 50% of all damage for 90 seconds. And since the boss is in a rapid-fire berserk state, it's essentially tearing itself apart with every strike it lands. The system alert blared. The boss's health had plummeted to 35%. Huang Tong let out a triumphant laugh. The faster the boss strikes, the more its own health drains. It's already lost 30%, just a bit more. And this legendary beast belongs to our royal clan. Suddenly, the merman unleashed a devastating palm strike. Deng Fang, caught off guard while parrying, failed to raise his guard. The raw power tore through his armor, striking his chest and sending him flying hundreds of meters away. His body slammed into the earth, carving a massive crater as a gruesome wound opened across his chest. Gasping for air with only 1% health remaining, the system announced his defense had shattered. Everyone stood frozen. Has our champion fallen? The merman had countered with its hidden armor-breaking tentacle skill. Huang Thong collapsed in despair. I was too careless. Its armor-piercing ability is insane. Huang Dart rushed to support him. How did we miss that skill? Panic and chaos surged through the ranks of the Huyen Vor Guild. It's over. Dung Fong was our last hope. And with him down, our defeat is absolutely inevitable. Giang Khai's heart sank as the heavy shadow of utter despair swallowed the entire battlefield. Members of the guild screamed in terror. Our ace has fallen. We can't win this. What do we do? Run for your lives. Elsewhere, the piercing screech of steel clashing against shields echoed through the air. Li Bu struggled to hold the line, consumed by guilt. Zhou Te. Nuan Nuan? I never should have brought you. The overwhelming power gap was too much, forcing him back with every brutal and crushing exchange. I only wanted to prove I was stronger than Giang Khai. He lamented. But I've led you into a death trap. Giang Khai didn't lead you to ruin, but I brought you here to die. I'm a pathetic failure of a captain. Before he could finish, a sea merman pinned him down. Noan let out a soul-piercing scream. Captain Li Bu, is anyone there? Help our captain. She felt utterly powerless, her spiritual energy completely drained and useless. Amidst the blood-soaked chaos of the battlefield, the boss remained standing, seemingly invincible and mountain-like, and the merman tide kept rising. Without a miracle, everyone on this field was headed for a certain grave. As a merman's blade pierced Li Bu's shield, the survivors prayed, is there truly no one who can save us? Li Bu stared blankly as the sea merman unhinged its crimson maw, ready for the final, bloody kill. In his final moment of prayer, a streak of light tore through the sky, trailing fierce flames like a falling star. Li Bu's eyes widened in disbelief at the sudden celestial intervention. He watched as the sea merman before him exploded into fragments. Gore and dust filled the air as it vaporized. As he stood there, dazed, a deep, calm voice echoed from right behind him. Summon. The three looked up in shock. It was him. Khai surged past them, his voice lingering in the wind. Nuan? Long time no see. I'm heading for the boss, take care of yourselves. Vientru trembled. What did Khai just say? He's going to solo the boss, am I dreaming? Watching Giang Khai's retreating figure, he realized he could feel Kai's presence vividly. Nuan nodded. I feel it too. Across the war-torn field, the cacophony of clashing steel and desperate roars reached a fever pitch. The brutal stalemate continued until suddenly, 200,000 soldiers of the Huan Vor Guild froze in their tracks. Wait. Why do I feel someone nearby? Me too, it's like a presence is burning inside my mind. The bloodlust assassin title Ho Nyan and Wer Nur screamed from above in warning. Captain Khai. Stop. With that title, all 200,000 people here will turn their blades on you, but it was too late. Myriad eyes shifted, locking onto Giang Khai as he charged forward like a predator. The crowd's battle intent ignited. Them. I thought we were dead. But look who's here, the bloodlust assassin. The experience from killing him will be massive. Let's take his head before the mermen get us. Like a tidal wave of steel, countless warriors lunged at Giang Khai simultaneously. As they closed in, Giang Khai stopped dead. An earth-shattering explosion erupted as Vientru's face turned ghostly pale. Did they kill Khai Nuan? Nuan burst into tears. But then, a sudden gust of wind swept by. Giang Khai smirked. Fallen to just one of my skills. Pathetic. Cloaked in madness, he continued his relentless charge. Behind him, his attackers lay scattered and broken. How can his damage be this monstrous? Wait. Isn't he just a level 10 rookie? How can this be happening? Known, and Yuan Zhu watched in awe, their voices erupting in excitement as they saw Giang Khai standing completely unscathed. Khai, you're actually okay. Did he really just take them all down? His power is on a completely different level. Li Bu staggered, his balance failing as he stared at the scene before him in sheer disbelief. Was this truly the same Giang Khai he knew? Surrounded by a mob of level 20 hunters, yet emerging without a scratch, it was impossible. Nearby, Huangda jolted upright in shock. Father, I've just spotted him. Giang Khai, the one who killed Xiao Wei, has appeared on the battlefield. It looks like he's charging straight for the boss. Huang Tong couldn't believe his eyes. Giang Khai, why would he do something so reckless? Does he actually think he can take down the boss alone? Right now, we need to focus on how to minimize our losses. That should be our only priority. Huang Da reluctantly obeyed, but his heart was racing with a burning frustration. Why? Why do I have this sinking feeling of dread in my chest? Why do I feel like Giang Khai might actually be able to kill the boss, driven by his own resolve? Giang Khai plunged deeper into the heart of the battlefield. He gave a self-deprecating smile, surprised that he couldn't stop himself from diving headfirst into this chaotic struggle. Assisting the Huang family was something he never dreamed of. Suddenly, the words spoken by Wei Ying years ago echoed in his mind. If Sheng Yao ever falls into grave danger, I only hope you will be there to fight for its survival. If I still have strength to give. He let out a faint, cynical laugh. But who would ever let me lead the guards now? The nation was facing a crisis and desperately needed territory for resources. Besides, he just happened to have a little extra power to spare. His pace quickened, his silhouette transforming into a bolt of lightning as he tore through the wind. A-Brain. Activate that one-time skill I obtained. The AI brain materialized the moment the casino pickpocket skill was engaged. Every adventurer who lays eyes on you will have 0.1% of their total attributes stolen and added to your own. After 30 minutes, all stolen stats will vanish forever. Giang Khai fell deep into thought. He had once wondered about the true purpose of this single-use skill. It only steals 0.1% of a spectator's stats. What could that possibly achieve? Little did he know it would be his ultimate trump card right now. He issued a silent warning to himself, bracing for the consequences of his next move. He had to remember that in his current bloodthirsty killer state, almost every soul on this battlefield would have their eyes fixed on him. Murmurs erupted through the crowd. Why is a bloodthirsty killer here? I can feel his presence. Me too. He's right there. The system chimed, commencing the theft of 0.1% of total attributes from all observers. Giang Khai mused that while 1,000th seemed like a pittance, though the amount per person was tiny, as he looked down at the massive crowd pointing and whispering toward him, "Look, the killer is right there, I can sense him." A smirk played on his lips. With over 200,000 people gathered, his power began to surge like a tidal wave. Even if he only took 0.1% from each of those 200,000 souls, the combined total would become an astronomical force of nature. The system notification blared. Adventurer Giang Khai, class level 20 gambler. Strength 30,000. Constitution 20,000 plus. Agility 60,000 plus. Spirit 40,000 plus. Critical rate 0.1%. Critical damage 20,000%. Huang Da stared at the tracker and screamed, "Damn it, father. Look, Giang Khai is sprinting toward the boss. He's actually going to steal it from us." Huang Tong's face darkened with dread. How was this possible? He pointed frantically at the screen. Father, look at this. Giang Khai's attribute readings had spiked to terrifying levels, seemingly surpassing even the wildest imaginations. What Huang Tong gasped in horror, deep within the general rank monster zone. A set of jagged, monstrous teeth suddenly lunged at Giang Khai from the shadows. The system interface flashed level 51 shark-tooth merman. General rank. It pursued him with its massive maw wide open, ready to tear him to shreds. Huang Da was speechless. Was Giang Khai really not going to dodge a general rank beast? Huang Tong knit his brows. Even if those stats were somehow inflated, that creature's bite was legendary for its lethality. The shark-tooth merman snap was a skill that even level 60 veterans feared to face head-on. As the beast prepared to clamp down, Huang Tong spoke coldly. It looks like his journey ends right here. But Giang Khai's fist tightened. He let out a primal roar. Get out of my way. A single punch slammed directly into the monster's chest. The entire battlefield fell into a stunned silence. What just happened? No weapon. He killed a general rank beast with his bare hands. Are those attributes for real? There's no way a human could possess such raw power. As the monster's massive corpse hit the ground, even the other merman trembled in fear. Could he truly be the one to slay the boss? A new location pinged on the tracker. The commander rank zone. A level 74 commander merman locked its eyes on Giang Khai. It swatted the members of the Black Tortoise Guild aside like flies, unleashing a devastating sonic wave directly at Giang Khai. Suddenly, his ears began to ring as a sharp, splitting pain surged through his skull. Seeing this, Huang Da sneered. He's finally overstepped his bounds. When a commander-tier merman unleashes its roar, only those with specialized skills or legendary gear can hope to resist its paralyzing effects. Raw stats alone won't save you. Hong Thong sneered. That brat is clueless. He's just a fool, throwing his life away for a boss kill. The merman commander lunged, its massive claws aimed at Giang Khai. Hong Thong watched coldly, certain this was the end for the delusional kid. From the distance, Noan and Vien Tru let out a blood-curdling scream of pure terror. Kai Nguyen, still swaying from his massive mug of beer, saw the beast. Instant fury boiled in his gut, smoke practically billowing from his nose. He charged with a roar. I, Nguyen Engu, will never be weak again, he screamed, pouring every ounce of drunken strength into his fist. Hey, gorgeous, I'm just as good as my captain. Okay, stop trying to seduce him and look at me instead. Two titanic forces collided. Both Win Nu and the merman commander were sent flying backward. From the sheer power of the impact, he scrambled up, launching back into the fray with a howl. Is a top-tier man like me not enough to capture your heart? Fine then, let me give you an interspecies kiss that you'll never forget. Darling. Win Nu hugged the commander tight. No one's blowing up my wife today. He planted a massive kiss on the monster's toothy maw, leaving it frozen in horror. Then, everything went still. Enraged, the commander slammed Win Nu into the dirt. He stumbled up with a goofy grin. Hey, you've got a pretty feisty personality, don't you? But that's exactly the kind of fiery attitude I adore in a woman. System Win Nu has activated Drunken Dream State. Damage taken is massively reduced, but he has completely lost his sanity. Huang Thong and Huang Dat were horrified. Whose subordinate is this? Everyone watched in disbelief as he ignored the commander's soul-shaking roar. He tanked the hit and made the merman leader tremble with rage. How could someone make a monster hate them this much? Giang Khai stared in total shock as Win Nu appeared. Why on earth did he follow me all the way here? He had ordered them to stay back, but before he could think, another sharp, piercing cry echoed in his ear. Captain, did you think we'd let you lose face? Honan surged forward, hands glowing with energy. Witness my infinite chi martial arts. She shoved Giang Khai back. Captain, leave now. Win Nu won't be able to hold out against that beast for long. The power gap was staggering. Yet Win Nu was still drunkenly chasing the commander. Merman waifu. I'm coming for you, Kai whispered, feeling completely helpless. You two. I'm both moved and totally exhausted by your antics. Fina. I give up. There's really no stopping you two. Is there? At the summit, Honyan unleashed her power. The Swan Wu Guild froze, looking up in confusion. A rain dance. Is she joking right now? Does she think a little rain will kill them? Giang Khai nodded confidently. Then I'll leave this battlefield in your hands. Honyan scoffed at their ignorance. Do these idiots not know basic physics? Suddenly, a guild member pointed to the sky, trembling with fear. Wait. Look up. That's not rain. Another shrieked as the clouds broke. Those are massive, falling ice boulders. Countless frozen spears tore through the air, whistling down toward the battlefield alongside the panicked screams of the mermen. Chaos erupted everywhere. Is this a joke? That's not a rain dance. It's a massive ice burst. Run, it's hitting everyone. Honan stood back, admiring her work with a proud smirk. I really am a genius. By exploiting the sub-zero temperatures on this island, My rain technique naturally transforms into devastating shards of ice. I used to have zero offensive power, but now I can win against 200,000 enemies at once. This is amazing, she shouted toward Giang Khai. Captain Kai, you remember what you told me? Right. You said if my rain could just hinder their movements, they'd all become sitting ducks for your attacks. My ice burst has their full attention now. They can't roar or move anymore. Go and kill that boss. Captain. Giang Khai stood stunned as he scanned the field. Every single merman warrior was frozen in place, paralyzed by the storm. Ho Nyan's voice echoed through the cold. Captain, remember, we are a team. You don't have to fight alone anymore. A sudden realization flickered in Giang Kai's eyes as the tactical situation reflected clearly in his gaze. The Xuanwu Guild seized the opening, finally bringing down a merman commander. We actually did it. We killed one. Wen Nu wailed in the background. You monsters, you killed my wife. Giang Khai laughed. You're right. Why did I think I was alone? Ho Nan. Wen Nu. I truly underestimated you both. Blazing sparks of fire began to dance at his fingertips. Giang Khai whispered, I owe you one. You brats. Suddenly, a pillar of flame erupted, turning the frozen slopes into a sea of fire. I'll finish this, Giang Khai roared. Hoang Thong and Hoang Dat watched in horror as he annihilated every merman commander in sight. The Xuanwu Guild was paralyzed with shock. It took 10 of their elite teams just to survive until now. Li Bu's squad erupts in cheers. What kind of monstrous power is this? It's incredible. Meanwhile, Giang Khai blurs forward like a gale. He smirks inwardly. His boosted stats have reached a truly terrifying level of power. If I land a critical hit now, not even a heavenly king could stop me. He slows his pace as a chilling aura erupts. At last, I've reached you. You looked somewhat formidable from a distance. But now that I'm standing right here, you're actually hideous. Suddenly, the system pings. The Merman King's health has plummeted to 35%. Huang Thong and his son gape in horror. Impossible, that brat actually reached the boss. The crowd stirs. Is he really going for it? Hunyan screams. Go for it. Understood. Giang Khai channels his energy and launches forward like a guided missile. The merman's eyes snap open. Li Bu cries out in terror. It's over. The boss has entered a berserk state. Giang Khai won't survive this. In that instant, the merman unleashes a flurry of strikes. But Giang Kai's footwork is impossibly fluid. He dances through the lethal strikes with ease. Is the boss supposed to be fast? Giang Khai wonders mockingly. These movements are so sluggish. They're easy to dodge. Why did that royal ace struggle so much against this? He leaps onto the monster's weapon, smirking. He glares into its eyes. The Black Tortoise Guild freezes. Am I hallucinating? Tell me I'm dreaming. Li Bu stands dazed as every shot misses. This kid actually evaded every single one of the boss's devastating attacks. Hunyan's group erupts in jubilation. That's our captain. Meanwhile, Huang Thong and his son are paralyzed with shock. Is he actually faster than the boss? Giang Khai sprints along the monster's blade, sharp spikes erupting from his hands. The merman whips its massive tail around, aiming for a lethal puncture. Giang Khai vaults into the air, roaring. Too slow. He spins in midair, descending with twice the velocity begun. He strikes the tail with crushing force, triggering a massive midair explosion. As Giang Khai sticks the landing, the system chimes. The boss's health has withered down to 25%. The Black Tortoise Guild is speechless. From 35 to 25, he just shaved off 10% of health with a single blow. Huang Thong and Huang Dat are stunned. Even a pro like Tuang Fong would need 10 minutes for that. Li Bu's face pales. What kind of insane damage is this? With a thunderous crash, the merman slams its weapon down to haul itself back up. Level 52, Giang Khai holds his head high, staring down the behemoth. Man and monster stand locked in a lethal standoff. Hong Thong's squad is terrified. What's going on? Not even Tuang Fong would dare stand toe-to-toe with the boss like that. Li Bu is filled with dread. Meanwhile, Hunyan and Tuang Fong whisper in awe. He hasn't even used his full power yet. Giang Khai sneers at the beast. Oh, so you finally figured out how to use your two legs. The merman takes a deep, ragged breath and lets out a ferocious roar. Waves of sonic energy ripple outward, shaking the ice mountains. Giang Khai effortlessly sidesteps the blast with a cold snort. I'm not falling for the same trick twice. The boss charges again, lunging with its massive weapon. The impact shatters the earth, sending a chaotic storm of debris skyward. The Black Tortoise Guild struggles to stay upright. Fear grips them. This power is on an entirely different level. That brat is a goner for sure. Giang Khai just laughs. The merman spins around in shock. Its weapon has been snapped in half. You picked the wrong opponent. Giang Khai roars. The merman can only huff and blind. Un potrage, emerging from the settling dust. Giang Khai mocks him coldly. Looking at you now. Don't tell me you've forgotten how to fight just because you lost your toy. The entire battlefield erupts in chaos. Did he really just shatter the boss's weapon? Seriously. What kind of freak is this guy? Has anyone ever broken a boss's weapon before? Glowing crimson claws extend from Giang Khai's hands as he grows impatient. Enough. This is a waste of my time. I think it's about time I put you out of your misery. Sparks ignite. Hurtling toward the merman, those embers transform into devastating explosive charges, detonating with force to rip the beast apart. The behemoth collapses to one side, letting out a final, agonizing roar of defiance. The system alerts health at 15%. Without hesitation, Giang Khai sweeps a wave of flame toward the merman's remaining leg. One more. Another violent explosion rocks the area. The merman's screams are drowned out by the system health at 5%. Embers swirl through the air, coiling around Giang Khai, like the manifestation of a vengeful demon. You look like you have something to say about my disrespect. Himotas. Why do you still look at me with such arrogance? Killing intent blazes in his eyes. I've always despised that smug expression of yours. You merman king. Thousands of fireballs tear through the sky, raining down like a meteor shower and relentlessly battering the monster's legs. Giang Khai's voice booms. It's over. Hand it over to me. He hovers majestically as the merman is consumed by a towering pillar of fire. Huang Thong and Hong Dat stood frozen, their breath catching as the merfolk lord ceased all movement. Nearby, Li Bu's team watched in stunned silence. The beast staggered, acrid smoke billowing from its scorched flesh, with a deafening roar that shook the heavens. The massive creature finally collapsed into the frigid snow. Amidst the chaos, Giang Khai remained standing, his aura towering and unshakable as he surveyed the aftermath. The merfolk lord was a pathetic sight, its limbs severed and body trembling against the ice. A piercing system alert flashed, remaining HP 0.1%. Huang Thong was paralyzed with shock. Suddenly, the silence of the battlefield shattered into a frenzy of disbelief. What? How? Had he truly suppressed a world-class boss? And even more impossible, had he done it without taking a single scratch? Heavy footsteps broke the tension as a commanding voice echoed through the air. Lo Tuan. You claimed Huang Thong desperately needed military support. So why is the battle already over? It was the arrival of the heavy hitters, the vice commander of the Black God Shadow Guards from Jiangzhong City, along with the elite superhumans of the Jiangzhong Defense Force, led by the formidable vice commander Wei Ying. Lo Tuan fell silent before replying. Even I didn't expect the tides of this war to be turned by a youth who caught the commander's eye. He turned his gaze toward Giang Khai, who stood poised and calm amidst the dying embers of the battlefield. The silver frost rain has finally ceased. He noted quietly. It's time to wrap this up and finish the boss. Reality finally hit Huang Thong. No, he screamed frantically. That boss is on its last breath. We absolutely cannot let Giang Khai take the kill. He turned to his men, his voice filled with desperation. All members of the Xuanwu Guild, listen up. Abandon the merfolk at all costs. Eliminate that bloodthirsty assassin. Gritting his teeth in a fit of greed, Huang Thong made his desperate proclamation. 50 million Saint Radiance coins to whoever brings me his head. Kill him now. But if you let that assassin steal our boss, he threatened, none of you will receive a single cent of your wages. The guild erupted in a panicked fervor. What I don't care about the bonus. But without my pay, my family won't survive the month. My child needs medicine, another cried. Forget the monsters. Move, kill the assassin, or we're all finished. Driven by desperation, the crowd snapped. Tens of thousands of warriors surged forward like a tidal wave. Move out, charge, kill the bloodthirsty assassin. The thunderous rhythm of 10,000 footsteps caused the very earth to tremble. They ignored the retreating sea creatures, focused solely on the boy atop the hill. From above, Giang Khai watched as a sea of black ants swarmed toward him, kicking up clouds of white dust. He furrowed his brow in disgust. The Hoang family couldn't even dent the boss themselves, and now they use these people's livelihoods to force them into murder. How revolting. He turned his attention to Zhang Feng. You're still conscious? Right. Giang Khai hauled him up, his voice low and steady. Hey, Xuanwu's ace. You aren't dead yet, are you?